This girl barged into the house, kicking the door down. The girl, Qin Feng's sister, was fuming because he didn't answer his phone. Xiao Yu was throwing a tantrum, kicking everything in sight, all because Song Fei needed money to help invest more in his singing career. "You should have just sent me your money." The protagonist, absolutely enraged, slapped his sister. It was so hard she collapsed on the floor. That's her place, right there with the trash. She was completely stunned. Her brother had never laid a hand on her. He always obeyed. But this time, Feng was not the person she knew. With an ice-cold stare, he said he had zero patience left to hear her talk. He threw a credit card at her and said it was all the money their parents left them. She could have all of it. Feng says that out of respect for their parents, he won't argue with Xiao Yu anymore. But from this moment on, he is no longer her brother. The girl just held her cheek. That was terrifying. But wait, do you guys think this was unfair? In his room, Feng explains the whole truth. And it is brutal. In his past life, Feng gave up everything to protect his sister, and she betrayed him. Years from now, on a battlefield where I defeated every kind of monster, the worst creature of all betrayed me, stabbed me right in the back. I couldn't believe it, and demanded to know why. Qin Xiao just called him an idiot. She never saw him as a real brother. He was just their parents' adopted son. She looks back and says she did everything he asked. This is her true love, Song Fei. He planned to use Xiao Yu to get that divine artifact after Feng did all the hard work. The protagonist couldn't even look at his sister one more time. Xiao mocks him, saying Feng was way too protective, and it was annoying. Song doesn't want to wait anymore, and decides to eliminate Feng for good. See, in 2025, whenever a person slept, they were forced to enter the dream world. It was basically a game, and dying in here meant losing your actual lifespan in the real world. But it wasn't all bad. It was discovered that the skills and powers you gained in the game could be brought back to the real world. Lifespan was the currency. The protagonist dedicated everything to get the divine item and reach the top, and it was on that very day his sister betrayed him. This is so unfair. If I just had one more chance, everything would be different. His life was over, but it seems the gods aren't unfair. Qin Feng woke up again. He looked at his phone and saw the date, 2025. This was no joke. He had been reborn 9 years in the past. Now, as he prepares to enter the game again, Feng feels a strange sense of freedom. He wonders how far he can go without the weight of his sister holding him back. This time, he promises himself he will use everything he knows from his past life to get ahead of everyone and seize the power and opportunities he left behind. As for Xiao Yu, he decided to let her fend for herself. She will have to face the real world without his help or protection. And as for Song Fei, the man who orchestrated the betrayal that led to his demise in his past life, Feng's gaze turns serious. He swears he will kill Song Fei with his own hands and make that manipulative idol pay for everything he did. The scene shifts, and now Feng is in a vast, otherworldly place. It is a giant hall filled with mirrors that glow with a strange light. He explains that this is the Profession Selection Hall, a crucial place where players choose what they will be in the game of gods. In his past life, he spent hours there, anxious and undecided. But now, with everything he has already experienced, Feng walks through the hall with confidence. This time, he knows exactly what he wants. He remembers choosing to be a warrior last time just to protect Xiao Yu. The warrior class was not bad, but it no longer serves his purpose now. Without having to worry about protecting anyone else, he realizes that the most important thing now is speed and agility. With this in mind, he reaches out toward one of the mirrors and chooses the assassin class. When he touches the glass, a strong blue light shines from his hand, and a system window appears before him. The system announces that the artifact Eye of Judgment is already bound to him and will be activated immediately. Behind Feng, a giant otherworldly eye appears out of nowhere, with a gaze that seems to see everything. Another system window appears, showing that Feng has unique attributes, the power of judgment and a power passive. The system explains that this gives him advantages no one else has. As soon as he enters the game of gods, he will automatically receive the profession and talents of the highest possible quality, putting him far ahead of normal players. A smile appears on Feng's face as he admires the power of the Eye of Judgment. He begins to think that the artifact's bond with him persisted even after his rebirth. If that is true, it would mean the artifact is useless to anyone else who tried to steal it, as Song Fei and Xiao Yu had tried to do in his other life. He even wonders if it was the Eye of Judgment that caused him to be reborn, giving him this second chance. Suddenly, a dark, turbulent aura begins to enter his body, catching him by surprise. The system congratulates him and announces that he has unlocked a secret profession. The class transfer begins, and the dark aura envelops him completely. When the aura fades, Feng is different. His black hair has now turned completely white, and a strange energy radiates from him, showcasing his new power. The system announces that he has become a mortal shadow, a secret, high-level assassin class, far better than the warrior he had before. Feng explains that the shadow class grants immense power right from the start, which is why it is a profession everyone covets. He runs a hand over his face, thinking about the absurd luck, or perhaps fate, that brought him here. When someone chooses a profession, there is always a very small chance of getting a secret class. Because of his authority of judgment ability, that small chance became a 100% certainty. The system then began to explain the abilities granted by the Eye of Judgment. The first was the authority of judgment. The system stated that it was the oldest and most powerful authority in the universe, one that stood above any rule of reality. But the system warned that without possessing a divinity, Feng could not actively wield its full power. Even so, the passive effects remained active, which already gave him an absurd advantage. Feng was shocked by this revelation. He remembered that in his past life, humanity only discovered the existence of the power of order after 7 years of the game. It was then that a very strong player managed to escape the game and reach the land of order, telling everyone about this power. Yet even after years of trying, no one had ever managed to claim this power for themselves. Now, Feng realized he possessed the original authority, one that could simply ignore rules and order. It was a power capable of changing reality itself. With a serious expression, he understood that his goals were now much greater than mere revenge. If he could escape the game of gods, reach the land of order, and obtain a divinity, he would be able to activate 100% of the authority of judgment. Suddenly, a system screen appeared before him, prompting him to enter his in-game name. After a moment of thought, he chose a name that suited who he was now, Shadow. It was a fitting name, he thought, since his profession was born from darkness. As soon as he confirmed it, the system accepted the name, and a dark aura began to swirl around him. The system announced that he was about to enter the game world, the land forsaken by the gods. It went on to explain this world, a destroyed land, filled with disruptive monsters that wrecked everything in their path. The system warned that these creatures were merciless and would do anything to kill him. It also explained that once he left the starting city and began killing monsters, he would earn tradable lifespan, a very important resource. However, dying in the game had a heavy consequence. Half of his lifespan, both tradable and normal, would be lost. The risk was high, but Feng was not intimidated. The scene changed, and he appeared in the starting village, a place called Shelltown. The system announced that this was a peace zone, a safe place where monsters could not enter, and players could not fight each other. The lifespan loss here was at its minimum, fixed at 1x. Feng looked around and saw chaos. The other players, who had just been pulled into the game, were trying to understand what was happening. They talked among themselves, confused, asking how they had gotten there. Many only remembered going to sleep and waking up in the selection hall, never imagining the nightmare they had fallen into. But Feng remained focused. He looked at the crowd, knowing the game had attracted many people very quickly. He knew that powerful individuals from various countries would soon appear, each wanting to control the game in their own way. If he wanted to stay ahead, he needed to be fast, and with that in mind, he walked through the city. His appearance drew attention. His stylish clothes and the dark aura emanating from him made him stand out from the other players. The crowd began to whisper, trying to guess his profession. Another player, also an assassin, recognized the dagger at Feng's waist, but was stunned by the difference between them. The man had no special aura, while Feng seemed full of power and mystery. The contrast between the two was obvious, and made everyone even more curious. As he neared the city's exit, a group of players appeared before him. Their faces were pale, in shock. It seemed that dying in the game was not the end. Instead, players were simply sent back to the safety of Shelltown. The group consisted of 3 men and 1 woman. They are incredibly frustrated, complaining about an encounter they had with a level 1 tracker monster. One of the men says a single bite from the creature took half his health. Another complains that even with everyone attacking together, they barely took off a third of the monster's health. The third man is devastated, his confidence shattered after also losing half of his life. They look to the woman, who seems to be their leader, waiting for her to say what to do next. Before she can answer, her eyes land on Feng. He was also looking at her. Unlike the others, she carried a longbow, not the standard short bow that archers receive. Feng notices this immediately, and concludes that she must have a secret profession, which is a very rare and powerful advantage. Curious about Feng's unique demeanor and appearance, the woman approaches him with a proposal. She suggests they form a party. Her reasoning is that the monsters outside are too strong to fight alone. She says that since her group has already faced a monster, even without winning, they have some experience. Feng, however, can't help but give a small, derisive smile upon hearing this. The only experience they have is in dying, he thinks. Politely but firmly, he rejects the offer, saying he prefers to go alone. The woman is surprised by his response, and the men in her group start to whisper. They wonder what kind of arrogant guy he was, thinking he could face a monster alone when the 4 of them couldn't. Despite the others' doubts, the woman feels that Feng is more than he appears. Determined to uncover his secret, she decides to check his status window. Her eyes widen when she reads the name Shadow. She lets out a small laugh, thinking the name is a bit pretentious, but she can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something important. Turning to her group, she announces that they will follow Feng to see what he can do. Maybe he's discovered some important information about the monsters and is keeping it to himself, she thinks. With a mischievous smile, she says she can't wait to see how he does, or how he breaks. As Feng walks confidently toward the exit of Concha City, the blonde girl and her team follow him stealthily. They move carefully, calculating each step. The group hides behind a tree, their eyes glued on Feng as he moves away. The blonde girl, her voice full of frustration, complains to her team about how strange and dangerous this world is. She admits she still doesn't quite understand why they were brought to this nightmare, but as an experienced gamer, she quickly assembled a team to face the challenges. Even so, she never imagined the game would humiliate them so brutally. The first monster they found outside the city wiped them out effortlessly. It was a clear warning that they are not prepared. She comes to the conclusion that a monster of that type is too strong for any level 1 player. Meanwhile, the 2 men on her team start talking about Feng. One of them, who is also an assassin, points out the huge differences between them. While he uses a normal dagger, Feng carries a short sword, a weapon that looks deadly. The assassin also notices that Feng's speed is much greater, and that his clothes are unlike anything he has ever seen. They seem custom-made and give off a sense of power. Hearing this, the blonde woman is even more certain that Feng is no ordinary player. She decides to continue following him quietly, hoping to gain some information that will give her group an advantage. But just as she is about to signal for her team to move closer, Feng suddenly stops and looks back over his shoulder. The blonde girl froze, her heart pounding as she wondered if he had seen them. Before she could do anything, Feng activated a skill, Latent Image. A dark aura enveloped his body, and in the blink of an eye, he vanished into thin air, as if he had never been there. The group stared in stunned silence, trying to process what what had just happened. The assassin in the group was the first to realize, explaining that Feng must have used an invisibility skill, a basic assassin technique. Even so, he admitted that the version Feng used was far more impressive than anything he had ever seen. The blonde girl, still in shock but now resolute, declared that following Feng was no longer an option. She suggested they return to the safety of the city to regroup and find other ways to level up. She reminded the team that leaving the city was too dangerous, especially since their health had already been cut in half after their first death. The men agreed. They began to speculate that the city must have hidden rewards, like treasure chests or NPCs who could provide valuable information. They clung to the hope that there was a way to grow stronger without having to risk their lives. Meanwhile, the system explained the skill Feng had just used. Latent image renders the player invisible to everyone, friend and foe alike. While invisible, the player's first attack after reappearing deals significantly increased damage. Furthermore, the Master of Invisibility skill doubled the duration he could remain invisible and increased his invisibility level by 1. Feng himself was satisfied with the efficiency of his Mortal Shadow class skills, unlike regular assassins, who were easily detectable at level 1, even while invisible. Feng's unique abilities ensured that no one, neither player nor monster, could sense him at these early stages of the game. With that thought, he moved farther and farther away from the blonde girl's group. Feng considered them foolish and naive. He knew the city offered no shortcuts to power. It was merely a temporary shelter in a world where the weak became monster fodder. He remained focused on his path until his invisibility finally wore off. He realized that even though the skill's duration was short, its cooldown timer began the moment it was activated. This meant he could turn invisible again in just a few seconds. A system screen appeared before him displaying his status. Codename, Shadow. Profession, Mortal Shadow. Both were at level 1. He had a lifetime non-negotiable of 75 years and a lifetime negotiable of 0 years. Feng explained that every player started with 10 points in each attribute, and the bonus points varied depending on their profession. In his past life as a warrior, he had only gained 3 bonus points in strength and constitution, but this time, the Mortal Shadow class provided bonuses to everything, with agility receiving a massive 8-point increase. Another system window appeared, notifying him that he had 5 free attribute points to allocate. Feng paused for a moment to think. He knew that most players put everything into strength or spirit at the start, hoping to boost their physical or magical damage. However, he believed this strategy was a complete mistake. In a world where a single monster attack could kill you, brute force was useless if you were not fast enough to dodge. With that in mind, he allocated all 5 points to agility, which now rose to a total of 10 with an additional 13 from bonuses. The system confirmed the change, and Feng felt quite satisfied. He explains that agility is the key to survival in the early game. There is no point in investing in strength or spirit, because a single hit from a monster can be fatal. But if you are fast enough, you can dodge enemies and attack without taking any damage. As he walks, his sharp senses pick up a strange sound coming from afar. He stops and strains his eyes to see what is ahead. Hidden in the shadows is a bizarre creature. It is a level 1 crawler. The system classifies it as normal. The monster's twisted body and the noises it makes create a heavy atmosphere, but Feng remains calm. He recognizes the creature. It is the same one that finished off the blonde girl's group earlier. The monster's body bears the marks of the fight, injuries that show they had managed to deal some damage before they died. The crawler notices Feng's presence and charges at him, growling, but Feng does not retreat. He easily dodges the attack, moving with precision and speed. He explains that crawlers are known for their insatiable hunger for lifetime. When they kill a player, they siphon their lifetime to become stronger and evolve. The wounds on the monster prove that the blonde girl's group fought with everything they had, but their efforts only delayed the inevitable. With a quick movement, Feng draws his short sword. A dark aura begins to emanate from his body. His eyes glow with a sinister red as he activates the latent image ability. In the blink of an eye, he vanishes, leaving the crawler confused and lost. The monster growls and turns its head from side to side, searching for its vanished prey. Little does it know that Feng is already above it, ready to strike. He deactivates his invisibility just as he descends, and his sword cuts through the air with deadly precision. This technique, which capitalizes on the attack bonus from the latent image ability, deals massive damage. The system immediately confirms the successful hit. A screen appears showing the damage, an impressive 174 points. The level 1 crawler falls to the ground, its body dissolving into energy. Feng gains 10 experience points, but even he is surprised for a second by the sheer amount of damage he caused. He had expected a strong attack, but this level of damage was far beyond what he had imagined. The system explains that the backstab ability helped immensely. When an enemy is attacked from behind, outside of their field of view, the damage is doubled. This turns Feng into a killing machine. As he reflects on this power, memories of his past life come rushing back. He remembers the difficult fights he had as a warrior, when a critical hit dealt only about 40 points of damage. Defeating a single crawler was an ordeal, and always left him tired and injured. Back then, his focus was on protecting Xiaoyu, so he sacrificed his own growth to keep her safe. He gave most of the rewards to her, and as a result, he remained weak. But now things are different. This time he is fighting for himself, and the results are already showing. The system displays his rewards: 3 days of tradable lifetime, and an incredible 54 years and 155 days of non-tradable lifetime. Feng crushes the monster's energy in his hand, feeling the surge of power, but the rewards do not stop there. Another system window appears, announcing that the Authority of Judgment has been activated. The system congratulates him for obtaining the Infinite Evolution talent, an extremely rare and powerful ability. This talent allows him to gain evolution points by killing monsters solo, and these points are used to upgrade his skills. In addition, he will receive 5 free evolution evolution points every 24 hours, and can also earn 100% of the evolution points from soloing bosses. He currently has 5 evolution points. As he processed the information, a thought crossed Feng's mind. Could infinite evolution improve his skills? In his past life, such a thing was impossible. In the game, no matter what item a monster dropped, it always came at its original level. That was the rule. But infinite evolution broke that rule, going beyond the normal limits. The potential of the skill made Feng curious. Eager to test it, he chose 2 abilities to evolve: Backstab and his profession, Deadly Shadow. As soon as he made his choice, the system announced that he had spent 4 evolution points and that the skill upgrades were successful. The first to be upgraded was his profession, Deadly Shadow, which rose to the bronze category with impressive bonuses. Now he could stay invisible for 16 seconds, even while attacking. The damage from the attack that breaks invisibility increased from 60 to 80, and the cooldown time decreased from 28 to 26 seconds. Next, the Backstab skill also improved. The passive damage when attacking from behind was now 15% instead of 10%. With these upgrades, Feng noticed that his latent image skill now lasted 16 seconds, and since the effect of invisibility mastery doubled this time, he could stay invisible for 32 seconds, almost continuously. He thought that if he had this before, he could have killed the crawler in a single blow, even at full health. His thoughts were cut short by an arrogant voice nearby, someone doubting that a skinny guy like him could kill a monster alone. He turns and sees 2 people, a muscular guy trying to impress a girl. The girl, all excited, calls him Genji and says that with a physique like his, he could probably kill 10 monsters at once. Genji laughs and assures her that with him around, she has nothing to fear. Watching the scene, Feng realizes something is wrong. A shadow falls over the 2, and he sees a huge, spider-like monster hidden in the tree right above them. Without even noticing the danger, Genji turns to Feng and makes an offer. He tells Feng to join their group, and he will protect him. But Feng was already moving, as he recognized the monster as a nurse. Without a second thought, he activates latent image and vanishes. The girl sees it all and points to where Feng was. Genji just shrugs and laughs, convinced, saying the weakling must have been scared of his strength. But the arrogance doesn't last long. Before he could react, the giant spider jumps on him, followed by a smaller one. By the time Genji realized the danger, it was too late. The creatures attack and crush him and the girl in an instant. The system identifies the monsters: the nurse, a level 1 bronze rarity boss, and its partner, a level 1 common baby spider. Nearby, still invisible, Feng calmly analyzes the situation. The nurse is a powerful enemy with about 1,600 health points. Impossible for a novice to face, especially since it controls a swarm of smaller spiders. Even so, Feng sees this as the perfect chance to test his upgraded skills. Without hesitation, he advances on the nurse and attacks, breaking his invisibility to maximize damage. His blade hits its mark, and the nurse recoils with blood gushing out. The beast retaliates with a powerful blow, but Feng dodges quickly and slides under its leg. Without wasting a moment, he reactivates latent image and vanishes again. A system notification confirms he dealt 338 damage. It was a good hit, but not enough against such a strong enemy. Another message informs him that he took 9 damage, a mere scratch. With his agility and only 130 health, he knew a direct fight would be suicide. Still, he was impressed by the strength of his upgraded attack, as dealing over 300 damage in a single blow was incredible. Frustrated, the nurse explodes in rage and starts attacking everything around it in a desperate attempt to retaliate. Feng watched attentively, knowing these creatures were not stupid. They adapt and fight back. The battle was far from over, but he was more than ready to test his new strength. He quickly realized the nurse was attacking in all directions, making a direct assault too risky. With the smaller spider also on the lookout, a frontal attack was out of the question. Instead, he tried a different tactic. Just as the nurse began to shoot webs to escape, a rock flew at high speed and struck its belly, tearing a hole and dealing 299 damage according to the system. His strategy was to take advantage of the extra damage from breaking invisibility and use his enhanced skills to make thrown objects count as real attacks. And since the system registered rocks as a valid attack, every one he threw was like a sword strike. He threw another rock, knowing that as soon as the cooldown was over, he could repeat the process endlessly. Soon, the system confirmed another hit, dealing 279 damage. Using this tactic repeatedly, he slowly weakened the nurse. Before long, an announcement echoed throughout Shell City. The leaderboard had been updated, informing everyone that a player named Shadow had defeated the nurse and become the first to reach level 2. With his name announced to all, the city's ranking was officially opened. The other players could not believe what they heard. Many remembered having died to the nurse several times, so they thought it was impossible for a single player to defeat it. Soon, rumors about this mysterious Shadow began to spread. Some thought he had used a glitch, while others stared at the ranking, shocked to see only one name on the list. Amidst the stunned crowd, the blonde girl from before and her team were also there. She could not understand how a level 1 player had defeated a boss alone when even normal monsters were a challenge for her team. The doubt crept in. Could the system be bugged? Genji and his friend, the same ones who had died to the nurse, were also there, completely bewildered. Suddenly, Genji's friend remembered the guy they had looked down on earlier. Could he be Shadow? She thought. Meanwhile, Feng received a system notification confirming his victory. He had gained 300 XP, reached level 2, and received 2 evolution points. He also unlocked the Shell City ranking and gained 1 reputation point. The entire city had been notified of his deed. Watching the nurse's body dissolve into energy, Feng noted that when the boss dies, the smaller spiders flee in fear. He lamented not having killed them first, as he had lost a good amount of XP. Another system notification showed his rewards: 46 days of lifetime, tradable, and a bronze level skill book called Hand of Avarice. He also received the Dagger of Corruption, a bronze level weapon that granted plus 135 +5 attack and +4 agility, and 2 more evolution points. Curious, he focused on the Hand of Avarice book. The system explained that it was an assassin-exclusive skill that allowed him to loot extra rewards from monster corpses with a 20% chance of success. The only requirement was to be level 1. Feng was stunned by his luck. For a bronze boss to drop such a rare skill was incredible. It would greatly increase his chances of getting equipment. He remembered a player from his past life, the God of Sin, who despite being bad at fighting became super famous in the game solely because of this skill. The guy became so influential that he even had bodyguards. Suddenly, an idea struck Feng. If Hand of Avarice had a 20% chance, what would happen if he combined it with his infinite evolution talent? In theory, he could not only increase the success rate, but also the number of items he could get. The thought filled him with anticipation. The scene cuts to the real world, where students are walking to school. Among them is Xiaoyu, Feng's sister, and a friend of hers. As they walk together, Xiaoyu's friend tells her to call her brother and apologize. The friend reminds her that they skipped an important exam the day before, just to secretly support Song Fei, and that her brother must be furious. But Xiaoyu doesn't want to hear it, insisting she did nothing wrong. To her, the one at fault is her brother, who stopped her from seeing Song Fei. If anyone has to apologize, it's him, she says. Her friend tries to reason with her, reminding her how good her brother has always been to her, and even says she's jealous of how caring he is. Xiaoyu coldly cuts her off and tells her not to meddle. He isn't even my real brother, she says. My brother is Song Fei. When they arrive at school, they see a commotion in the classroom. A group of students is gathered around a desk, whispering. They get closer and see a bizarre scene. Their classmate, Zhang Hui, is slumped over his desk, and his body is slowly fading away. Panic begins to set in, and a girl asks what's happening. Another student explains that Zhang Hui just said he was going to take a nap, and then started to disappear. Murmurs spread as other students mention he isn't the only one this is happening to. Social media is full of similar cases from all over the world. People are falling asleep and becoming translucent, but nobody knows why. Frightened, one of the female students quickly grabs her phone. She wants to call her parents and insists that Xiaoyu call her brother too. But Xiaoyu, still angry, refuses. She says she hates her brother and won't contact him, even going so far as to say the world would be a better place if he died. Meanwhile, in the game, the system confirms that the evolution of Hand of Avarice is complete. The skill has leveled up from bronze to gold, and the chance to get extra items has increased from 20% to 40%. The system also announces that Feng has gained 2 more evolution points and 46 days of lifespan, tradable. He is impressed by his own luck. Besides gaining extra points, he now only needs 1 more point to evolve Hand of Avarice again. With 3 points, he can max out the skill, giving it a 100% chance to obtain extra items. The mere thought of it excites him. His path to power is progressing faster than he had imagined. Feng activates latent image and vanishes, thinking that by now, the whole world must have noticed the strange phenomenon of people falling asleep and not waking up. Soon, a flood of players will enter the game, and he needs to stay ahead of everyone. His priority is to get better equipment to gain an advantage. The system then confirms he has equipped the Dagger of Corruption, which increased his attack by 35 points and his agility by 4. He thinks that people will soon discover that skills and items from the game can be brought into the real world, and when that happens, the world will descend into chaos. He remembers that for this to be possible, 2 conditions must be met: reaching level 10 and accumulating enough lifespan, tradable. Looking at his status, he realizes that just killing normal monsters won't be enough. It's too slow of a process. To speed things up, he needs to hunt stronger bosses. His thoughts are cut short by the sound of a fight in the distance. Following the noise, he walks to the edge of a cliff and peers down below. A group of players is fighting a runner, a level 2 bronze-class monster that seems to be winning the fight with ease. A smile appeared on Feng's face. Just as he was about to lose focus, an opportunity presented itself. He paid closer attention and recognized one of the men fighting, Wang Meng. Feng didn't expect to see him here, but it seemed the rumors about Wang Meng were true. They said that when he joined the game, he formed a team of 6 players, each with a secret profession. In the middle of the fight, Wang Meng activated Sacred Barrier, creating a golden shield to protect himself from the runner's relentless attacks. Feng watched in silence, noting that Wang Meng's secret profession, Sacred Shield Warrior, gave him double the attributes of a normal warrior and also an invincibility skill. The scene shifted to a red-haired mage who stepped forward and cast a fireball. The spell hit the runner, but it only dealt 70 damage. Feng recognized her as an arcane prophetess, a secret class that doubled magic damage. Next, he looked at the group's archer and priest. The archer used a longbow and belonged to the sharp-eyed archer class, which had double the normal attributes and fired arrows continuously. The priest was an oracle priest and healed for twice the amount of a common priest. Despite the endless attacks from the archer and the mage, the runner was too fast and dodged everything with ease. The fight suddenly changed when the monster landed a powerful blow on Wang Meng, shattering his barrier and knocking him back. As Wang Meng tried to get up, the archer complained that the runner's speed made it nearly impossible to hit from a distance. Even after being healed by the priest, Wang Meng remained steadfast. He told them to stick to the strategy. He would act as the tank while the priest healed, and eventually they would win. Looking down from above, Feng smirked at Wang Meng's optimism. His strategy might have been good in theory, but this was a battlefield. The longer the fight dragged on, the greater the chance of attracting unwanted attention, and as if on cue, dark figures appeared out of nowhere. Feng narrowed his eyes, seeing a new threat arrive. They were contaminators, common level 2 monsters covered in a dark slime that attacked from a distance. Wang Meng's expression turned to one of concern as the monsters advanced. One of Wang Meng's partners rushed forward, shouting about the danger. The player attacked the contaminators with a huge sword, but to everyone's surprise, the blow barely left a scratch. each, dealing only 33 damage. Watching the scene unfold, Feng's interest grew. That team had secret professions he didn't even know about, but even with those abilities, they were struggling against the creatures. The Contaminator counterattacked, spitting a goo that trapped the players to the ground. Wang Meng's partners fell back, complaining of a horrible stench and realizing they couldn't move. Meanwhile, another Contaminator chased after the red-haired mage, who ran desperately, screaming for help. At that moment, Feng decided to act. Without any warning, he vanished from the top of the cliff. A second later, the monster that had been chasing the mage appeared with its head severed, defeated in a single blow. Wang Meng and his team stood in stunned silence, trying to process what had just happened. A Contaminator had been killed in a single blow? The monster's body dissolved into light, and the mage asked awkwardly if someone was helping them. Now, free from the slime, the swordsman was stunned. He thought that even a level 1 crawler took about 10 seconds of combined attacks from everyone to kill, and here was a level 2 Contaminator, destroyed in an instant. Before they could react, another Contaminator fell to a single blow that dealt 441 damage. In a panic, the swordsman asked the mage, Lizzie, if she had seen the attacker, but she just shook her head, confused. Wang Meng quickly composed himself and gathered the team. He ordered everyone to stay focused, because even with the help of the invisible ally, they still had to fight. Meanwhile, Feng, still invisible, settled into a tree behind Wang Meng. As the team refocused on the corridor, Wang Meng realized that without the Contaminators, only it remained. At that moment, a system screen appeared for Feng, confirming that he had killed 2 Contaminators and gained 40 XP and 1 evolution point. Additionally, he obtained a new skill book, Poison Dart, and another 8 days of lifespan, tradable. Looking at the screen, Feng considered the new skill. Poison Dart was a ranged attack that dealt continuous damage, an incredibly useful skill for an assassin. Without a second thought, he evolved it on the spot. The skill rose from normal to silver level, and the system detailed the improvements. Poison Dart could now be thrown from 14 meters away, dealing 120 damage on impact. Additionally, it applied poison to the target, dealing an extra 50% damage per second for 5 seconds. The effect did not stack, but the cooldown was only 5 seconds. Feng smiled at his new power. Meanwhile, Wang Meng's fight had turned into a nightmare. The corridor was stronger and faster, completely dominating the battle. When Wang Meng raised his shield, the beast's claws tore into his side. Before he could recover, the creature attacked again, sinking its claws even deeper and throwing him to the ground like a doll. The shield fell with a loud clang, and Wang Meng screamed in pain. His partners watched in horror. The priest rushed to heal him, but it was no use. With the monster's claws still embedded in his body, the healing magic didn't work. Blood trickled from Wang Meng's mouth as he gathered his strength to tell the team to flee. But before they could do anything, a projectile flew through the air and hit the monster square in the face, dealing 845 damage and making the beast recoil in pain. Wang Meng's team was in shock as they saw the boss's health drop by half in seconds. And the attack wasn't over. The poison made blood gush out endlessly, weakening the beast. The corridor writhed in pain and finally released Wang Meng, who collapsed, wounded, on the ground. The monster screamed as its health was drained by 324 points per second, until it finally fell dead. At that moment, a system screen appeared for Feng. Since his attack dealt more than 90% of the total damage to the boss, he received all the items. The system announced that he had killed the corridor boss, earning 600 XP. Another notification congratulated him on reaching level 13, granting him 2 evolution points and another 55 days of lifespan, tradable. Feng looked at the outcome of the fight, feeling in complete control. He hadn't expected the continuous damage from Poison Dart to synergize so well with his other skills. Then it hit him. Using his invisibility, he could remain hidden forever, just endlessly firing poison darts. He figured that with this strategy, he would be invincible in the early and mid-game. Meanwhile, Wang Meng was still in shock, watching the boss turn into items before his eyes. The pain of being pierced had been so real that he began to doubt if this was even a game. His thoughts were cut short when the items vanished in front of him, snatched away in the blink of an eye. It was Feng who had taken everything, moving so fast that Wang Meng didn't even see him. Struggling to his feet, Wang Meng bowed his head in gratitude and thanked the mysterious person who had saved them, even without knowing who it was. Feng's voice echoed from the shadows, his identity still concealed. He warned Wang Meng not to trust others so easily, especially in a dangerous place like this. Wang Meng agreed, understanding the lesson, and thanked him for the warning. Then he introduced himself. My name is Wang Meng. If you ever need help, just ask. Meanwhile, Wang Meng's surviving teammates embraced each other, relieved to have escaped the horrifying situation. Back with Feng, he stood in silence, holding the monster's drops and considering his next move. He knew Wang Meng wasn't just a strong guy, but someone with official government backing, which meant he had extensive connections and money. This gave Feng an idea. He needed a safe way to sell the equipment and items he wasn't going to use. Activating Hand of Avarice on the items, a system notification popped up, congratulating him on obtaining another 3 evolution points and 55 days of life, tradable. In addition, he also received a bronze tier item, the Runner's Greaves. The system explained that the item provided +9 physical defense, +5 to all resistances, and reduced ability cooldowns by 15%. Looking at his inventory, he saw he had acquired many good items for various classes. He decided that as soon as his bag was full, he would return to Shell City to exchange what he didn't need for more life. With a cold gaze, he thought about how his current progress was much faster than in his past life. A sinister smile appeared on his face as he murmured that Song Fei would soon be in for a surprise. The scene cut to another group of players fighting contaminators and runners. Their situation was dire, with the monsters surrounding them from all sides. One of the players, seeing it was hopeless, shouted for the others to run, but before they could escape, they froze in fear. A giant, bizarre monster appeared before them, exuding a sense of danger. The creature then attacked, firing parts of its own body like arrows, which pierced through the players and killed them instantly. Moments later, the players reappeared in Shell City, frustrated and cursing the game's unfairness. They complained that the monsters always attacked in packs and ran away when they were close to death, proving they were intelligent. One of them asked worriedly, "How are we supposed to get out of the game if we can't even reach level 3? Another player then began to explain the harsh reality. The only way to leave the game was to reach level 3, so they needed to level up quickly. One of the players suggested forming a larger group, from 6 to 10 people, to make things easier. But another guy immediately shot down the idea, saying he had already seen a group of 10 get wiped out by a huge mob of monsters. A third player joined the conversation, warning that a team that was too big would only attract bosses. He mentioned that he had just seen a group of 40 players accidentally summon a boss called the Accursed, which killed 30 of them with a single skill. Elsewhere, the blonde girl and her team also reappeared in Conktown, their faces showing frustration and fear. If they didn't reach level 3, they would be trapped in the game forever. The blonde girl clenched her fists in desperation. She began to think that since everyone had entered the game while sleeping, only their consciousness was here. If they couldn't get out, their bodies in the real world would starve to death. Just thinking about it sent a shiver down her spine. One of her partners, an assassin, said worriedly that they had already died 3 times and had less than 10 years of lifespan left. Before he could finish, the blonde girl cut him off firmly, saying that dying again was not an option. At that moment, the Conktown rankings shimmered in the air. Everyone's eyes widened. At the top of the list was the mysterious Shadow, Feng, who had already reached level 3. He was followed by Wangmeng and Bala, who were still at level 1. The blonde girl's mind started racing. How was he leveling up so fast? He must know a way they didn't. Determined, she made a decision. If that mysterious player knew how to level up quickly, they needed to convince him to help. Clenching her fists, she gave an order to her team. "Spread the word," she said. "If Shadow can help us reach level 3 and leave the game, I will personally pay him 10 million when we get back to the real world." She gave a confident smile, thinking no one would refuse such an offer. The scene cuts back to Feng, who was effortlessly killing contaminators with his poison dart. As soon as another monster fell, the system notified him that he had gained 20 XP and 1 evolution point. Since he already had enough points, he immediately began to evolve Hand of Avarice. A confirmation screen appeared, deducting 5 evolution points and resetting his balance to 0. Then, another screen showed the upgrade. Hand of Avarice had been upgraded from Platinum to Jade level. The system explained that the chance of obtaining extra items increased from 110% to 160%, and there was now also a 20% chance for the extra item's rarity to increase by 1 tier. Looking at the changes, Feng realized the immense potential of the upgrade. A skill that could increase the rarity of items was incredibly valuable. As he was thinking about this, a bright light in the distance caught his attention. A bizarre, enormous figure appeared, the same one that had wiped out an entire group of players earlier. Feng recognized it instantly when the system identified it as the Accursed, a bronze-level boss. The creature was hunched over, sucking up blue energies that were the remnants of dead players. Analyzing the scene, Feng understood that the monster was evolving, feeding on the energy to become a silver-level boss. Judging by the number of lights, it must have killed about 40 players. A quick look at his inventory, however, revealed a problem. His inventory was already full. Even if he killed the monster, he would have no way to loot the drops. This situation called for a new tactic. After a moment of thought, he marked the location on his map. The monster's evolution would take some time, which gave him the perfect chance to return to the city, sell the items he didn't need, and then come back for the fight. With his plan set, he activated Latent Image and vanished into the darkness. The scene cuts back to Conk City, where the players were stunned by a bold announcement. The blonde girl was offering 10 million to the number 1 ranked player in exchange for help leveling up. In the middle of the crowd, a girl started to cry, saying that normal people like her had no hope of leaving the game. Her cries were cut short when someone suddenly dragged her away, showing everyone just how tense the situation was. Amid the whispers and tension, the atmosphere suddenly changed. An aura of power filled the area, and all eyes turned to the newcomer. It was Feng. His mere presence exuded a sense of power, silencing the crowd. Without a word, he opened the system window and accessed the selling function. Instantly, a giant notification appeared above him, announcing that he had opened a shop to sell equipment and skills. The message also stated that the shop would only be open for 10 minutes, creating a sense of urgency among the crowd. Seated calmly, Feng displayed a collection of gleaming items he had obtained from his battles. An uproar erupted among the players, their voices loud with confusion and astonishment. Some wondered how he had gotten there, while others were shocked to see he was selling 2 sets of bronze-level equipment and even more items. Then it clicked when they saw his name, Shadow, the number 1 player. But even though he was famous, no one could see his face due to the appearance concealment function. One player commented that since in-game appearances were the same as in real life, Feng must be hiding his identity on purpose. Amid the murmurs, a woman stepped forward. From her clothes and demeanor, it was obvious she was a mage. Without hesitation, she asked the price of the Cone of Ice spell. Feng replied directly, 100 days of tradable lifespan. Inwardly, he recognized her as Grey Rosie, ranked 11th in the city. He also noted that her face was concealed. Grey Rosie thought for a moment and tried to negotiate, saying that 100 days was too expensive and asking if he could lower the price. But Feng didn't budge. He explained that Cone of Ice was an essential skill for mages in the early game because it helped kill monsters much faster. Given its value, 100 days was already a fair price. She then asked if he would accept real money, but Feng refused. He suggested that if she had money, she should buy lifespan from other players and come back when she had enough. After a moment of consideration, situation, Grey Rosie turned to her two teammates to hear their opinion. They immediately supported her decision, saying they had only reached level 2 so quickly because of her. One of them added that with Cone of Ice, the group would reach level 3 much faster, allowing them to return to reality soon. Without further hesitation, Grey Rosie told them to transfer all their lifespan to her, promising to pay them back with real money once they were out of the game. Then she turned back to Feng and transferred the 100 days, confirming her purchase of the spell. Feng quickly analyzed the situation. He calculated that for a level 2 group to have come this far, they must have killed 30 or 40 crawlers, meaning that together they had over 100 days of lifespan. The system confirmed the sale of the Cone of Ice, and Feng gained 100 days, bringing his total to 368. Just as Grey Rosie was about to leave, a familiar person appeared. It was the blonde girl from before, who approached him with a conceited air. With an air of superiority, she said she had finally found him, and, with an arrogant smile, offered him an opportunity. If he helped her reach level 3, she would pay him 10 million when they returned to the real world. The surrounding players were shocked, whispering that the rumors were true. Earning 10 million so easily seemed unreal. She continued to boast, saying her father was the president of Young Industries, so money was no object. Feng, however, remained unmoved. He assessed the situation and recognized her, Young Li. In his past life, she was the leader of a notorious criminal organization that had been dismantled by the authorities. Reports from that time showed her methods. She would lure people with promises of money in exchange for their lifespan, only to later kidnap and enslave them. Those who resisted met a horrible end in the real world. With a cold expression, Feng bluntly refused the offer and told her to get lost. Young Li was frozen in disbelief. She couldn't understand why anyone would refuse such a chance. Frustrated, she warned him that even though he was strong in the game, no one truly understood what was happening, and if he joined her, he could have a life of luxury with everything he could ever want. But Feng was unfazed. He said that if she was not going to buy anything, she should leave. He knew the truth. Money would soon be worthless. The only currency that would matter was tradable lifespan. Young Li's face twisted with rage. She exploded, calling him an ungrateful fool and every name in the book, and threatened him, saying that if they were in the real world, she would have already dealt with him. But Feng had no patience for threats. His gaze turned dark, and he spoke in a cold voice, warning her that if she said one more word, he would guarantee she would lose every last day of her lifespan. To make the threat clear, he released a heavy, terrifying aura that sent shivers down everyone's spine. Young Li and her partners immediately backed away, their false courage vanishing as they scrambled to escape. With the commotion settled, Feng returned to selling. The system confirmed another sale. A tunic was sold for an additional 19 days of lifespan, leaving his total at 546 days. The players who bought from him were impressed by the power of the new items, but Feng was already thinking about something else. With everything sold, it was time to take care of that boss. Activating his latent image skill, he vanished. As he moved away, he thought about how ignorant the other players were. None of them knew that tradable lifespan had another secret function, one that would soon shake the entire world. No one knew that this game was about to turn the world upside down. As the players stared at the empty space where he had been, completely baffled, Feng contemplated the grim truth. Everything the rich and powerful possessed would soon be worthless. In the new era that was coming, only one thing would matter: strength. And anyone who didn't understand that would be left behind. The scene changes to Jung Li and her team, who are out of breath from running. Furious, she says that Shadow not only refused her offer, but also threatened her. She swears that as soon as she gets back to the real world, she will find him and kill him. Just then, a man approaches and introduces himself as Mai Li Xian, or Lao Mao. He says he is level 2 and knows a few tricks for leveling up. He then asks if he can take the offer that Shadow refused, the 5 million to help her team reach level 3. Since he wasn't as strong, he'd accept half the amount. Suspicious, Young Li asks what these tricks are. Lao Mao explains that to level up quickly, the secret was to put all 5 attribute points into agility. That way, their running speed would be slightly faster than the monsters, allowing them to defeat them without taking too much of a beating. Jung Li's eyes widen. She thinks about how foolish she was for putting all her points into strength. She accepts Lao Mao's proposal on the spot. He agrees and adds that Shadow must be a little crazy for turning down so much money. The scene returns to Feng, who arrives at the location he had marked on the map. Still invisible, he sees that the cursed one had already evolved to the silver level. From the gray mist around its body, it was still in the middle of the process. Feng calculates that the complete evolution to gold would take about 7 or 8 hours. Since he wasn't going to wait, he attacks with a poison dart. The first blow deals 659 damage due to the surprise attack. The poison starts draining 219 health per second. Feng advances, thinking that a silver boss's health was 2 or 3 times greater than a bronze one's. Suddenly, the monster gathers a huge amount of energy in its hands. Feng realizes he needs to land 2 or 3 more darts, but the monster attacks first, destroying everything around it. Feng explains that the cursed one was a magic boss, with area of effect attacks that dealt a lot of damage. He recounts that as soon as he threw the dart, he retreated instantly and barely managed to escape. Still invisible, he knew that if he had taken that hit head-on, with his current health and defense, he would be dead. The battle continues. The monster charges another attack, but Feng remains calm, moving and keeping an eye on his skill cooldowns. The plan was simple: wait for an opening, strike, and vanish before the counterattack. Moments later, the monster falters. It was the perfect chance. He advances and attacks with another poison dart, dealing another 659 damage and reactivating the poison. Seeing it was in danger, the boss tries to flee, but Feng doesn't let it. He pursues it with a cold gaze. The monster's attempt to escape was pathetic. In a swift move, Feng disappears and reappears above the creature's head, smashing it into the ground. The system confirms his victory. He defeated the cursed one, a silver-level boss. Notifications explode on the screen. screen, 1800 XP, leveling him up from 3 to 5 at once, 4 evolution points and 124 days of tradable lifetime. Feng smiles. Killing a single boss made him jump 2 levels, and even gave him bonus evolution points. As the monster's body dissolved into items, he uses the evolved Hand of Greed. The system confirms its success, and the rewards are even better. Another 4 evolution points and another 124 days of lifetime, doubling what he had gained. He smiles. Not bad. In total, the silver boss gave him 12 evolution points and 372 days of lifetime, but there was still more. The extra effect of Hand of Greed activated, upgrading one of the silver items to gold, a golden tier. No wonder this skill is Jade level, he thinks. He looks at the items on the ground. There were about 7 or 8 pieces of equipment, but his backpack only had 10 empty slots. He sighs. Having to go back to the city every time he killed a boss was a waste of time. The ideal thing would have been if the creature had dropped a storage ring or something like it. Just as Feng was about to look at one of the items, the scene cuts back to the city. There, Lizzie, the mage from Wang Meng's team, reappears in a flash of light, relieved. The rest of the team appears shortly after, thanking Wang Meng. They say that without his leadership, they wouldn't have reached level 3 and returned safely. But Wang Meng brushes off the compliments, saying it was a team effort. Lizzie, however, regrets not being able to add that guy as a friend during the fight. She thought it might have been because she was covered in mud at the time. A teammate jokes with her, saying that now, with her clean clothes, she looked great and that the mysterious player wouldn't reject her again. As they were talking, a system announcement echoed through the city. The ranking had been updated. Shadow had reached level 5. The news shocked everyone. Someone shouted in disbelief, asking how Shadow had jumped from level 3 to 5 so quickly. The only explanation was that he had killed a powerful boss. Another player chimed in, saying he had seen Shadow selling items in the square just 10 minutes ago. In the midst of the desperation, a guy said, half joking and half serious, that his younger sister had just turned 18, and that if Shadow took a liking to her, it would be great for the family. His friends cut him off immediately, reminding him that Shadow was the guy who didn't even care about a 10 million offer. There was no chance he would be interested in a marriage proposal. Meanwhile, Wang Meng's team started to panic. They had barely celebrated reaching level 3, and Shadow was already far ahead. But Wang Meng remained calm and told them to forget about it for now. The important thing was to leave the game, return to reality, and warn their family and friends about this dangerous game. As their bodies began to fade, the system confirmed the logout. Wang Meng's last words were serious. If the world is really descending into chaos, the least we can do is prepare the ones we love. The scene cuts to the real world. Wang Meng's eyes open, and at the same moment, a voice shouts, "Captain!" He wasn't just any player. Wang Meng was a police officer. His colleagues rushed to his side, worried. One of them said they had been very worried because Wang Meng's body had started to turn transparent while he was unconscious. The terrifying truth became clear. If a player died in the game, they weren't just disconnected, they were erased from existence in the real world. But with no time to dwell on it, Wang Meng got up and ordered everyone to assemble. Something serious has happened, he said. The scene continues at a police station, where a voice of authority questions Wang Meng about his report. The voice summarizes, Wang Meng's team had a huge advantage, as they all had a secret profession. Even so, they were nearly killed by a single monster, and were only saved at the last second by an unknown player, Shadow. Wang Meng confirms that the report is correct and details Shadow's absurd progress. He explains that when Shadow helped them, he was at level 3. But by the time Wang Meng's team finally reached level 3, Shadow was already at 5, a 2-level jump that no one had ever seen before. The revelation left the high-ranking officials concerned. One of them asked the obvious question, does this mean Shadow is the strongest player in the world right now? How did he level up so fast? Theories began to surface, and Wang Meng offered a possible explanation. Maybe he killed a very strong boss or did something incredible. Another official, curious, pointed out a strange detail in the report. Shadow was already at level 3 when he saved them. If that's the case, why didn't he leave the game with the others? Could it be that he has no family or friends in the real world? No reason to come back? Wang Meng admitted that he knew nothing about Shadow. At that moment, a female officer interjected with a wild theory. She suggested that Shadow might be a transmigrator. She explained that these are people who appear out of nowhere and get strong very quickly, and they are often orphans, which would explain why he didn't return. Her theory left the room in silence, and realizing what she had said, she turned red with embarrassment. The high-ranking official, unamused, called her by name, Amy, and told her to stop joking around at such a serious time. He dismissed the theory, saying she had been reading too many novels, and returned to the main topic with important information. According to secret reports, researchers had been investigating something concerning. Many elderly people were mysteriously dying in their sleep. When they cross-referenced this data with information from the game, the conclusion was terrifying. The people who had died in their sleep had also died multiple times in the game. This confirmed the truth. If a player's life reaches 0 in the game, they don't just die there, they die in the real world too. One of the officers said that the game was an anomaly, something they couldn't understand. The chief agreed, suggesting it could be an invasion by beings from other dimensions. The idea left everyone in silence. Without wasting any time, the chief moved on to urgent matters, announcing that the government would be issuing an emergency order. Each officer must form a team, enter the game, and gather as much information as possible. He explained that this wasn't just a police matter. The government itself was mobilizing. It was a global race, with every nation trying to understand this new reality. Falling behind would mean losing power on the world stage. With that, the chief announced his decision. Amy would be the captain of Team 1. She accepted immediately. Wang Meng was appointed vice captain, and the two of them were given permission to choose their own team. Wang Meng agreed, understanding the weight of the mission. The chief then returned to the subject of Shadow. According to the report, he didn't seem to be a bad person. Therefore, the chief gave a direct order. Amy and Wang Meng were to try to get close to him. The objective was to find out who he was and try to work with him. The chief explained why he had put Amy in command. Her experience with games and fiction made her the ideal person to investigate someone like Shadow, whose actions seemed to be the stuff of legend. The chief said he hoped they could bring Shadow over to their side. Meanwhile, the other police officers were to maintain order and prevent panic in the city. With that, the meeting concluded. The sun was setting, and the officers prepared themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. The next day, the scene cut to a school, where Xiaoyu sat at her desk, lost in thought, while the other students chattered excitedly about everything that had happened. A group of students discusses some news. Zhang Hui, the boy who had been missing, managed to reach level 3 and get out of the game safely. One of the girls explains that he shared an important detail. If several people from the same region fall asleep at the same time, they all go to the same starting city in the game. The news leaves the students both excited and worried. Another girl is terrified by the idea. She says she needs to go home and bring her parents into the game because they don't know anything about gaming and she's afraid something will happen if they enter unprepared. But another student disagrees, saying it's better not to involve their parents yet. He thinks they should focus on getting stronger first so they can protect their families later. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu stares at her phone, thoughtful and increasingly frustrated. She didn't understand why her brother hadn't spoken to her yet, with something as huge as this game happening. She had expected at least a message, but there was nothing. Not only had he not asked if she was okay, but he hadn't even apologized for hitting her, and that wasn't like him at all. Before, whenever they fought, he always found a way to make peace. But today, there was only silence. Not even her parents had ever laid a finger on her, yet her own brother had done it. Pouting, she tries to justify herself, thinking that she had only skipped class to see Song Fei's concert. Was it really that big of a deal, she wonders? Crossing her arms, she decides she'll only forgive him if he calls and apologizes 1,000 times. But her anger soon turns to excitement when she thinks of Song Fei. It's a good thing I went yesterday, she thinks. When the game takes over everything, I might not get another chance to see his concerts. A dopey look crosses her face as she remembers the previous night. The image of Song Fei on stage appears in her mind, and she sighs, thinking about how incredible he was. But then it hits her. If everyone enters the game by sleeping, then music idols will enter too. She blushes, just imagining meeting him in there. Could this be her chance? Destiny finally bringing them together? Her heart races at the idea. As she gets ready for bed, she remembers something. Song Fei had reached level 13 very quickly, which meant he was already an expert at the game. To do well, she was going to need some good advice. So she sends a message to Song Fei, asking if he has any good tips to give her before she goes in. The scene cuts to Song Fei, surrounded by classmates. When he receives the message, a sly smile appears on his face. Who would have thought, he thinks, even a goddess like Xiaoyu is coming to me for advice. He sees it as a golden opportunity, a sign from the heavens. This was his chance. Without wasting any time, Song Fei replies, full of confidence, saying she came to the right person. Then he reveals the secret. At the beginning, she should put all her attribute points into agility. Otherwise, she won't be able to escape the monsters and will die quickly. She asks if that's even true for the mage class, and Song Fei confirms that it is. He explains that agility also helps mages because it increases their spellcasting speed, which is super important at the start. Still a bit hesitant, Xiaoyu insisted, asking what would happen if she couldn't win, even with more agility. Song Fei reassured her, saying that as soon as someone in their city reached level 5, the teleportation portal would activate, connecting all the starting cities. When that happened, he promised he would form a party to help her level up, and that he would find her. Hearing this, Xiaoyu became excited. Lying in bed, she smiled, thinking to herself that fools like Song Fei were easy to use. Just like that, she had found someone to carry her in the game. As sleep overtook her, another thought came to mind. This was perfect. She would enter the game before her brother, level up quickly, and get stronger, and when he finally entered, she would make sure he suffered. No help, no one to carry him. He would have to fend for himself. Satisfied with her plan, she fell asleep, eager for the adventure. The scene returns to the game, where Feng is looking at the items dropped by the boss. Amid the loot, a shining ring caught his attention. When he picked it up, the system notified him that he had obtained the cursed ring, a gold tier item. The system detailed the ring's attributes. It could be used by all classes. It gave +8 to all attributes. It increased resistance to dark damage by 26. It improved weak point damage by 1.5x. The only requirement was to be level 4 to equip it. Analyzing the item, Feng realized that the total bonus of 32 attribute points was equivalent to gaining about 3 levels. He concluded that the ring was an excellent item. Before he could think further, another notification appeared. He had obtained a new skill, Instant Shadow Strike, a silver tier skill. The system explained that the skill delivered several slashes in one direction, with a range of 15 meters, and also made him invincible for 5 seconds. Feng realized it was a great area of effect attack. Without wasting time, he learned the skill, and since he still had evolution points left, he decided to upgrade Hand of Avarice. The system took 8 points and upgraded the skill from Jade tier to Diamond tier. The effects improved greatly. The chance to get extra items increased to 220%, and the chance for those items to have their rarity upgraded went up to 40%. Thinking about the upgrade, Feng calculated that he would now get at least 2 extra items per monster, making each kill worth 3 times as much. To not waste the remaining points, he upgraded Instant Shadow Strike by 3 levels. The skill quickly rose from Silver tier to Platinum tier. The improvements were significant. The range increased to 21 meters, the invincibility went up to 7 seconds, and the number of slashes went from 3 to 5. The most important change was the damage of each strike, which doubled to 200. Looking at the rest of the loot, he saw that most of the items were junk, but one of them caught his eye, a Silver tier Warrior skill book. He looks at the Warrior skill book and realizes that selling it could earn him a good amount of life lifespan. Just as he finishes this thought, a noise catches his attention. Turning around, he sees 3 huge creatures running toward him. He identifies them immediately. Limb crawlers, grotesque level 4 monsters. But instead of feeling threatened, Feng sees this as the perfect chance to test his power. Without wasting a moment, he activates Instant Dark Slash. In the blink of an eye, he unleashes a sequence of high-speed slashes and effortlessly destroys the creatures. The crawlers are torn to pieces before they can even react. When the dust settles, a system notification confirms his victory, granting him 80 XP and another 5 days of tradable lifespan. After the fight, a dark and powerful aura emanates from Feng's body. He calmly reflects on his new power, realizing he can now kill enemies much faster. He checks his lifespan and sees he now has 618 days, but to bring his skills and items into the real world, he needs at least 900 days. With this in mind, he comes up with a plan. First, he'll sell all the valuable items in his inventory. If everything goes well, he'll get the necessary lifespan faster than he thinks. And once he reaches level 10, he can finally bring things from the game into the real world. The scene cuts to Feng returning to the city, invisible thanks to his skill. Unnoticed, he overhears a nearby conversation. A man is congratulating a woman on reaching level 3 and reminds her of a promise. Looking closer, Feng sees it's Young Li and Lao Mao. Their conversation reveals their deal. Lao Mao would help her reach level 3 so she could leave the game in exchange for 5 million. Now that she has succeeded, he wants his payment. Young Li calms him down, asking if he doubts her father's company, Zheng Industries, has the money. She explains that she'll leave the game and make the payment in the real world. Before leaving, she gives Lao Mao her phone number and tells him to call her as soon as he gets out too. Then, she makes another offer. She wants to buy all his tradable lifespan, offering 10,000 for each day. Lao Mao accepts immediately, smiling at the chance to make some cash. With a smug air, he comments on how foolish Feng was to refuse her offer. Unaware that Feng is right there beside him, listening to everything, Lao Mao thinks about how the idea of lifespan being important in the game is nonsense. To him, turning in-game assets into real-world wealth is the best strategy, and he considers himself a genius for thinking of it. The scene shifts to Feng in front of the city's teleportation portal. With a touch, the portal begins to glow with a blue light. A system window appears, congratulating him for activating the teleportation in Conch City and awarding him 1 reputation point. The system explains that he can use the portal for free once a day, but subsequent uses will cost lifespan. For now, however, the portal is useless, as no other one has been activated in the game yet. Feng thinks about this. He understands that the teleportation system needs 2 points to function. Another player, in another city, needs to reach level 5 and activate the portal there. He remembers that in his past life, Song Fei was in Firefly City. To keep an eye on things, he sets up a kind of alert that will notify him as soon as someone activates the portal there. He is not just waiting, he is preparing. As soon as the portal glows, he will be ready to face Song Fei. As he walks through the city, Feng's mind is already focused on his objective. For most players, teleporting between cities would already be a big deal, but he knows the real challenge is yet to come. The real goal is to reach level 10, enter the realm abandoned by the gods, and finally activate his authority. Only then will the real game begin. Shortly after, he opens a shop, and a system notification informs everyone that he is selling items and skills, but only for 10 seconds. First come, first served. The response is immediate. Players go wild and rush toward him, calling him an expert. Some say they were waiting for this and even saved up lifetime to spend. One player proudly says he has saved 150 days. Another recalls that last time, Feng sold the Cone of Ice spell, which helped Grey Rosie reach 2nd place in the rankings. Another player spots a silver-level skill book called Battle Roar for warriors and buys it on the spot. The system confirms the sale for 300 days of tradable lifetime. The other players are shocked by the price, but another one calls them fools, explaining that with that skill, a warrior could earn back the 300 days in less than 2 days of hunting. Realizing the opportunity, the rest of the players desperately rush forward to buy what is left. In seconds, everything is gone. Looking at the system window, Feng sees his earnings. In just 1 minute, he has gathered 650 days of lifetime, increasing his total to 2,174 days. But he is still not satisfied. Some players complain in frustration for not being able to buy anything and ask if he will open the shop again. Feng confirms that he will. Suddenly, a female player's voice catches his attention. She says she has a treasure and wants to make a deal. When Feng turns around, he recognizes her. She is one of Wang Meng's teammates. The system identifies the item, a spatial ring with 12 inventory slots, which occupies neither a backpack nor an equipment slot. Feng is surprised as he knows its value. It is a super rare storage item. He knows the drop chance for such a ring is very low. The fact that this girl obtained one so early in the game is absurdly lucky. He asks for the price, already knowing its worth. In his past life, a similar ring was sold for 3,600 days of lifetime. But instead of asking for lifetime, the girl smiles and makes an unexpected proposal. She does not want lifetime. Instead, she asks him to add her as a friend and form a party to kill a boss. Feng agrees on the spot, and the system confirms that the player Black Plun has accepted his friend request. Leaving the city, Feng turns to Black Plun and asks about the boss. She explains that it is a gold-level boss, but she could not see its name because she was too far away. She tells him where it is, on an old boat, floating in the swamp. Upon hearing this, Feng's eyes widen. Could it be the Golden Ghost ship, he thinks. He remembers that this is a super rare boss. The chance of it spawning is minimal, and in his past life, whenever it appeared, massive guilds would go to war over the powerful items it dropped. From Black Plun's description, he deduces that this version of the boss must be around level 5, which makes it easier to kill. Even so, he wonders how Black Plun found such a rare boss near the city. His mind starts connecting the dots. The spatial ring, her connection to Wang Meng's team, a gold-level boss appearing out of nowhere. Then it dawns on him. Could she be the legendary Lucky Carp from his past life? Feng wondered. He remembered the rumors. They said Wang Meng's team had a mysterious member with absurd luck, someone who found rare bosses and treasures just by walking around the map. At the time, Feng thought it was just a rumor, but now, looking at Black Plun, he was sure it was true. Lost in thought, he stared at her, and Black Plun noticed. Suddenly, she asked why he was looking at her like that. Snapping out of his trance, Feng said it was nothing, and refocused on the path ahead. As they left the city, a figure spied on them, a bald player hidden behind a tree. The scene cuts to a group of rough-looking players. A long-haired man, who seemed to be the leader, boasted to the others, all of whom were bald, about how he defeated his own brothers to become the big boss of Sand City. He promised that if they followed him, they would all do well in the game. Before he could continue, the bald man who had been spying came running back, reporting that their target had left the city with a girl. A wry smile appeared on the leader's face. He scoffed, thinking Feng was just another foolish young man, easily swayed by a pretty face. Without hesitation, he gathered his group and ordered them to move in for the attack. Meanwhile, outside the city, Feng explained his conditions for helping Black Plun. If the boss dropped items she could use, they were hers, but all the rest of the loot would go to him. She accepted his reasoning and agreed, but asked that if any items for her team dropped, he would sell them to her at a discount. Feng saw no problem with that. With the deal struck, Black Plun said they would head to the boss's location as soon as Wang Meng and the rest of the team logged back into the game. After walking for a while, she realized she didn't know where they were going. It was only when Feng revealed their destination that it dawned on her. They were going to fight a gold-tier boss. She was shocked. The idea seemed absurd. Feng was an assassin and she was a mage. Fighting a gold-tier boss, just the two of them, seemed like suicide, but Feng remained calm. He explained that he didn't want her to fight. His plan was for him to face the boss alone while she watched from a distance. Even so, Black Plun found it impossible. As she was about to press the matter, Feng stopped abruptly, sensing something. Without a word, he activated Latent Image and vanished into thin air, leaving Black Plun standing there, stunned. Meanwhile, the group of bald men was still spying on them. Their leader, full of arrogance, saw that Feng had disappeared and assumed he had tricked Black Plun and abandoned her. With a wicked smile, he ordered his men to move in and capture her. But just as they approached, a shadowy figure appeared before them. The leader stopped in his tracks, his smile vanishing as he saw the dark aura in front of him. Before they could react, Feng used instant shadow strike. In the blink of an eye, it was all over. A flash cut through the air, and the group became a pile of bodies on the ground. Feng disappeared again, leaving no trace. The system confirmed. 5 players killed, earning him 12 days of tradable lifetime. He barely glanced at the bodies. To Feng, killing them was no different from killing a few weak monsters. Before she could realize what had happened, he reappeared beside Black Plun. She immediately asked where he had gone. Feng just shrugged and said some people were following them, so he sent them back to the city. She started asking a lot of questions and even joked that his invisibility skill must be useful for relieving herself without anyone seeing. Feng cut her off, annoyed by the strange conversation, and told them to hurry up and get to the boss. The scene cuts to the city, where Xiao Yu had just logged into the game. From the staff in her hand, it was clear she had become a mage. She looked around, impressed by the realism of the place. Looking at her staff, she thought proudly that she had obtained a secret class called Sacrifice, and that it should be powerful enough to help Song Fei. Her thoughts turned to her brother, and she grew annoyed, complaining that he was never around when she needed him, but she soon shrugged it off. With her secret class and Song Fei's promise to help her, she didn't need to depend on her brother. He can fend for himself, she thought. Then, Xiao Yu's eyes fell on the city rankings. Feng was already at level 6. She wondered why Song Fei kept bragging when he was only at level 3. The real expert here was Shadow. An idea popped into her head. If she could get close to Shadow, she would level up much faster than with Song Fei's help. The only question was, where could she find him? Nearby, Wang Meng and his team were discussing a problem. He complained that one of their team members had disappeared, and he couldn't get in touch with him. Impatiently, he asked if anyone had a plan. One of them said that without a healer, the fight would be difficult. Another commented that, unlike Shadow, they couldn't hunt alone. With few options left, someone suggested calling another healer to take the spot. Hearing this, Xiao Yu seized the opportunity. She approached confidently, and Wang Meng saw her coming. With a smile, she offered her services, saying she had a secret class, Sacrifice and Life. The scene cuts to Feng, who, along with Black Plun, arrives at the cliff. Looking down at the fog below, he confirmed his suspicion. It was indeed the Golden Ghost Ship. Without wasting any time, he activated Latent Image and turned invisible. He told Black Plun to hide and keep an eye out for other players, while he went to settle the score with the boss. She agreed and carefully made her way down into the swamp. A notification appeared in front of him. Because of the boss, the entire area had turned into a violent domain, where the loss of lifespan was 100 times faster. Feng quickly calculated. Staying here for 15 minutes meant losing an entire day of life, but he wasn't worried about that. The system identified the boss, a level 5 monster, and showed that it would disappear in 45 minutes. Feng prepared to attack, knowing that 45 minutes was more than enough time. He used instant shadow strike, and the result was devastating, dealing 549 damage 3 times in a row. To continue the onslaught, he threw a poison dart right at the ship's weak point. The hit was critical and dealt 621 damage instantly, plus 207 damage per second from the poison. The boss retaliated with an area of effect attack, causing pillars of water to erupt everywhere. Luckily, Feng's agility helped him dodge. The real fight began when the boss summoned 12 water phantoms, which had the strength of a silver-level monster. Fortunately, since Feng was invisible, the phantoms couldn't see him. He positioned himself and used instant shadow strike, destroying all of them at once. From a distance, Black Plun's jaw dropped. So this is how the number 1 fights? She thought, amazed. In just a few minutes, the gold boss had already lost half of its health. Out of nowhere, Feng called Black Plun Little Blackie and told her he was about to die. She didn't understand at all. Worried, she asked for an explanation, but he just told her to do nothing and wait for him to revive. Still confused, she questioned him about the nickname. Little Blackie? Where did you get that from? My name is Black Plun. Annoyed, she complained, but it was no use. Feng kept calling her Little Blackie. The scene cuts to the group of idiots Feng had killed earlier. Their leader, furious, still thought it was Black Plun who had defeated them. One of the henchmen came running and reported that he had found her, watching Shadow fight a boss. The leader smiled, gathered all his men, and said that this time they would defeat Shadow. Back in the fight, Feng knew that when the Golden Ghost ship's health reached the halfway point, it would use its most dangerous attack, a wave of souls. And that's exactly what the boss did. Feng immediately recognized the problem. The attack had a huge range and would leave him paralyzed for 5 seconds. With his current stats, there was no way to dodge it. The soul surge expands into a giant shockwave, spreading a frightening energy across the battlefield. Even Plun, watching from above, is shocked by the scale of the attack. Then the impact happens. Direct damage, 1059. A system notification confirms what just occurred. Feng died. Another notification appears next. The player Shadow has died. Lost 326 years of non-negotiable life. Lost 1087 days of negotiable life. Meanwhile, at the top of the cliff, other players arrive in time to witness Feng's death. They burst into laughter. That guy was an expert? They mock. Some call him a top player, but he thought he could defeat a gold-level boss. Another laughs, but then something catches their attention. Their eyes widen upon spotting Shadow's death loot. By its size, they calculate it must contain at least 300 days of life. Excitement takes over, and overcome by greed, they make assumptions. With the Golden Ghost ship already at half health, they can just go down, finish it off, and cash in on an absurd amount of life from the boss's drops. One of them declares that today they will steal the victory from that top player. Full of confidence, they advance and are annihilated. The scene then changes to the starting city, where the same group reappears, confused. One of them, still catching his breath, wonders how Shadow managed to have the health of a gold-level boss, being so weak himself. Another quickly agrees, grumbling that they barely managed to step into the swamp before being destroyed by the boss's water column attack. Their leader, however, is not amused. With a frustrated face, he says these losses are unacceptable. He refuses to let things end like this and orders his group to go back for a rematch. Meanwhile, back in the swamp, Feng revives and lands, analyzing the scene before him. Life orbs scattered everywhere, a real prize. Without wasting time, he calls Plun, asking what happened and why there are so many life orbs around. Amused by how quickly he came back, Plun explains that a group of overconfident players invaded the area, thinking they could defeat the gold-level boss. Unfortunately for them, they were instantly eliminated by the monster's water column attacks. Hearing this, Feng lets out a laugh. Typical. He comments that those players clearly overestimate their own abilities. Then, he remembers his past life. He recalls when this boss, the Golden Ghost ship, had made him suffer before. Turning his focus back to the fight, he analyzes the boss's attack patterns. The first powerful attack was a one-time trick. After that, the rest of the monster's health will be easy to deal with, at least for him. Normally, when the boss's health drops to half, there is a chance it will teleport away, frustrating most players. But for Feng, this is just a small problem. Without hesitating, he activates his poison dirt skill, aiming precisely at the bright bells hanging on the mast of the ghost ship. The attack hits squarely. The Golden Ghost ship immediately prepares to counterattack. A purple energy comes out of its core, but Feng is unfazed. Still under the effect of his invincibility, he advances. A smile forms on his face as he says that he has already memorized all the boss's movement patterns. Approaching in an instant, he uses a devastating stunt shadow slash, cutting the boss with precision. Nearby, the same group of players from before finally reaches the cliff overlooking the battle. One of them points quickly. Shadow is back. He is fighting the Golden Ghost ship again. The group's leader, still frustrated, sees an opportunity. With Feng and the boss busy in the fight, he plans to eliminate both and take the rewards. Plun notices their arrival but is not surprised. It seems these idiots always bring trouble. The battle was reaching its climax, and Plun knew she could not let them interfere. Without hesitating, she activates a lightning spell and attacks the group on the cliff. The attack hits squarely, throwing the leader and one of his men back. Stunned, the leader gets up and looks for the origin of the attack. His men, still in shock, point in Plun's direction. The leader's anger grows. He takes his weapon and orders his men to attack. Realizing she has become the target, Plun starts to run and call for help, while the group chases her. For them, eliminating her has become the priority. Meanwhile, hidden in the trees, another group of players was just watching the situation. Unlike the first group, these ones were patient and kept their focus on the real prize, Feng's battle against the boss. Feng continues to circle the boss, keeping calm. The fight was coming to an end, as he predicted. Even being a level 5 boss, the battle took longer than expected because of his low damage. This delay attracted unwanted attention. He knew there were two groups watching him, one on the cliff, now busy chasing Plun, and another hidden in the swamp. Their plan was obvious. Wait for Feng to deal the final blow, then ambush him and steal the rewards. Before either of the groups could act, the battle came to an end. With his last attack, the Golden Ghost ship collapses. In the same instant, the system announces his victory. Feng defeated the gold-class boss, receiving 4,800 experience and leveling up to level 8. He also gained 7 evolution points and 216 days of lifespan. As the boss's loot begins to appear, Feng wastes no time. He activates the Shadow Snake skill and disappears, exactly when the group from the swamp was preparing to attack. At the same time, in the starting city, a system notification informs all players that Shadow was the first to defeat a gold-class boss, earning 3 reputation points as a reward. The announcement generates discussions among the players, with many wondering who this Shadow is and how he accomplished such a feat. Some question if he was from their city. Among those who react is Wang Meg, who stares at the message, shocked. A short time ago, Shadow was fighting a bronze-class boss, and now he has already defeated a gold-class one. The power difference between him and the other players seemed absurd. Meanwhile, Feng's younger sister Xiaoyu has no doubts. To her, this Shadow is the strongest player. If she can convince him to help her level up, she will reach her goal much faster. Back in the swamp, the ground is covered with the boss's loot. The quantity and quality of the items are much greater than expected. The players hidden nearby comment on the loot's value, with greed visible on their faces. The group's leader analyzes the situation. He notices that Feng did not take the items, which means he is still nearby and invisible. Cautious, the leader orders a player named Wang to find Feng and eliminate him before he can take his rewards. Wang readies his bow and shoots a green energy arrow. In the air, it transforms into a horned ghost eagle, a tracking skill. The eagle flies over the area where Feng disappeared, looking for him. Feng, still invisible, recognizes the skill. It is a detection technique he did not expect to encounter so soon. Now he understands the group's confidence. They have a way to track him, but it is useless. Their skill is level 1, but Feng's assassin class gives him a bonus, making his invisibility level 2. This small advantage makes their detection impossible. Feng remains one step ahead. After the eagle finds nothing, Wang informs his group that Feng must have fled in fear of their numbers. The leader laughs, thinking Feng was smart to retreat. Confident, he leads his men close to the loot. He warns everyone to stay alert while they wait the 5 minutes for the items to become free for anyone to take. But, as they wait, a silhouette emerges from the shadows. Before they could react, Feng attacks. A wave of black energy eliminates the entire group instantly. Their bodies turn into loot on the ground. Feng comments that it is now quieter. His gaze turns to the huge pile of items, but he wonders where Plun went. He would look for her later. Before collecting the loot, he uses his accumulated points to evolve the Hand of Avarice skill. A notification confirms that it has gone from diamond rank to epic. The skill now gives a 220% to 300% chance of getting extra items, and any extra item has a 100% chance of being 1 level above normal. To make the most of the new skill, Feng gathers all the loot orbs in one place before using the Hand of Avarice. A bright light covers the area, and the system floods him with notifications. 7 evolution points, 3x 216 days of tradable life, and 3x ghost fire bells. Holding 2 of the bells in his hands, Feng smiles at his own luck. He managed to get not just 1, but 2. The system explains the item's functions. The ghost fire bell prevents the player from losing life expectancy upon death, with a cooldown of 1560 seconds. It has 3 main abilities. The first, a passive one, is soul absorption, which increases life expectancy gained from monsters by 20%, and the effect doubles if 2 bells are equipped. The second, an active one, is soul shock, which immobilizes enemies within a 100-meter radius for 3 seconds, with a 521-second cooldown. The best part is that the bell is classified as an item, not equipment, so it doesn't take up an equipment slot. Furthermore, the 2 bells occupy a single inventory slot, which makes them rare and efficient. Satisfied, Feng celebrates his luck, but his celebration is interrupted by a familiar voice. It's Plun, screaming for help in the swamp. The same guys from before have caught up with her, and, judging by their laughter, they are not planning anything good. Unfortunately for them, the fun won't last. The scene changes to Plun, cornered on the edge of a cliff by her pursuers. The group's leader comments that she ran well, but now there is no way out. One of the henchmen suggests she surrender, saying they will make sure she feels good when she dies. But Plun looks at the cliff and makes a decision. In a quick move, she simply throws herself off, leaving the group surprised. After the long fall, she dies on impact, and her body turns into spoils. The group's leader admits she was brave for choosing her own death. Meanwhile, Feng receives a message from Plun. She informs him that she no longer needs rescue, as she has already died and respawned in the starting city. She comments that the death was painful, but that her tradable life expectancy was safe with Captain Wang Meng. Feng replies for her to wait in the city, promising to deliver her share of the loot when he returns. She agrees. Relieved, Feng turns his attention back to the spoils. He had good gains. His tradable life expectancy rose to 3,115 days, and his evolution points to 21. He decides to upgrade the Hand of Avarice skill, but a system notification stops him. The skill is already at epic level, and now needs 10 times more points for the next level. The system informs that 210 points are needed to evolve the Hand of Avarice. Since he doesn't have enough points, he decides to improve his attack skills to increase his damage. That way, he can face stronger bosses and get better loot. As soon as he begins the upgrade, a golden light envelops him. A system window announces that his Shadow Cut skill has evolved from Platinum to Diamond. The strike's range increased, going from 21 to 24 and then to 27 meters. The invisibility duration also increased from 7 to 9 seconds, and the total skill duration is now 43 seconds, allowing for 5 to 7 strikes on enemies ahead. The length of each strike went from 3.1 to 4.1 meters, and each one now deals 300 extreme damage. Another notification informs him that he has spent 10 evolution points, with only 3 remaining. His backstab enhancement skill also rose to the gold level, and the damage increased from 15% to 30%. He realizes that, after evolving the instant Shadow Slash twice, its damage doubled. Now, even outside of stealth mode, he can deal 3,000 damage with the stealth breaking effect. Combining this with the backstab skill, the total damage of the 7 slashes can reach 6,000 or 7 7,000. Feng analyzes the loot and thinks that a gold-level boss would normally drop 2 to 4 silver pieces of equipment and a few gold ones. But thanks to the effect of Varisa's hand, he got 11 gold pieces of equipment and a skill book. Furthermore, there were also 2 platinum pieces of equipment and a skill book. He thinks the result is very good, especially because 3 of the items are for assassins. Among the items is the Ghost Ship's dual blade, a platinum weapon for assassins. It increases attack by 136, agility by 22, and attack speed by 24%. The weapon also has 17 armor penetration and requires level 5, which he already has. Its special effect doubles the damage of normal attacks. Feng finds this not very useful, as he relies more on skills. Even so, the high base attack, the agility bonus, and the increased attack speed are advantageous, as they will speed up the use of his skills and decrease the cooldown time. He also picks up the Ghost Fire Leather Armor, a gold item that increases physical defense by 25, fire resistance by 50, blocks 14 damage, and increases his health by 419. Feng notes that his base health is still low, only 350, so the armor's bonus makes a big difference. With it, he thinks that most players will not be able to break his defense. He decides to make the armor invisible to maintain his assassin appearance and hide his equipment. The last item is a skill book, Ghost Shadow Blur. It is a gold passive skill for assassins that gives a 15% chance to dodge, and when activated, grants full immunity to damage. Feng celebrates finally having a survival skill. He remembers that this skill is not normally that strong, because focusing on dodge harms other attributes and can be fatal if the dodge fails. However, for him, it is different, as he can evolve the skill infinitely with his evolution points. Thus, he can increase his dodge rate without sacrificing other attributes, which is a great advantage. On the way back to the city, he thinks about the rest of the loot, items for warriors, priests, and archers. As agreed with Plun, he plans to sell these items to Wang Meg and their team at a 10% discount. Feng knows that they might not be able to pay for everything now, but he believes that Wang Meg will agree to buy on credit. He reflects that all this progress was thanks to Plun, whom he calls Little Black. Without her luck, he would have never found a level 5 golden boss to fight. Therefore, he feels he needs to thank her. As Feng returns to the city, the group that had cornered Plun is also returning, with their leader looking very frustrated. When their paths cross, the group panics and starts to flee. The henchmen bolt ahead, abandoning the leader, who also tries to escape. Feng activates his latent image, and with a calm expression, uses the instant shadow slash to quickly eliminate the henchmen. Only the leader is left, who is still trying to run, but Feng appears right in front of him, blocking the way. The leader starts to beg for mercy, admitting he was wrong to attack Plun and promising not to do it again. In desperation, he even calls Feng daddy, saying that he has less than a year to live and that dying there would be his end. Coldly, Feng asks if he thought about his own fate when he attacked other people like Plun. He then uses his poisonous earth skill, which deals damage every 5 seconds. The leader starts to bleed, and a green liquid drips from his head, making him scream in pain. As Feng continues on his way, a red aura envelops him, and an assassin title appears above his head. A system notification informs him that, by killing many players, he has reached the first level of the assassin status. This means that he will lose 75% of his current life expectancy if he dies. Feng ignores the concern, as he has the Ghost Fire Bell. With the item's protection, even if he dies carelessly, he will not lose years of his life. The scene changes to Feng's arrival at the starting city. When he deactivates stealth, other players are surprised to see him. Some speculate that Shadow has returned after defeating a gold-level boss. Suddenly, he encounters one of the teams that tried to attack him during the battle against the Golden Ghost Ship boss. The team's leader accuses him of using bugs to defeat the boss alone, saying that is why there was no loot left. He also asks why Feng is not wearing any equipment, which shows that the strategy of making his equipment invisible is working. Noticing Feng's irritated expression as he approaches, the team leader asks him to wait. He then offers an assassin's skill book, admitting it was a mistake to attack him. They used part of their life expectancy to buy the book, and suggest that Feng accept it and forget what happened. Feng takes the book, and a system notification reveals that the skill is called Impale. It is a common assassin class skill, which causes a single attack on the target, adding 20 points of damage and a 2-second stun, with a 22-second cooldown. Recognizing that it is a control skill, Feng accepts it and leaves. One of the team members, annoyed, turns to their leader, Xiao Xiao, and complains about being defeated by Feng and still having to give him a skill book to calm him down. He asks if this isn't cowardice, and another teammate agrees, questioning since when they have been treated this way. The first member insists they should use their connections to gather other players, as everyone's effort could overwhelm Shadow. He asks why they should fear him, but the leader interrupts him. He points out that Shadow is leveling up very quickly, which indicates he must have a big secret. If they can find and capture him in the real world, they will not only discover the secret, but can also force him to collect resources for them, like a slave. Upon hearing this, the other members get excited and praise Xiao Xiao for the plan. Xiao Xiao then says he will ask his family to send a woman to extract information from Shadow. He observes that Shadow's voice sounded foreign, which suggests he is not from their group and is probably poor. Xiao Xiao concludes that he must find a beautiful and professional woman, as Shadow will surely fall into the trap. Meanwhile, Feng meets up with Plun. He calls her Pequena Negra and asks her to accept the trade so he can share some items with her. Plun thanks him and corrects him, saying her name is Grande Plun, not Pequena Negra. Soon after, Plun is trying on the items she received, very excited. She exclaims that they are amazing and that she will get stronger quickly. She explains that the skill and the necklace greatly increased her damage and more than doubled her mana regeneration. Grateful, she turns to Feng, who replies that it was nothing, just the fulfillment of their agreement. Feng then asks for the spatial ring Plun promised, and she happily hands it over. Plun then says says that while fleeing through the forest, she found a cave that seems to be the entrance to a ruin. She asks if Feng is interested, and he is surprised, thinking about the girl's luck. First, a golden ghost ship, and now a ruin? He realizes that having a friendship with her would be advantageous, and wonders if Plun would have told him about the place if he hadn't given her the items or had tried to trick her. After receiving the ring, Feng sees that his inventory has increased to 27 spaces. He asks Plun where Wang Meng is, as he plans to sell some items to the group before going to the ruins. Plun says that Wang Meng and the others might take a while, as they are training the new priestess. She shows that she has already marked the ruins entrance on his map, and explains that there is a stone slab hidden behind bushes, and that she moved one of them to protect herself. She says that she went in a little way, but heard screams, got scared, and ran away. If it weren't for that, she wouldn't have been captured. Upon hearing the story, Feng activates his invisibility skill. He tells Plun that he understands and that he will go to the ruins immediately, planning to trade with Wang Meng later. Plun is surprised by how quickly he disappears. As he approaches the place, still invisible, Feng thinks that his initial idea was to level up to level 10 somewhere else, but the ruin is a better opportunity. He knows that the monsters inside will be bronze level, with a chance to find some silver level ones, which is great for gaining life points and evolution points. Upon arriving, he finds the stone slab Plun mentioned and enters without wasting time. Inside, he begins to analyze the environment. There are 3 types of ruins in starting cities: tombs, cursed ruins, and temples of faith. Observing the murals on the walls, Feng confirms that it is a temple of faith. He knows that tombs are straightforward and full of monsters, with a gold-level boss at the end. Cursed ruins have creatures that were once human, cursed by evil gods. Temples, like this one, house followers of these gods and usually have a labyrinth-like structure, but they reward with special items or skill books. Looking at the drawings more closely, he recognizes the images. The temple belongs to an ancient god of judgment, the same origin as his Eye of Judgment skill. Suddenly, he hears faint screams coming from the depths of the place. The scene changes to a forest, where Wang Meng is in a difficult battle, blocking attacks with his shield. A monster lets out a roar and hits him with a powerful blow, throwing him backward. Fallen on the ground, he sees Xiao Yu standing still, in complete shock. A teammate shouts for her to heal him, but she is paralyzed with fear. She cannot even activate her skills and just asks for help. The others know they have no chance and ask one last time for her to heal the group's tank. Instead, Xiao Yu falls to the ground, trembling and repeating that she is scared. The next moment, Wang Meng and his team reappear in the starting city. The monster eliminated the entire group. They are frustrated. Plun greets them, smiling, and asks why they came back so soon. Plun informs them that Shadow has not returned, so they cannot buy equipment from him. At that moment, the members of Wang Meg's group lose their patience with Xiao Yu and begin to criticize her harshly. One of them shouts that he has never seen someone so incompetent, who does not know how to dodge or use skills. The reaction takes Plun by surprise, as she has never seen her colleagues so angry. Plun intervenes to protect Xiao Yu, who is almost crying. She asks why they are being so harsh, explaining that it is normal for a beginner to die in the beginning. However, the group member, still furious, tells Plun to get out of the way. Another colleague then clarifies that they did not die just once, but 3 times in less than an hour, which leaves Plun speechless. Always kind, Plun suggests that Xiao Yu join her team. She reveals that she received 2 valuable items from Shadow, and guarantees that with her on the team, no one will die. Wang Meg, trying to calm the situation, agrees that Plun's idea is good. With her in the group, things should get better, and maybe they will find Shadow when they return. Next, Xiao Yu apologizes and says she will try harder, but inside, she thinks something else. She believes that Wang Meg's group is a bunch of failures who blame her for their own mistakes. If it were not for their connection with Shadow, she would not even hang out with them, going so far as to mentally call them retards. Meanwhile, Feng advances deeper into the ruins, observing the worn walls. He hears the same sounds as before, until he spots 2 figures kneeling in the center of a place that looks like a temple. The system identifies them as devout followers of the judged god, level 10 and silver class monsters. Without wasting time, Feng activates the latent image skill and becomes invisible. He uses instant shadow to attack at high speed, but the damage is minimal. Feng realizes that even with the bonuses from attacking from behind and breaking invisibility, the monster's health barely decreases, as expected from level 10 silver class bosses. Their combined health is greater than that of the golden ghost he faced before. Feng also notices that the followers kneel again, but this time in his direction, as if they were worshipping him, even though he is invisible. He wonders if they can feel the Eye of Judgment on him, and if that is why they do not attack him. To test the theory, he asks if they can guide him, but there is no response. Feng concludes that they were corrupted a long time ago, and are now just wild beasts that exist to steal the life expectancy of others. Suddenly, the 2 followers become agitated and run towards the temple entrance, their hands glowing with poisonous energy. A group of players had just entered, and upon seeing the threat, warn each other to be careful. Observing the fight, Feng sees the players panic as they realize they can barely handle 1 silver class boss, let alone 2. They try to flee, but are completely annihilated before they can even start running, leaving behind a large amount of life expectancy. Feng recognizes the defeated players. It was the Grey Rose group, the same ones who bought a spell from him. He notices that based on their equipment, they were not ready to explore the place in depth. Kneeling to collect the items, Feng is surprised to see they left behind more than 100 days of negotiable life expectancy. He did not imagine they were so rich. Meanwhile, the 2 followers returned to kneeling in his direction, as if they still worshipped him. After searching the temple, Feng finds nothing, neither traps nor treasures. Annoyed, he concludes that the 2 silver-class mini-bosses are the only valuable things there and decides to eliminate them. He uses his poison dart ability and lands a perfect shot on their heads. A system window appears, confirming the deaths. After killing the followers, Feng gains 4,000 XP and levels up to 9, receiving another 4 evolution points. By using his ability on the items, he gets another 188 days of negotiable life, becoming shocked by the power of an epic grade ability. With this, he now has 32 evolution points and a total of 1,504 days of life. He also picks up several gold and silver grade items, including a gold grade accessory for assassins, the Devotee's Pendant. The item was impressive. It increased his agility, reduced the cooldown of his abilities by 20%, and even allowed him to summon a silver grade follower to fight by his side. Since the other equipment he picked up also required level 8, Feng decides to store it to sell later. Suddenly, he notices something. When he approaches a mechanism in the temple, the entire structure begins to move. The floor descends like an ancient elevator, taking him about 300 or 400 meters deep. When it stops, the passage above closes. He looks around and recognizes the place at once, a hidden labyrinth. In his previous life, he had already found several of these inside ruins. He knew that these labyrinths were full of deadly traps, and that, with his current attributes, one mistake would mean the end. Fortunately, the new pendant was the solution. Using its effect, Feng summons the devout follower. Without hesitation, he orders the creature to advance to test the path, making the exploration much safer. Still, as a precaution, he decides to use his points. First, he spends 5 points to evolve his evasion ability, Phantom Shadow, to the epic grade. The improvement is absurd. The passive evasion rate increases from 15% to 75%, and upon activation, he becomes immune to all damage. Satisfied, he uses the remaining points to evolve Instant Shadow Strike, also to the epic grade. The ability becomes stronger in every way, greater range, more invisibility time, and more cuts, which now deal more damage in a larger area. The ability's cooldown dropped to 12 seconds, making it much more efficient. To evolve a skill from epic to legendary grade, it requires 10 times more evolution points than normal. Therefore, evolving a skill that already starts at the epic grade is very advantageous. Its first evolution to the legendary grade costs only 10 points. Feng knows that with enough points, it is possible to take them quickly to the mythic, ancient, or even immortal grades. In comparison, a skill that starts at the normal grade would need 7 evolutions just to reach epic. By the time it came to use the 10 times multiplier, the cost would already be in the hundreds of points to continue evolving. The good news is that, from the epic grade onward, the costs stabilize. In other words, from now on, all his skills would be, at a minimum, of epic grade. Looking at his own hand, Feng notices that, with the 11 remaining evolution points, he has enough to improve one more skill. He chooses Latent Image, his initial skill. A system window confirms that he spent 7 points to evolve it from silver grade to gold, and then to platinum. The stealth duration increased to 24 seconds, and the first strike that breaks the invisibility now deals 90 more damage. The cooldown was reduced to 22 seconds. Feng calculates that, thanks to his 35% reduction attribute, Latent Image's final time is only 16.3 seconds. Even so, he considers the time too long for a skill with low burst damage and thinks about replacing it in the future. Suddenly, his attention returns to the labyrinth. The devout follower he had summoned triggered a trap. A huge boulder rolls and crushes the creature instantly. The body disintegrates, and Feng knows he will need to wait for the cooldown to summon another. Considering the labyrinth's complexity, he can only count on his follower to explore it cautiously, little by little. Still, he hopes the rewards at the end will be worth the effort. Meanwhile, on the temple's upper floor, the group of players that had been eliminated before sneaks through the entrance. One of them informs the captain in a low voice that the 2 monsters responsible for their defeat have disappeared. The captain is confused, and they realize that the lifetime item, the loot they dropped upon death, has also vanished. It doesn't take long for them to deduce that someone defeated the monsters and took the loot. As they speculate on who could have done it, the captain states that only one player would be capable of defeating 2 silver-level bosses so easily at this stage of the game, Shadow. As the team absorbs the revelation, one of the members sighs in relief, commenting that at least they won't have to die again. The captain, however, continues. She remembers that, when they arrived, they saw someone apparently communicating with the 2 bosses. She wonders if that person was Shadow, and if he possesses some skill that allows him to ally with monsters. If so, it would be a frightening and incomprehensible skill. Back to Feng. His devout follower is killed instantly by another trap. He has been exploring the labyrinth calmly for about 3 hours. From the path's structure, and based on his past life experience, he believes he is finally approaching the end. He knows that using people to navigate a labyrinth like this would result in hundreds of deaths. Without hesitation, Feng summons his follower again and advances to what seems to be the final section. The follower goes ahead until they reach a huge and imposing door. Feng orders his follower to open it, but despite using all its strength, the door does not move. This intrigues Feng. After all, his follower is a silver-level boss and is not weak at all. Curious, he approaches and touches the door, which opens without any resistance. He is surprised for a moment, not knowing what he will find. The 2 of them get into a defensive stance, but Feng soon realizes there is no danger. On the other side, there is a mysterious altar. In the center, a treasure chest is protected by spikes, and next to it is an NPC. The strange thing is that not even the system can identify her. Feng realizes it is the first time he has encountered an NPC that the system does not recognize. She greets him, but he cannot understand what she says, as if his level were too low. Suddenly, she kneels and dissolves into a yellow light, disappearing before him. The spikes around the chest disappear along with her. Confused, Feng imagines that the NPC might have been linked to his Eye of Judgment. He turns his attention back to the chest, which is now accessible and shines with a golden light, a clear sign sign that it is an epic grade item. Even so, he remains cautious. It could be a trap or even a mimic. To be sure, he orders his follower to open the chest. A golden light escapes from inside, revealing a skill book. And it is not just any book. It is a divine level skill for assassins. The system notifies him that he has received the Gift of Mercy, an epic book. Its passive effects are great, a 100% hit rate on weak points and double damage on those points. Next, the system details the new active skill, Throat Cut. It causes continuous damage to the enemy, applying 100% of the initial attack's damage per second for 3 seconds. The normal cooldown is 60 seconds, but his reduction attribute lowers it to 44.4 seconds. Feng is impressed with the skill's power. It effectively doubles the size of enemies' weak point areas, making hits much easier. But what really catches his attention is Throat Cut. He does the math. An initial attack of 300 damage turns into a total of 1200 damage, basically tripling the damage with a single strike. He notes that, unlike other skills that deliver several rapid strikes, this one focuses everything on the first attack, which makes timing and precision essential. Furthermore, because it is an epic skill, it only needs 10 evolution points to reach the legendary level, a low cost for something so powerful. Satisfied, he thinks that the labyrinth's loot was well worth it. His damage potential has increased drastically. Now it was time to leave. He decides to sell the rest of what he got to Plun's group. Using the messaging function, he contacts her and asks her to tell the rest of the group to return to the starting city, as he has valuable items to sell. Plun agrees at once, surprised by the speed with which he cleared the ruins. When Feng teleports back to the city, he has a surprise. A crowd of players is waiting for him. There were all sorts of people there, all wanting to add him as a friend. Some wanted to be his followers, others were from large companies trying to recruit him. Many had traveled from other starting cities just to meet him. A girl who said she was from Underwear City even offered to be his wife in exchange for help leveling up. Others came from the city of Azer. Seeing that, Feng deduced that the teleportation portals between the cities had been activated. And that could only mean one thing. It was time to go to Firefly City to find Song Fei. Without wasting time, Feng activated his skill and disappeared. The crowd was left confused, not understanding what had happened as he stealthily moved away. The players began to argue, blaming each other for having scared away Shadow. The argument heated up and some players even started to fight. In the midst of the confusion, Feng met with Plun, who took him to his group. Upon arriving, he had a surprise. His younger sister, Xiaoyu, was there. She looked at him with admiration, with no idea that Shadow was her brother. Feng wondered how she had joined Wang Meg's team. Knowing her unpredictable nature, he feared she could harm the whole group. He needed to be careful. Now that the world knew Shadow, his anonymity was fragile. If his real identity was revealed before he could transfer his powers to the real world, a simple weapon could kill him. It was a risk he could not take. At the same time, Xiaoyu was also thinking. She felt that Shadow was very powerful and that, in comparison, the rest of Wang Meg's group seemed weak. She began to calculate how it would be easier to find Song Fei if she got Shadow's help to level up. Meanwhile, Feng gave Wang Meg equipment for the whole group, suitable for each class. He also gave skill books that would greatly improve their strength in combat, asking for a payment of 2,200 days of lifespan in total. Wang Meg noticed right away that the items were gold and silver level, too expensive for them, but Feng said they could pay later, making it clear that he trusted the group. Wang Meg thanked him very much and promised to return the favor if he ever needed it. Feng agreed and handed over the items. The group was impressed to receive such rare equipment so early in the game. Wang Meg, in particular, was surprised by the increase in his damage and wondered if Feng's attitude was a sign of trust. Amid the excitement, Xiaoyu eagerly waited to see what powerful equipment she would receive, but to her disappointment, she got nothing. Wang Meg explained that there were no items for the priest class, and another group member commented that she should already feel lucky just to be there gaining experience with them. Xiaoyu introduced herself, saying she was the team's priestess, and approached Feng to receive an item. She even tried to add him as a friend, but he just stared at her coldly and disappeared in front of her. She stood still, not understanding what had happened. Where did he go? She asked. Wang Meg tried to calm her down, saying that maybe Feng didn't have any priest equipment. Another group member was more direct and said it seemed like he had ignored her on purpose. Plun found the scene incredible, commenting on how stylish Feng was for appearing and disappearing like that. Far away, Feng reappeared near the teleportation portal. He thought to himself that he actually had a gold-level priest staff and a skill book of the same level in his inventory. However, he would not give such rare items to someone like his sister. Besides being reckless, her presence could disrupt his partnership with Wang Meg's group. He concluded that he would have a steady stream of high-level equipment and books in the future. Selling everything one by one would take a long time, but using Wang Meg's influence, who was a police officer and had government support, was the perfect opportunity for large-scale sales. For this to work, the team needed to be reliable and efficient. His sister did not fit into the plan, and the decision was made. She needed to be replaced, and he already had the ideal person in mind, Gu Yiqiu, also known as Xiao Shu. In his past life, she was the manager of the Goodslayer Guild and had a rare priest class, the White Avian Priestess. This class came with a white bird that could heal and strengthen allies. She was the only priestess he had seen defeat an epic-level boss alone. Comparing her to his sister would be an insult. Gu Yiqiu was an excellent strategist, while his sister was just a burden. Upon arriving at the teleportation portal, he had an idea. Gu Yiqiu was from Firefly City, the same place where Song Fei was, and, coincidentally, his next destination. It was perfect. He would find her and recruit her for Wang Meg's team. As soon as he went through the portal, he activated a skill to become invisible. Unlike the other cities, in Firefly City the sun always shone, which helped him move without being seen. He heard two nearby players talking about a silver-tier monster they needed to kill. kill. They also started cursing Song Fei, saying that he gathered all the girls in the city and brainwashed them into becoming his fans. Being an idol had its advantages. The two players didn't understand how someone like Song Fei, who was barely a mid-level celebrity, could have such loyal followers. Frustrated, they declared they would no longer tolerate it and that today they would take him down. Seeing this, Shadow found it amusing. The information about Song Fei was surfacing easily, but he doubted those two could even touch Song Fei. If anyone was going to do it, it would be Shadow himself. Curious, he followed them to the Valley of Laments, a level 5 area with monsters like Amorites and Correntes. Upon entering, he noticed signs of a battle and went to investigate. The scene was chaotic. A group was fighting in a marine, a silver-tier boss with 2 heads and covered in flames. But instead of uniting, some players were attacking each other. In the middle of the confusion was Song Fei, protected by a circle of fans. The two players from before were preparing to attack, shouting that Song Fei's group had ambushed them and stolen their life expectancy. They wanted revenge. One of them, who had an ancient magic skill called Locked Jaw, advanced confidently. But before he got close, one of Song Fei's mages intercepted him and crushed his head with a single blow. Shadow watched and remembered that Song Fei held the title of Heaven-Defying Mage God. In his past life, Song Fei manipulated his fans into choosing the mage class. Afterward, he would gradually steal their equipment and skill books to strengthen himself. It was a dirty tactic, but very effective. Of course, a team of only mages would not work in the long run. To compensate, the fans distributed their attributes in different ways. Some focused everything on intelligence and became glass cannons. Others invested in agility to disrupt the enemies, or in vitality to serve as shields. The more aggressive ones put points into strength and became combat mages, using their staffs as clubs to crush their opponents. This strategy, as shown by the girl who defeated the player, worked very well in the beginning. Song Fei and his army of mages dominated the game, stealing life expectancy and defeating enemies. Over time, however, the tactic lost its strength, and most of the fans were left behind. Song Fei continued to emotionally manipulate the remaining fans, saying that they worked so hard for him that it broke his heart. He would say he was hoping for the silver tier boss to die soon, so that everyone could rest, and that he wished for a world full of love, and not violence. Upon hearing this, a chubbier fan said that Song Fei was the one who suffered the most, and shouldn't have to go through so many hardships. She soon gathered the others, encouraging them all to kill the boss quickly so he wouldn't get hurt. They began to attack the monster with everything, even singing a song about how Song Fei was the best. Suddenly, the monster roared and attacked Song Fei. One of the fans threw herself in front of him, using her own body as a shield. When her body turned into loot, Song Fei knelt, pretending to be worried. The same fan continued to encourage the others to attack harder. She said that if they killed the silver tier boss, Song Fei would reach the top of the rankings and finally surpass Feng. The fans cast even more spells, determined not to abandon Song Fei. The attacks began to weaken the boss. Inside, Song Fei was excited about the monster's imminent death. At the same time, he thought about how Feng managed to defeat a gold tier boss alone, since even that silver tier one was giving so much trouble. Song Fei convinced himself that Feng must be using some game bug. He thought about his own progress. Even with so much help, he had only reached level 7, while Feng, playing alone, was already much more advanced. Song Fei smiled. He calculated that by defeating the boss, he would reach level 8. Since Feng had been stuck at level 9 for a while, he was sure he would soon surpass him and become the #1 player in that game. But, in an instant, Feng attacked. He grabbed Song Fei by the face and tore his head from his body so quickly, it was hard to tell if it was a cut, or if he had pulled it off with force. Before Song Fei's body hit the ground, Feng used the instant shadow slash ability, slicing all nearby enemies and shattering Song Fei's body and head into pieces. Song Fei's fans were paralyzed with shock. Before they could react, Feng's fury fell upon them. He cut everything around, including the silver tier boss. A system notification announced that he had killed the 12-headed monster, Ember Fiend, and gained 1,500 experience points. He also eliminated Song Fei's fans, including one named Sky-Defying Maiden Goddess, and others with bizarre usernames like Song Fei Meow Meow, Forever Faithful Follower, and Little Fei Ma. When the Ember Fiend's body turned into a pile of loot, the two players watching everything were left with their mouths agape. Feng eliminated the boss with a single skill that dealt over 1,000 damage points, a blow 10 times more powerful than theirs. And because it was a daily skill, it not only destroyed the boss, but also annihilated Song Fei and all his fans at once. The players wondered who else could do something like that, other than the famous Feng, the same solo player who got the first kill of a gold tier boss. Without hesitation, they started cheering for Feng and celebrating Song Fei's downfall. They did this not out of support, but for fear that he would attack them next, and Feng himself knew this. In his past life, when he was weaker, those players would not have thought twice before ganging up on him. Meanwhile, in the starting city, Song Fei had just respawned and was confused, not understanding how he died. A system notification informed him that he was killed by the player Shadow. He lost 1,106 days of tradable life expectancy and 18 years and 113 days of non-tradable life. Song Fei clenched his fists, his mind racing. He wondered why Shadow had appeared right in Firefly Town, among hundreds of starting cities. His fans gathered around him, complaining and asking why Shadow had attacked them. Song Fei quickly invented an excuse. He said that Shadow wanted the silver tier boss for himself and attacked them by surprise while they were distracted. The fans started cursing Feng with every name they knew. At that moment, a girl shyly approached Song Fei and asked if she could join his group. The girl introduced herself as an archer with the rare eagle eye skill, which detected stealth. The fans got annoyed, saying they only accepted mages and that her low damage would hurt Song Fei's ranking position. But Song Fei intervened. He approached and told the girl that, although they usually only accepted mages, he felt her passion and believed that was the most important thing. He said that even as an archer, she was welcome to the family and that together they would become stronger. Moved, the girl declared her love for Song Fei. The other fans, motivated, began to announce their own classes. One said she was an assassin with stealth and promised to get revenge on Shadow. Another said she had a control skill to freeze him. Song Fei welcomed them all, saying that whoever wanted to join would be part of a big family. The fans shouted that they would follow Song Fei anywhere, ready for revenge. They said that Shadow was a coward for ambushing people and that he would pay for having hurt Song Fei. Nearby players heard the commotion and asked what was happening. One of them explained that Song Fei had just been killed. The others did not understand how that was possible, since he had so many fans protecting him. When they learned that the killer was Shadow, it all made sense, but they still wondered how he had the courage to face that crowd. Meanwhile, Song Fei was smiling. For him, the situation was perfect. With so many witnesses, when he defeated Shadow, everyone would see that the strength of a solo player meant nothing against him. Far away, Feng activated the Hand of Avarice. The system notification showed his gains: 16 evolution points, 217 days of tradable life, the loot from a silver level boss multiplied by 6, and from a gold level one multiplied by 1. He then made a decision. He decided to evolve the Gift of Mercy. The system used 10 evolution points and upgraded the skill from epic to legendary. The changes were significant. The passive effect, which corrected strikes on weak points, doubled from 100% to 200%, basically increasing the size of enemies' critical areas. The damage on these weak points also increased greatly. The active effect, which applied the fatal throat cut status, now dealt from 100% to 150% of his total attack per second for 3 seconds. The cooldown decreased from 30 to a range between 25 and 18.5 seconds. Analyzing the upgrade, Feng realized that now almost half of an enemy's body would count as a weak point. His instant shadow cut skill would activate the bonus more frequently, and with the new fatal throat cut, he might be able to kill the gold level boss with a single strike. He also noted the cost of the next evolutions. Upgrading a skill from legendary to mythic would cost 200 points. For a skill like Hand of Avarice, the cost from epic to mythic was 210 points, and from legendary to mythic, an absurd 400 points. Since he only had 9 evolution points left, he focused on another skill, Backstab Enhancement. The upgrade cost 8 points, evolving the skill from gold to platinum. The passive effect improved the bonus damage when attacking from outside the enemy's vision from 30% to 40%. Finally, Feng looked at his status. The death of the silver level boss and Song Fei's fans yielded more than 1,400 days of tradable life. With everything settled in the city of Fireflies, Feng was ready to leave. However, just as he was preparing to leave, one of Song Fei's followers, the same one who claimed to be an assassin, attempted a surprise attack. She shouted for him to die and advanced with a short blade, but Feng dodged effortlessly, leaving her stunned for not understanding how he had dodged so easily. The girl fell, frustrated, and soon activated her stealth. Feng looked at a nearby cliff and saw the rest of Song Fei's fans. They were shouting that he had nowhere to run and that he would be defeated. The moment they raised their weapons, Feng acted without hesitation and activated Latent Image. He entered stealth mode, but the archer who bragged about the Eagle Eye skill advanced with her bow. She mocked, saying that his invisibility was useless against her. The archer fired Eagle Eye, spreading brilliant feathers in the air to try to reveal him, but the skill failed. Instead of exposing Feng, the skill undid the stealth of the assassin girl. The fans, convinced that she was Feng, turned against the ally without giving her a chance for an explanation. The fan who seemed to be the leader ordered them all to use their strongest skills. The assassin barely had time to react before being hit by a blast of attacks that completely destroyed her. When the dust settled, the fans realized the mistake, but the group's leader paid it no mind. She said it was no big deal, since the girl wasn't even a mage and therefore never truly loved Song Fei. With arrogance, she called what happened a divine punishment and told the archer to use Eagle Eye again to find Feng. But before the archer could shoot, Feng activated a special item, the Ghost Fire Bells. The sound of the bell caused a soul shock, immobilizing all enemies within a 100-meter radius for 3 seconds. As soon as the bell rang, the fans froze, with their eyes wide with confusion. They did not understand why they could not move, and before they could process, Feng attacked. He used instant shadow slash, eliminating all of them before the 3-second immobilization even ended. Their bodies disintegrated. Still invisible, Feng approached Song Fei, who was hiding and trembling behind a rock. Song Fei wondered aloud how all his fans died without Feng even appearing. He thought that Feng should have become visible when he attacked, but he did not realize that he was already right behind. Feng approached and whispered in his ear that he was already dead. The words left Song Fei in a panic. He activated his magic shield at that very moment, but it was too late. Feng used a poison skill, hitting Song Fei's head and breaking the barrier. Song Fei fell to the ground, and his body disintegrated into items. Looking at the items, Feng saw that Song Fei had more than 2,000 days of lifetime. He found it strange that none of the fans had any lifetime. He wondered aloud if they had given all their time to Song Fei. Did they still think this was just a game? He gave a low laugh, shaking his head at the thought. Manipulated fans were scary. Their non-tradable lifetimes, which amounted to centuries, would now be wasted, feeding the monsters of the place. Meanwhile, in the city, Song Fei reappeared, annoyed by the bad luck. His balance was only 500 tradable days, the price he paid for the defeat. He turned to his companions and asked why the archer's detection skill failed to locate Feng. The explanation came quickly. The skill had only detected their own group's assassin, not the enemy. One of the fans explained that Feng's stealth attributes were too high. The Eagle Eye skill only offered a level 1 anti-stealth capability, which was useless against an opponent with level 2 stealth or higher. Frustrated, Song Fei wondered how he could defend himself from someone who appeared and disappeared without a trace. He grumbled that he hadn't even provoked Feng. After all, Feng had already stolen a silver-ranked boss kill from him, so why come after him again? He even wondered if Feng was simply jealous of his appearance. His fans, sensing the tension, suggested changing locations for safety and leveling up somewhere else. They vowed to follow Song Fei wherever he went, with fanatical loyalty. Sometime later, Feng arrived at the now silent town and noticed that Song Fei and his group were no longer there. He wondered if they had moved to another starting area or to a completely different location. Seeing a lone player nearby, he approached to get information. The player, startled by Feng's sudden appearance, nervously pointed in the direction Song Fei had gone. He made a strange request, asking Feng to spare his girlfriend when he found him. The girl, named Fei Bao Kit, was a hunter, probably the same one who tried to detect Feng's presence before. Mentally, Feng dismissed the request, thinking it would be easier for the guy to find another girlfriend. Without saying anything, he activated his latent image skill and disappeared, leaving the man behind, still begging. As he headed in the indicated direction, Feng reflected on the challenge. Although he knew the general direction, their exact destination was a mystery. Searching blindly would be a waste of time. He thought he needed to find Gui Shui. At that exact moment, as if fate were helping, a familiar figure passed by him. It was Gui Shui. Feng went straight to her and asked if she could give him a hand. The moment she saw him, her heart raced. She recognized him right away. It was Feng. She could hardly believe she was meeting the famous figure in person. Without wasting time, Feng said he heard her class had a skill to search for specific targets in a wide area and asked her to locate Song Fei for him. As payment, he offered to sell a gold-level mage staff for a low price. Gui Shui was visibly excited. Curious, she asked how he knew about her area search, since she had never told anyone. But Feng ignored the question with a gesture, telling her not to worry about the details. "Do you want the gold-level staff or not?" he insisted. Gui Shui quickly agreed, though hesitant, not knowing if she could afford it. Feng explained that he was offering it for just 500 days of tradable lifespan. A great deal, considering the original price was at least 700 to 800 days. Excited, Gui Shui confirmed she had that amount. Moments later, a system notification confirmed the transaction. Holding the gleaming staff, Gui Shui couldn't stop admiring the item, but Feng tapped her lightly on the head, telling her to hurry. While activating the spell, Gui Shui thought that it was the first time she had met Feng, but he gave off a strangely familiar feeling. Suddenly, she turned to him and asked if he wasn't worried that she would just take the staff and run. Feng replied calmly, asking if she didn't hate Song Fei. Gui Shui froze, surprised. How did he know about the grudge she held against Song Fei? She wondered if Feng could be someone she knew in real life, but she soon dismissed the idea, as his voice was not familiar. Feng teased her, asking if she wanted to venture a guess. She dismissed him, saying she didn't have the patience for that. Then, she sent her bird to scout the area. It turns out that Gui Shui and the bird are connected. She can see everything through its eyes. The view changes to the bird's perspective, which flies over the city. A few minutes later, Gui Shui has an answer. She found Song Fei and reports the coordinates. She adds a warning. She cannot guarantee that Song Fei and his team will be in the same place when Shadow arrives. Hearing this, Shadow leaves immediately and asks her to add him as a friend. That way, she could update him if the group moved. Gui Shui shouts, asking how long she should keep watch, since she cannot keep the skill active forever. But Shadow reassures her, saying it won't take long. As he moves forward, he slows down near some trees. He notices something unusual and stops next to one of them. He examines the bark and notices a symbol carved on it. From a distance, Gui Shui is confused by the stop and asks what he saw. Shadow instructs her to scan the area, looking for other trees with the same symbol. Gui Shui sends her bird to search and soon replies that there is an identical tree 100 meters ahead and another 100 meters to the left. Shadow extends his hand and touches the symbol, which begins to glow. Gui Shui asks aloud what that symbol means. He challenges her to guess. Suddenly, lines of light connect the three trees, forming a luminous triangle. A strong light appears in the center and a jade treasure chest appears. Shadow explains that he did not expect to find a blessing from an ancient god so easily. He adds that these blessings can appear randomly. Some generate chests, others summon monsters or bosses, and others give rare rewards. Gui Shui is shocked upon recognizing the chest's value. A single jade chest was worth at least 1,000 days of tradable lifespan, which was equivalent to more than 10 million RMB. But Shadow knew the value was even higher. In his past life, the price of tradable lifespan skyrocketed, with one day going from 10,000 to more than 50,000 RMB. Meanwhile, Gui Shui decided to memorize how Shadow activated the symbol. With her tracking skills, she imagined she could find many others. A system notification informs Shadow that he has opened the chest and obtained a jade skill book called Flourishing Curse. Shadow wonders what kind of skill it is. The system explains, Flourishing Curse is a jade level skill. When used on the corpse of a player dead for less than 15 seconds, it causes a cursed flora to grow on their body, draining all of their tradable lifespan until it reaches 0. And the best part, the skill has no cooldown. Feng learned the skill on the spot, thinking how absurd it was. He had already heard of it in his past life, but he did not know its name was Flourishing Curse. With a smile, he commented that the name fit perfectly. Now, whenever he killed a player, he just had to watch the body and let the cursed flower suck away all their lifespan. His target was clear. Song Fei's lucky days were over. Feng planned to hunt him until he was forced to quit the game, and when he reached level 10, he could take his skills to the real world. At that point, he intended to finish Song Fei for good. Far away, Song Fei and his fans were busy attacking a monster with several strikes. Song Fei was leading the attack, thinking they had already run far enough and that Feng would not be able to reach them. He grew irritated remembering that Feng had already stolen his achievement for a boss and killed him twice. For him, that was already enough. With a confident smile, Song Fei promised he would get get revenge as soon as he leveled up. Suddenly, one of the fans warned that a group of players was fighting a boss up ahead. Songfei lied on the spot, saying they looked like fans of Nujiaki, his rival. Upon hearing the name, the chubbier fan became furious, and the others followed her. She ordered them all to advance to eliminate the supposed fans, who were trying to sabotage Songfei's ranking. The 3 players ahead suspected nothing. When they saw Songfei and his group approaching, they thought it was help and thanked them, saying the boss was almost defeated. In the next instant, the chubby fan hit the group leader's head with her staff, killing him with a single blow. The other 2 were in shock. A girl asked what they were doing, but the fans replied that this was the fate of Nujiaki's supporters. The girl tried to explain that they didn't even know this person, but was hit by several arrows before she could finish the sentence. The last player shouted her name, Meisha, but had no time to mourn. Songfei's fans shouted that all of Nujiaki's supporters deserved to die and launched a barrage of spells at him and the boss. The player was killed instantly. Songfei approached to pick up the items, praising his fans and calling them family. He lied again, saying he was almost caught in an ambush by Nujiaki's fans. The fans started to cry, saying he didn't need to thank them. Feng arrived in silence, watching everything from a cliff. He activated his invisibility skill and disappeared. The next moment, his cold voice echoed, declaring that Songfei was already dead. Songfei and his fans froze in fear. Feng appeared behind him and, with a single blow, decapitated him, leaving the fans in shock. The chubby fan was paralyzed as Feng held Songfei's body before it could fall. Then, he activated the flourishing curse. A huge red flower sprouted from the corpse, leaving everyone even more horrified. The scene changed to the starting town, where Songfei reappeared. Furious, he began to shout, wondering why Feng was so obsessed with hunting him. Was it envy of his fans, or did he like one of them? At that moment, a system notification warned him that his tradable lifespan was decreasing rapidly. The number kept falling, leaving him alarmed. Songfei wondered if it was a penalty for dying so many times. His fans reappeared shortly after, and the chubby fan immediately reported that something was wrong. She explained that Feng used a strange skill on Songfei's body, causing a blood flower to sprout and absorb something from him. Upon hearing this, Songfei was even more shaken. He wondered if Feng was trying to kill him permanently, and then a new system window appeared, showing that his life expectancy was falling rapidly. In a panic, Songfei decided to log out, thinking that if he stayed in the game, Feng would kill him for good. He told his fans to log out as well, and promised that he would buy more lifetime in the real world, convert equipment in the game, and come back stronger to face him. The fans agreed, saying they would follow him wherever he went. Songfei cursed Feng in his thoughts, vowing revenge. He remembered the 2.5 years of hard work, and swore he would not lose to someone who didn't spend money on the game. Back on the battlefield, Feng had also used the same skill on Songfei's fans. A system notification informed Feng that, because of the large number of players killed, he had reached level 4 of the assassin class. Now, if he died, he would lose 96% of his life, but Feng didn't care. He saw that he had gained over 1,000 days of life from Songfei and his fans, but the absorption suddenly stopped. This meant they had logged out. At that moment, Guixi, his companion in the form of a white bird, arrived and was shocked by the destruction. She thought that Feng's power was terrifying, especially since he was number 1 in the game. Feng saw her and asked if Songfei had logged out, and she confirmed. He asked her to keep an eye out and let him know as soon as Songfei returned. Guichi agreed and asked if she could go now. Feng said he had a gold-level pre-skill, the Sword of Sacred Judgment, and asked if she wanted it. Her eyes lit up, and she said yes. He told her to wait for him in the city. The hunt for Songfei would continue. In Firefly City, Feng explained to Guichi that the skill book was worth 500 days of life, but that he would sell it for half the price with one condition. Hearing this, Guichi immediately thought something else, and said she was not that type of girl. Feng was confused for a moment, not understanding what she was thinking. He clarified that the condition was only for her to join a specific team as their permanent healer. Guichi agreed right away, but warned that she would complain if the group members were weak. Feng assured her that the team was competent and decided to contact them. Meanwhile, Wang Meg's group had just defeated a boss. However, Wang Meg was poisoned and asked Xiao Yu to purify him. As she was a novice, she did not know what a purification skill was. Wang Meg explained that every priest had one and asked her to hurry. Determined to be useful, Xiao Yu started to use the skill and told everyone to watch, but she missed and hit a tree, leaving everyone shocked, especially Plun, who was embarrassed. Xiao Yu apologized, but the poison had already taken effect, and Wang Meg died. Shortly after, the group reappeared in the starting city. Frustrated, Wang Meg thought they needed to replace Xiao Yu as soon as possible. He wondered where they would find a good healer, since the best ones probably already had groups. At that same moment, Xiao Yu was looking at her status window and thinking with irony that the game was not that difficult, and that reaching level 4 had been easy. Her goal was to continue like this until she found Songfei. Suddenly, Feng contacted Wang Meg. He said he knew a white avian priestess, a hidden class, and that she was very strong. Then he asked if Wang Meg would accept her into the group. Without hesitating, Wang Meng replies that if Shadow is recommending her, she must be strong, and he accepts immediately. Feng informs him that the priestess is in Firefly City, and since Shell City is crowded, suggests they meet there to level up together. Wang Meng agrees, saying they were already planning to move because of the excess of players. Turning to Xiao Yu, she warns that they are going to a higher level area and cannot take her, since her level is still low. Xiao Yu is surprised and tries to argue that she can help, but Wang Meng and his group leave in a hurry, saying there is no time to explain. Left behind, Xiaoyu becomes furious, calling the group cowards and liars. She decides she will find Shadow and make him help her level up. Meanwhile, Wang Meng arrives in Firefly City and meets Feng. He transfers 800 days of life expectancy as payment for the equipment Feng sold. Wang Meng also mentions that they still owe 500 days, which Captain Yu will transfer as soon as she arrives. Upon hearing the name Yu, Feng recognizes her. He introduces Wang Meng to Gui Shui and asks them to introduce themselves. At that moment, a voice calls out for Wang Meng. It is Yu, with the game ID Justice Execution. Feng recognizes her immediately. Yu has the hidden class Dragon Knight, and in his past life was one of the 20 most powerful players in the world. She was one of the pillars of the Zelia forces and a nightmare for the enemy factions. As they exchange greetings, Feng admits to himself that it is the first time he has met someone who was stronger than him in the past. Yu introduces herself and confesses that she greatly admires Shadow, asking with curiosity what the secret to his rapid evolution is, and even jokes, asking if he is a time traveler. Feng accepts her 500 days of life expectancy and thinks that in his past life, he did not remember Yu and Wang Meng being in the same group. He realizes that Yu must have already gotten a large amount of life expectancy on behalf of the Zhongkai City authorities, who trust her due to her class's high resistance. Yu then tells Feng that if he has more equipment, they are interested in buying. She adds that all the official life expectancy of Zhongkai City is with her, and asks if he would try to kill her for it. He reassures her, stating that cooperation is more beneficial for both of them. Yu praises him for being smart, and Feng notices that her every word is a calculated test. As the rumors said, she seems innocent, but is sharp and ruthless. He concludes that having her as a contact with the authorities will save him a lot of time. Song Fei's fans log out of the game, shocked by the official announcement. Life expectancy was real, and if it reached 0, they would die in the real world. The architect becomes furious upon realizing that this was not a simple game, as she had given all her tradable life to Song Fei, and now she only had a few days left. The assassin, who already had PK status, realizes that dying one more time would make her lose double the life. They were in shock. The girl who was the group's tank starts reading the messages, and her face fills with sweat. She realizes in a panic that because she always advanced on the front line, she killed and died many times. Now she only has 1 day of life expectancy left. If it reaches 0, she will die. At this moment, something catches her attention. Song Fei was buying life expectancy. Sensing the opportunity, she decided to look for Song Fei, certain that he would help her. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu, Feng's sister, also left the game. She was still confused, struggling to distinguish the real world from the virtual one. When she turned on her cell phone, she smiled upon seeing that the exchange rate was excellent. 1 day of life could be sold for 15,000. With the 200 days she had, she could become a millionaire. But her smile vanished when she saw the news. Shadow had killed Song Fei 3 times. She panicked, remembering that death in the game was permanent if one's life expectancy reached 0. Even with 100 years of non-negotiable life, the 3 deaths left Song Fei with only 12 remaining years. All the chat groups were commenting that Shadow had managed to kill Song Fei, even while surrounded by dozens of people. To her, he seemed terrifyingly strong. Soon after, a fan began sending messages in a chat, saying that Song Fei needed help. She revealed that he was at Zhang Plaza, buying life expectancy for 10,000 a unit, and asked for any fan in Jingai City to go there and sell theirs. Xiaoyu couldn't believe it. Zhang Plaza was very close by. She couldn't stand by while his life was running out. Thanks to Shadow and the others, she had over 200 days of negotiable life, enough to help. Without wasting any time, she decided to head there. At the same time, back in the game, Feng was easily eliminating several monsters when a system window appeared. He had reached level 10, gaining an increase in his attributes and 5 free points. Additionally, a series of achievements was unlocked for being the first to reach this level. In the Jingai City region, he gained 7 reputation points. In the Great Xia Kingdom, he gained 14 reputation points. In the world, he gained 21 reputation points. The system also informed that the teleportation function to the continent of the Forgotten Gods would be activated when 7 players from Jingai City reached level 10. The announcement spread through all the cities, shocking the players. The comments were of amazement. It was Shadow again, the same one who got the first kill of a gold monster. Some thought he was too strong and that Song Fei, the little celebrity he killed, deserved it. Other players became frustrated, comparing their progress and wondering if anyone could keep up with his pace. Near the sea, Feng decided to use the points he gained. He consumed 13 evolution points, and his backstab enhancement skill evolved from platinum to emerald, increasing the passive effect from 40% to 50%. Even with over 7,000 days of tradable life, he knew it was not enough. To leave the starting city, it was necessary for 6 other players to reach level 10 to activate the portal. Since the highest level after him was only 7, this would take a while. For now, he decided to return to the real world to handle a matter. He returned to the real world and the system asked if he wanted to use his life expectancy to transfer skills. Feng accepted without hesitation. First, he decided to extract his class. The system consumed 1,000 days of life and completed the extraction, giving him the Shadow class. His passive skill was activated and his attributes increased. Strength +3, Constitution +3, Agility +8, and Spirit +5. Next, he extracted his level. This cost 2,000 days and his level in reality rose to 3, increasing his attributes again. Strength +4, Constitution +4, Agility +14, and Spirit +4. Afterward, he spent 900 days to extract the Platinum level Shadow Step skill and another 2,262 days for the Silver level Poison Dagger. He was happy to still have 1,192 days remaining, even though he could not extract anything else for now. It was a great deal, as he paid the price of a low-level skill, but got the Platinum Shadow Step. He clenched his fist in anger as he thought of Song Fei. Now his basic attributes were double those of an ordinary person. His agility reached 32 points above the human limit, and he had unlimited invisibility. Furthermore, his poison dagger could be thrown a distance of 14 meters. With all this, he would surely find a chance to finish off Song Fei. Feng picked up his phone and saw, surprised, that Song Fei was buying a lot of life expectancy. He imagined that Song Fei planned to enter the game to go after him. He saw that he was at Jianyang Plaza, about 7 or 8 kilometers away, and calculated that, at his current speed, he would get there in a little over 10 minutes. At that moment, he saw a message from Hu Qibin, his supervisor. She was furious because Feng had disappeared and was no longer answering his phone. She knew about a rich young woman's interest in him and could not believe he did not want to cooperate. Feng blocked her. As he walked, he threw his phone away, became invisible, and thought that soon everyone would understand what the game of the Forsaken God really meant. A few hours later at Jianyang Plaza, Song Fei's show was happening, full of girls. Feng's sister was also there, on stage with him, next to a blonde woman. The woman commented that she heard Song Fei was killed 3 times by Shadow in the game. She told him not to worry, as they had already sent people to investigate Shadow's identity. Curious, Song Fei asked about the investigation. She revealed that she sent someone to Firefly City to contact him with an irrefutable offer. When he came to the real world to get the money, they would capture him so that Song Fei could take out his anger. Hearing this, Song Fei smiled and asked to be notified. Afterward, he asked if she knew that the Jiaying Corporation used the same method to control players and force them to work for free. The woman laughed, saying that those players were idiots and weak, unable to accumulate life expectancy. To her, it was much better to be on Song Fei's side, since many women gave their life expectancy to him voluntarily, even willing to die. Song Fei began to laugh maliciously. In the middle of the event, a man in the audience started shouting, telling everyone to stop selling their life expectancy. He turned to Song Fei and accused him of knowing that this was linked to life and death, but that he continued to brainwash his fans to buy their life expectancy. The man said that Song Fei was putting lives at risk and that they would report him. Song Fei smiled, thinking that a fool always showed up to interfere. He stood up and gave a speech, saying he knew about the recent debates. He stated that his actions to get life expectancy had caused disturbances, and for that, he offered a sincere apology. His fans shouted that he didn't need to apologize. With a smile, Song Fei thanked them for their support, but said that their love should be something positive. He asked for everyone to act more rationally, ensure their own safety, and work to help society. With a face full of tears, he explained that he was cooperating with the authorities and trying his best in the game to help the country. He said he used his own wealth to buy life expectancy because he wanted to become a quality idol, someone they could admire. It was a way to repay their affection and ensure they had a happy and safe life outside the game. Song Fei stated that he never expected to cause so many problems, and his words made all the fans cry. He apologized again, which made everyone sad. The fans started shouting that he had done nothing wrong, and furious, told the man who accused him to leave. They said they were helping of their own free will. Then, a chubbier fan got on stage and told everyone to stop listening to the rumors. She said that only idiots would believe that, and questioned how the game's life expectancy could affect the real world. Placing her hand on her chest, she declared she was willing to die for him. She recounted that upon leaving the game, she was informed that she had less than a day to live, but she was still perfectly fine. She concluded that even if the rumors were true, whoever was not willing to die for their idol did not deserve to love him. The girl's words excited the other fans, who decided to give all their life expectancy to Song Fei. He was happy with their enthusiasm, extended his hand to the fan on stage, and said it was an honor to be loved by someone like her. While the girl cried, willing to die for him, something flew through the air and went through Song Fei's head. Everyone was in shock. He began to bleed from the mouth, and his hair fell out all at once. Song Fei's body fell on top of the fan, who got scared and fell to the floor, screaming without understanding what was happening. With his death confirmed, his fans panicked. The security guards began to escort Hookbin, but she was screaming, saying she had seen a life expectancy orb around Song Fei's body when he died. She warned that everyone should leave because whoever killed him used a game skill. Horrified, she wondered how the game skills could be used in the real world. She thought about the killer's actions, turning invisible and collecting lifetime, and concluded that the only person capable of that was Shadow. At that moment, a dart also pierced Hookbin's head, killing her instantly and leaving the guards in shock. In the middle of the crowd was Feng. It was already night, and the news reports were announcing the deaths of the celebrity Song Fei and of Dai Jiang. The news also said that his most devoted fans died beside him after sacrificing all their lifetime. The police investigation revealed that the deaths were caused by supernatural abilities. Feng's sister Xiaoyu and her friend were crying, unable to believe that Song Fei was dead one day after his show. The friends soon realized that the invisibility and the thrown knives must be skills from that game. She wondered if the culprit was Shadow, since he was known for killing inside the game. Xiaoyu was also confused, wondering how the game's skills could work in the real world. She remembered Shadow's assassinations and concluded that he could only be Song Fei's killer. If Shadow could use his skills in reality, she would also find a way. From that moment on, Xiaoyu would have only one goal: to get stronger, no matter the cost. After they got out of the taxi, Xiaoyu's eyes burned with anger. She only wanted to kill Shadow and avenge Song Fei. Meanwhile, Feng was calmly eating noodles in a restaurant. He thought that, even though he was invincible in the game, his body in the real world still felt hungry. His cell phone rang with a message from Xiao Ya. She warned that Fat was furious, had blocked Feng's cell phone, and was threatening to fire him without the month's salary if he didn't show up. Feng knew her from his previous life as a member of his guild. She was a good girl, but very delicate, he replied. aside, telling her not to worry about him or the job and to focus on leveling up in the game. Surprised, Xiaoya asked if Feng also played, commenting that it was very difficult and was consuming the lifespan of many people. Feng advised her to focus only on agility at the beginning. She agreed, but said that the lifespan sold in the game was expensive. When she asked how much Feng had already earned, he replied not much, as he had already spent almost all of it. Feng knew that fat was just a pawn. The real problem was his boss, Qian Shiki, the daughter of the Qian Group's president. In his previous life, this woman moved to North America and founded one of the 3 largest guilds there, Alice's Wonderland. This guild always opposed his country and caused endless problems for his own guild, God's Plan. He realized he needed to deal with her before she left the country, as it would be much more difficult later. Feng thought that if Qian Shiki died, Alice's Wonderland might never be created. All the founders had some connection to her, and without that connection, the guild would not be formed. His cell phone rang again. It was a call from Xiaoyu. She seemed surprised that he answered, thinking he might have died in the game. Relieved, she said that she had already earned enough money to buy a house, so he no longer needed to worry about her. Feng decided to continue the conversation and asked if she had anything else to say. She asked him not to bother her anymore and said that she would not look for him either. She also demanded that he not even try to find out where she lived, because from now on, she had cut ties with him. Feng hung up the call and felt happy. He decided it was time to go back to leveling up, as it wouldn't be long until someone reached level 10 and discovered that skills could be transferred to reality. When that happened, the world would no longer know peace. Shortly after, Xiao Yu and her friend also logged into the game. The friend was confused and asked if it wasn't too harsh to cut ties with her brother, advising her to make peace. Xiao Yu stood firm and refused, revealing that she had sold her life expectancy to the Qian Group. She sold it for a total of 2 million, which left her friend in shock. Xiao Yu also mentioned that she had bought a house for them to live in together. She added that she would soon find Shadow, and when that happened, Feng would no longer matter. At that moment, a player passing by caught her attention with a smile. The man handed her the assassin skill book she wanted and reminded her with a cheerful expression not to forget what she had promised. She agreed that, as soon as everything was settled, she would attend to his small wishes. Inside, however, she called him a bootlicker and thought that, when she found Shadow, no one would care about a useless piece of trash like him. Xiao Yu informed a contact named Wang that she had a control skill book for an assassin and asked him to check if Shadow needed it, as she could deliver it. A smile formed on her face. That bootlicker was still useful for having gotten such a good skill. That book would be her way of connecting with Shadow. She planned to get close to him, stay quietly by his side, heal him, and help him kill enemies to level up. She would make him feel her help little by little, so that he would trust her and see her as his other half. But when she became strong enough and he was no longer of any use, she would kill him with her own hands and tear out his eyes, all to avenge her brother, Song Fei. To her surprise, Wang replied that Shadow considered the skill to be trash. He didn't need it, and Xiao Yu could keep the book to sell. A while later, Feng also entered the game and heard someone fighting an unusual boss. Following the sound of the battle, Feng saw a man with a shield fighting a multi-armed boss. The man tried to run, but it was in vain. The monster cut him to pieces, and Feng realized that it was a golden Erdopod, a level 8 gold class boss. The boss possessed a level 2 anti-stealth skill, which meant Feng's invisibility would be ineffective against it. Suddenly, the monster started to flee. Feng seized the moment, came out of his hiding place and attacked with Shadow Strike, dealing thousands of points of damage. He knew his damage bonus for attacking unseen would not work, which would reduce his power. However, the legendary effect of Graceful Release amplified the weak points on the golden Erdopod's head and heart by 200%. Of the 9 hits from Shadow Strike, 3 struck weak points, tripling the damage and compensating for the loss. It was a truly legendary skill. He needed to thank Xiao Yu for that, as she had helped him find the Temple of Faith. Feng's damage was so high that a single skill reduced the golden Erdopod's health by 1/6. Next, he attacked with a poisonous throwing knife, which lodged in the monster's head and dealt 1783 points of damage. The poison knife was only silver level, and its damage was already falling behind. Feng still needed to advance his profession to obtain a higher level of invisibility. To his surprise, the monster advanced on him and prepared to attack. Mage panicked upon seeing the scene, but Feng looked confident. The monster attacked him, but he dodged without much effort, leaving Mage and her friend shocked by his speed. They realized he was not just fast, but his reaction was incredible, as if he already knew the boss's attack patterns. This skill was developed in his past life. He learned that a warrior didn't just need to endure blows, but also have agile movements and know how to dodge. That was why he managed to reach the world's top 100 with a common class. Feng attacked the boss with a series of strikes, and the monster's health dropped to less than half. He became invisible, and thought that, compared to bosses with unavoidable attacks, dealing with the golden arthropod was much easier. The monster tried to flee, but Feng did not allow it. He drew his dagger and slit its throat, receiving a system notification, 64,000 experience points, 7 evolution points, and 497 days of tradable life for killing the level 8 gold class boss. Feng used a skill and got another 21 evolution points and 497 days of life. In total, the boss yielded him 28 evolution points and almost 2,000 days of tradable life. To his surprise, another window appeared, granting him the assassin skill Dark Light Shield. The skill's effect was to convert his dodge rate into a damage reduction shield for 8 seconds. For every 20% of dodge chance, a layer of shield was generated. Combined with his epic skill, which gave 75% dodge, the Black Light Shield could provide 3 layers of protection. With this new skill, he could defeat many bosses without taking damage. Feng spent 6 evolution points and upgraded the Black Light Shield from Platinum class to Epic. The duration increased to 14 seconds, and the conversion rate improved. Now, for every 10% of dodge chance, a layer of shield was generated. He He was satisfied, as he now had 7 layers of damage reduction shield. With this, he could explore high-level areas in advance. Since he still had 22 evolution points, he decided to also evolve the poisonous throwing knife. He spent 16 points and upgraded it from silver class to emerald, more than doubling its damage. He had also gotten 2 assassin items. The first was the platinum tier agile ring, which increased his agility, movement speed, attack speed, and cooldown speed. The second was the gold tier heavy red leather gloves, which gave more defense, resistance, constitution, and HP. With the new items, his cooldown speed reached 55%. His stats were now high enough that he could withstand 3 attacks from the golden arthropod without dying. Combined with the black light shield, Feng's survivability had improved greatly. The mage and the others left praising Feng, saying that the boss had been nothing to him, and they could not believe he had defeated it alone. The mage asked if he had any equipment or skills she could use, adding that she would buy it. Feng revealed that he had a gold-level skill book for mages, the Ice Ball Ricochet, an area of effect skill that launched ice balls that ricocheted up to 10 times, with a price of 800 days. The mage thought 800 days was a bit expensive, as she had already seen a level 5 skill book, also gold, being sold for only 400. With a serious look, Feng explained that the Ice Ball Ricochet was level 7 and had more than 40% more damage than the level 5 one, so the price was not high. The mage did not hesitate and closed the deal with Feng, buying the book. The system window confirmed the transaction. With the newly acquired power, there was no longer any boss in the initial stages that could threaten their group. Feng decided to return to the city and post a message seeking information on the location of silver and gold level bosses. This way, he would have a constant flow of targets to hunt, and his evolution speed would be maximized. At that moment, Wang Meng informed him that Xiao Yu, the team's priestess, wanted to send him a skill book. Feng found it interesting and was curious to know what kind of book it was. He was surprised to see that Xiao Yu wanted to give him a book, even more so because it was bronze level, but he decided to take a look. Feng was not naive. He knew everyone speculated that he had killed Song Fei, and soon after, Xiao Yu was trying to send him a book. He wondered if she was trying to associate with him, avenge Song Fei, or perhaps both, and decided to refuse the offer. Wang Meng said that Xiao Yu replied that the book was trash and that Feng did not need it, so she could sell it herself. Feng asked Wang Meng to go to the city, as he had something to sell him and to prepare a sum of lifespan. Seriously, Wang Meng asked directly if it was Feng who had killed Song Fei's group. Feng confirmed that yes, he had killed them all. To him, Wang Meng was a friend, and he also knew that at the time of Song Fei's murder, Xiao Yu had been disconnected the whole time, which made the motive and the timing of the crime perfect. Since Wang Meng asked this question, it meant that the authorities had already figured out almost everything. Feng asked if he was trying to arrest him, as he knew that in 2 hours other players would reach level 10. When that happened, the ability to transfer powers to reality would no longer be a secret. He saw this as the perfect opportunity to test how the Daxia government would react. When Feng returned to the starting city, he was met by Yu and his group. Without wasting time, Yu confronted him, asking if he admitted to killing Song Fei. With a calm smile, Feng confirmed. Yu explained that a full investigation was conducted and the conclusions pointed to Feng as the prime suspect. However, they also discovered the truth. Song Fei and the Jiang industry were conspiring against Feng, kidnapping players and forcing them into servitude. Because of this, the murder was considered an act of self-defense. Upon hearing this, Feng silently concluded that the authorities had probably chosen to cooperate with him, especially since his identity in the real world was still a mystery. Feng remembered that in his previous life, he had always collaborated with the authorities. But now, with Song Fei's death on his hands, he wondered how this relationship would change. For now, he decided to wait and see what would happen. Feng took out the items he intended to sell and explained his plan. Since Wang Ming and Yu worked for the government, they had access to various professions and, more importantly, possessed negotiable lifetime to buy the equipment. They could acquire both equipment and skill books from different classes. When Wang Meng saw the platinum items Feng had prepared, he was surprised and asked if he had already defeated a platinum boss alone. Feng denied it, saying he was just lucky enough to find a platinum treasure chest. He added that Gu Yixi was present and saw him also receive a jade-level skill book, which she confirmed. Hearing Feng call Gu Yixi by her name, while still referring to her as Little Black, Plun felt a little jealous. Feng noticed and asked, jokingly, if she preferred another name. Embarrassed, Plun said that Little Black was fine. Observing the scene, Wang Meng commented that it was bad to compare oneself with others. Yu agreed, pointing out that while they were still struggling with silver bosses, Feng was already collecting platinum and jade items with ease. Feng then proceeded to discuss the prices. The Platinum Archer book cost 2,500 days of life, and the Platinum Berserker weapon, 1,500 days. The Platinum Maid book was valued at 3,000 days. A gold-level book and equipment went for 8,000 days. For the remaining 25 platinum items, he offered a discounted package for 16,000 days. To Wang Meng's surprise, Yu accepted the deal without negotiating. He questioned her, but Yu explained that the prices were fair, and that she would also pay off the previous debts of Little Snow and Wang Meng. Feng agreed, and the exchange was completed. He reflected that, above 10,000 days, lifetime was converted into years. The total value was a huge expense even for the government, but the investment was worth it. With the new items, the government could accelerate the growth of its power, avoid conflicts, and gain an advantage in international confrontations. Then, Yu informed that the Jiang industry was imprisoning players, and that a rescue operation would happen that day. She asked if Feng wanted to participate. He suspected that it was an attempt by the government to recruit him and forget the Song Fei case. Feng refused the invitation, but decided to offer a piece of information in exchange. He confirmed their suspicions. He had killed Song Fei using his game abilities. Feng Feng explained that upon reaching level 10, a player can spend negotiable lifetime to bring their abilities into the real world. He pointed out that this was crucial information and suggested they use it before everyone knew. Upon hearing this, Yu began to understand everything. Yu finally understood why the Daijang industry bought so much negotiable life. When its players reached level 10 and extracted their abilities, they would be strong enough to stop the government from rescuing the others. With everything explained, Feng made it clear that he had nothing more to say. He said goodbye in silence and disappeared. With this new information, Yu made a decision. Her group would separate for a while to focus on leveling up individually. She explained that the team was too strong. Fighting together, they killed the monsters with a single blow, which was a waste of experience. Divided into smaller groups, everyone could progress much faster. Wang Meng agreed at once, understanding that the priority was to get everyone to level 10. Elsewhere, players saw that Feng had set up a shop again. This time, however, he was buying, not selling. He was specifically looking for coordinates of boss monsters. For a silver level boss, he offered 30 days of negotiable life. For a gold level one, the price was 100 days. Suddenly, a player approached and commented arrogantly that Feng was still there acting like a merchant. He said that the woman from the Zhang industry had made a great offer, 300 million in cash and company shares for whoever helped her level up. He even suggested it was a good deal and that Feng should have accepted. But another player interrupted him, asking if he had left the game lately. He said that Feng had already killed Song Fei and the woman from the Zhang industry in real life. The news shocked the first player. Paralyzed, he heard the other casually lament that her death was a shame, as she was very beautiful. Still stunned, the first player began to process what he had heard. He admitted that she deserved it, since she tried to capture Feng in the real world and paid for it. He said that in the beginning, she offered Feng 10 million to help her, but he refused. Blinded by greed, he himself accepted the offer. However, when he went to receive the payment, he was knocked out. He woke up chained in a basement, where he was whipped for days and forced to farm negotiable life for them, who used him as bait to attract more victims. With bitterness, he said she got what she deserved. He added, with self-contempt, that he had previously mocked Feng for refusing the offer, but now he saw that he had always been the fool. Feng remained silent. Inwardly, he thought that from the way that man behaved, it was almost certain that he had also helped kidnap other people. Feeling judged, the man quickly stated that he was forced, but Feng did not want to hear excuses and just told him to go away. As the man walked away, Feng thought that the authorities would soon take care of people like him. Suddenly, a group of mysterious players approached, offering the coordinates of a silver-level boss monster. Feng accepted the deal without hesitation, trading 30 days of negotiable life for the information. As soon as the trade was made, the surrounding players began to whisper. Some recognized one of the newcomers, known in the game as Asda Espadas. The whispers identified her as Qin Shi, the heiress of the powerful Qian group in the real world. The moment her identity was revealed, the players instinctively moved away. Qin Shi and her group had already killed many players to steal their lives, and everyone feared they would be next. Qin Shi, in turn, did not seem to care about her reputation. She scoffed, saying the game was not that impressive. For her, it only took a little money to buy the best equipment and skills, which gave her an advantage at the beginning. Afterward, it was just a matter of hunting players with a lot of negotiable life and taking what she wanted. She complained that the game made her miss a flight to North America, where she was supposed to be partying with her friends. Instead, she was stuck in the city of Axia, unable to even leave the country. She rolled her eyes at two players trembling with fear nearby, and mocked them, saying that the local men were weak, including in bed. Then she turned to a foreign teammate named Tony, and commented that she preferred men like him. Tony smiled and praised her good taste, saying that people like him were superior, especially in that regard. He even added that, as soon as they got out of the game, he would let her prove that superiority. Qian laughed, finding it amusing, and implied that she was looking forward to it. Changing the subject, Qian asked if the rumors about Song Fei's death were true. She admitted she had played with him before, but found him useless, saying he didn't even last a minute. To her, he was trash. Her tone changed to curiosity when she mentioned the rumors that Song Fei was killed by Shadow. Despite her contempt for the local men, she acknowledged that the #1 player in the world deserved attention. With a smile, she commented that if Shadow managed to defeat someone like Song Fei, then killing an ordinary person would not be a problem. Decided, Qian informed her team that she would be leaving the game for a while. She needed to make some calls to contact Shadow. Since he did not seem to care about money, she planned to offer something more valuable, 3,000 days of lifespan. In return, she wanted him to kill a random person. What Qian did not know was that her target, Feng, was Shadow himself. The scene then shifts to a battlefield, where a player was struggling to take down a monster. After a tense fight, he barely manages to defeat it, surviving only because of a last-second heal cast by Xiao Yu. Breathless, he complained that she should have acted faster, as he almost died. But being spoiled, Xiao Yu ignored the complaint and told him not to yell, since he hadn't died. He tried to explain, but she paid no attention. Instead, she announced that her hunger was at 90% and she was going to log out to eat. She called her friend to go with her, and the two of them left the game, leaving the young man alone in the forest. Annoyed, the player grumbled that Xiao Yu was sweeter at the beginning, but became arrogant after meeting Shadow. He swore that one day he would put an end to her attitude. Back in the real world, Xiao Yu appeared safely in her new apartment, which was a complete mess. Starving, she tried to order food, but discovered that all delivery services were suspended, probably because all the delivery drivers were in the game. Her thoughts returned home. Back then, her brother always cooked for her, and she never needed to do anything, but she soon composed herself. She lightly slapped her face and told herself to pull herself together. Compared to the freedom of living alone, that was just a small problem. She took a deep breath, trying to cheer up, and reinforced that she was strong and was better off without her brother. The scene changes to a cave on the coast, with the sound of sound of the waves outside. Inside, Feng was facing a huge boss, the Crab King. As the creature advanced, Feng counterattacked with a precise strike to the monster's head, which fell on the spot, its body dissolving into rewards. Feng reflected on the feat. 4 silver-level bosses defeated in just over an hour, each giving 16 evolution points. In addition, the items they dropped could yield up to 3,500 days of lifespan. By this point, all his equipment was already gold level or higher. His load reduction skill had gone up from 55% to 75%, and even the instant shadow cut improved, with the cooldown dropping from 12 to 6.8 seconds. He concluded that, as there were no platinum-level bosses near the starting cities, the strongest he had defeated so far was gold level. To change that, there was only one path: class advancement. He looked at his experience bar and thought about the challenge. All platinum-level bosses had, at a minimum, level 2 stealth detection. To beat them, he needed level 3 stealth, which required 20,000 experience points. Only then could he fight them safely. He remembered that, in his past life, it took a team of 20 players to defeat a single platinum boss. This time, he was determined to do it alone. Feng decides to return to the city to sell the loot he got to the government. He has the determination to stay ahead of everyone and be the first to defeat a platinum boss alone. After selling his items, he accumulates a total of 105 years. It is a huge amount, which he notes is equivalent to almost 40,000 days of tradable life expectancy. Enough wealth to get almost anything in the real world. As he walks through the city, a suspicious-looking player approaches him. The man implies that there is a target in the real world with a good reward, but Feng ignores him. The player gets in his way and reveals that the target is a certain King Feng. Since Feng managed to defeat Song Fei, the man says that this new job would be easy money. The moment he hears the name King Feng, Feng's interest is piqued. He wonders what would make someone like King Feng worth killing. But the player ignores the question, insisting that the reason is irrelevant. What matters is the reward: 3,000 days of tradable life expectancy. This number makes Feng hesitate. He calculates that almost 3,000 days are equivalent to about 50 million. Feng wonders who would want King Feng dead to the point of paying such a high price. Observing the man, he concludes that he is just an intermediary. Feng does not remember seeing him in his past life, which means the true mastermind must be someone else. He recalls that in his previous life, people with resentment against him only appeared more towards the middle and end of the game. It is too early for enemies to start acting. The only person who fits the profile and has the money to hire an assassin at this moment is Qian. She is the only one with the motive and resources to attack King Feng. However, he also notes that if she really wanted King Feng dead, she could have acted long before the game started. This suggests the assassination has another motive. He deduces that Qian's true objective might be to create a connection with Shounen. Eliminating King Feng would just be a bonus, perhaps for him having rejected her. This turn of events amuses him. He was already planning to look for Qian to deal with her, but it seems she acted first. Seeing an opportunity, he agrees to accept the job on one condition. He wants half the payment up front, and the time of the execution will be decided by him. The player is surprised. He did not expect someone like Shounen to accept the job so easily. After consulting his superior, the player transfers 1,500 days of negotiable life expectancy to Feng. Feng decides to treat this advance as interest that he will collect long before thinking about killing Chen. The player then shares the target's location, and that's when Feng is truly surprised. The address is his own home. Without hesitating, he walks away. He tells the player that the results will show when the job is done. The player watches his departure in silence, mocking to himself. To him, Shounen is just showing off. In the end, they are both just pawns working for Titty. Before Feng could get very far, he was stopped by another player, a beautiful and curvaceous woman. She heard that he was buying boss coordinates and said she had information about a gold-level boss. If he was interested, she offered to guide him there. Feng replied that he would pay 100 days of negotiable life expectancy as soon as he confirmed the coordinates. The woman agreed, saying the boss was north of the city and that the walk would be a bit long. Curious, Feng asked what kind of boss it was. She replied that it was a plague bearer. The fact that she knew the boss's name convinced him that she might be telling the truth. She then asked if he was sure he did not want to bring a healer, since the plague bearer had an area of effect poison attack, but Feng refused, saying she only needed to take him there. As they walked, Feng thought about the plague bearer. It was a gold-level boss, known for its area of effect poison attack that continuously drained HP. Even so, he was confident he could defeat it quickly with a few skills. Soon, they arrived at a cave. She warned that all the common monsters had already been eliminated and that only the boss remained. They crossed the cave and reached a swamp. In the center was the monster, a creature that looked like a tree, with several red eyes on its trunk and a poisonous aura. Seeing that she had not lied, Feng transferred the 100 tradable life days he had promised. He thought that, with his 75% evasion rate and the ghostly shadow bells, he could dodge the boss's poison without any problems. At that moment, the girl became anxious and confessed that it was all a trap. As soon as the fight started, a group of players would appear to kill him. To make matters worse, they had level 2 anti-fatigue capability. Feng did not seem shaken, but she continued, explaining that her real mission was to get close to find out his identity and address in the real world. This part of the plan bothered him. She said she was being blackmailed in real life and had no other choice, and that she actually wanted the people behind it to die. When Feng asked who the mastermind was, she revealed the name Dong Feng, whose in-game ID was Shang Nian. She added that his group claimed that Feng had already killed them once. Then, Feng remembered, it was the same guy who tried to steal the ghost ship boss, and even offered a skill book as an apology. Desperate, the girl remembered that Feng managed to kill Song Fei, so dealing with Dong Feng would be easy. She begged for help, saying she was completely lost. Feng found the whole scheme childish. He didn't even remember Dong Feng from his past life, which meant the guy was a nobody. For now, he decided to focus on killing the boss, and then hunt down Dongfeng to finish him off. Activating stealth, Feng moved forward, deciding to use the trap against them. He told the girl to let the players arrive as planned, that he would take care of the rest. She tried to stop him, shouting that Dongfeng had already brought 3 full teams, 18 players, to face that boss, and they all died in less than 30 seconds. The Plague Bearer's poison damage was very high, and facing it alone seemed like suicide, but Feng was calm. He jumped into the air and activated a sequence of skills: Blessed Release, Backstab Enhancement, and Throat Cut. He finished with Instant Shadow Slash, delivering a wave of attacks. The damage was so absurd that the boss's health dropped to less than half right away. The girl watched in disbelief. With a single combo, he had dealt more than 80,000 damage to a gold-level boss. She wondered if he was even human. Without stopping, Feng used Latent Image, became stealthy, and reappeared beside her. He explained that the cooldown for Blessed Release was 25 seconds, but with his 75% reduction, the time dropped to 14.3 seconds. He said he was not going to kill the boss yet. It was smarter to wait for Dongfeng's minions to arrive to eliminate them first. As soon as Feng's skill recharged, Dongfeng's men stormed the cave, shouting that they would kill the boss and that anyone who stood in the way would also die. Feng recognized their leader at once. It was the same guy who attacked Little Pum on the ghost ship. The original plan was for the girl to block the attacks and pretend to save him to earn his trust. But seeing how many enemies there were, Feng doubted she could do it. To his surprise, the girl drew a huge golden shield. Feng recognized right away that it was a gold grade item, with a defense so high that almost no one in the game could damage it at that moment. He figured she got lucky and found a gold grade chest after finding some ancient god on the map. Back in the fight, Feng used the Instant Shadow Slash and hit the entire group at once, but he was not done. Before the players' bodies fell, he activated the Flower upon Flower curse. Red flowers sprouted on them, draining their life expectancy. The girl was in shock. She had to admit that this shadow was terrifying. He had finished off an entire group with a single skill. She was left wondering what kind of power created those flowers. The girl realized that betraying Dongfeng's plan had saved her life. If she had followed the plan, she could have ended up like Song Fei. To keep in touch, she asked Feng to add Kumamika. She promised that if she ever found out Dongfeng's real-world location, she would send it to him. Feng agreed, thinking the information could be useful. Satisfied, she said that if he needed special services, he just had to look for her, as it would be free for him. It was then that Feng finally understood what she did for a living. He thought that this probably explained why people always took advantage of her. Turning back to the boss, he activated his skill again and moved forward. With the Instant Shadow Slash, he landed several blows and overpowered the Plague Bearer. The system confirmed the kill. The level 10 gold grade boss had been defeated. As a reward, Feng gained a lot of experience, 7 evolution points, and 555 days of tradable life expectancy. He compared this to the small amount of life expectancy he had gained from killing Dongfeng's men. The boss's reward was much greater. This made him wonder why players like them did not focus on farming life expectancy instead of looking for fights all the time. He looked at the cliff, curious to know why the girl was still there. She just waved and said she was leaving. With that settled, he focused on the boss's items and used the Hand of Greed to collect his reward. What he found surprised him. It had been a while since he had received a new assassin skill book, and now he had one. The system showed the details. A platinum grade skill called Darkest Moment. When activated, the blade would explode in a black light, blinding all enemies in an area. The base cooldown was 60 seconds, but with his 75% reduction, it dropped to 34.3 seconds. The skill required level 10, had a range of 20 meters, and a base duration of 10 seconds, which decreased against targets with high spirit. Feng thought about the skill's potential. If he could blind enemies without using stealth, he could use his double damage skills freely. This meant that even if an enemy had anti-stealth skills, he could still attack efficiently. Feng also received a dagger called the Plague Blade. It was an assassin weapon that increased attack by 216 and agility by 42, in addition to adding a 0.3 multiplier to attacks on weak points. The weapon required level 10 to be equipped and had a unique effect. The blade also had a unique effect. All of Feng's attacks now carried a toxin. 3 seconds after impact, it caused additional damage of 50% of the initial attack. Feng saw that he was only 10,000 experience points short of his class progression and decided to get what was missing by killing the monsters in the area with the Instant Shadow Cut. He eliminated them all without difficulty, even those who tried to flee, and finally reached the requirements for the progression. When the process began, a golden energy enveloped him, and the system confirmed the class promotion from tier 0 to 1. With this, his attributes increased greatly. Strength and constitution went from 3 to 9, agility from 8 to 24, and spirit from 5 to 15. His passive abilities also improved. The duration of stealth doubled, and now he could use other abilities without leaving it. His stealth level also increased by 2, and attacks outside the enemy's sight now dealt triple damage instead of double. Feng realized that the progression had tripled his base attributes. Even more impressive was the ability to activate stealth while already in it, which meant he could stay permanently invisible if he managed his time well. With the triple damage, the shadow profession was already absurd, the strongest in the game. Suddenly, a system notification appeared for Feng, warning that 7 players in the city of Shanghai had reached level 10. Next, another announcement informed that the teleportation portal to the abandoned continent of the gods would open in 10 minutes, but only for players who met certain conditions. Shortly after, a ranking appeared on his interface. At the top was Feng in first place. He was followed by a female player named Grey Rose in second, with Winemag and his group in third. The fourth position was occupied by random players. Feng was surprised. He had not expected so many players in Shanghai to have already reached level 10. The strangest thing was that the ranking was full of familiar names. He remembered that, in his past life, the top was dominated by foreign players. It seems that selling so many pieces of equipment and skill books began to cause changes. He wondered how the world would develop from there and became eager to find out. Meanwhile, in the real world, the operation to rescue the players kidnapped by Jiang Industries was going well. The police arrested several of the group's leaders. An officer reported that most of them had been captured, but 3 leaders remained connected to the game, with their bodies in a state of immersion. Since they could not move them, the officer asked what to do. The commander ordered them to contact an agent named Yu inside the game. The order was for her to find the suspects and force them to disconnect, to be arrested in the real world. He explained the plan. Even if the criminals hid in safe zones, eventually they would have to come out to eat. At that moment, they would be captured. The officer thought about how much they owed to Shadow. He not only gave important information about Jiang Industries, but also warned them about the game's danger. They discussed how the game's abilities could be transferred to the real world. If they had delayed a little longer, the leader of Jiang Industries and his accomplices could have reached level 10 and started to extract these abilities, which would cause countless deaths. There are already reports of small wars and conflicts in several countries, with thousands of victims. The commander adds that, on the other hand, most of the government players sent into the game have also reached level 10, mostly thanks to the equipment and skill books that Shadow provided. He concludes that Shadow is an essential resource for the country, and that they need to do whatever it takes to ensure he stays on their side. Meanwhile, back in the game, Feng walks toward the teleportation portal. That girl from before contacts him via message, surprised that he is the type to risk himself to protect others. She says she admires him a lot for that. Feng is a little confused by her comment. She explains that the city authorities released an urgent news report. The Duxiank Industry and Song Fei were kidnapping, imprisoning, and killing other players. According to the report, that was why Feng defeated not only Song Fei, but also Zhang Li, the industry's leader. Hearing this, Feng thinks that the authorities are just twisting the story to facilitate future collaborations. He then asks her if she has managed to locate Dong Feng in the real world yet. She replies that Dong Feng hasn't logged out of the game yet, but promises to let him know as soon as he does. As he approaches the portal, Feng focuses on what matters. His priority now is to get to the abandoned continent of the gods. He notices that many people use the city portal, but no one has managed to access the portal to the continent. No one, except him. Feng enters the portal, and the system confirms the transfer. Until that moment, all the starting cities were like beginner areas. Reaching the abandoned continent was the true start of the game. Nearby, some players see the portal activate, but they don't notice anyone inside, and don't understand what happened. One of them assumes it must be Shadow, the player famous for using stealth for everything. Another player doubts it, saying he has a level 2 anti-stealth skill and didn't detect anything. Someone then concludes that this just means Shadow's stealth level is already higher than 2. At that same moment, Feng arrives at the abandoned continent of the gods. He recognizes the place from his past life, a vast and isolated area that looks like a forgotten city. Feng comments that the place is strangely similar to Jiang's city. He remembers that when players arrive on the continent for the first time, they appear in the ruins of their respective cities. The geography of these ruins is identical to that of the real-world cities, a mystery that was never solved. But while Feng is distracted, he is being watched by a pair of glowing red eyes. From the shadows behind him, a creature advances toward him. Noticing the danger, Feng turns around and comes face to face with a frightening four-eyed worm-like monster. The creature attacks with incredible speed, but he reacts instantly. Feng activates his Ghost Shadow Blur skill, dodging the attack with ease. Without hesitating, he counterattacks with an instant Shadow Slash, and the monster is destroyed in a single blow. The system confirms that he has defeated a level 1 Earth Trembler. Before Feng can breathe, 2 other monsters advance. He leaps into the air to dodge, activating the Grace of Relief skill. During the fall, he uses instant Shadow Slash again, and his swift strikes destroy both monsters immediately. As the bodies break down into items, Feng thinks that on the abandoned continent of the gods, there are no safe zones like in the starting cities. Monsters roam everywhere and can attack at any moment. However, if a player finds hidden shelters in the ruins, they can claim them as bases, and with enough power, dominate the entire area. Feng then remembers a crucial piece of information. The best shelter in Zhang's upper city was in the northwest, in the same location as the base of his former guild, God Slain. Feng went straight there, wanting to claim the place before others. A few hours later, another group of players arrived on the abandoned continent. It was Wang Meng's group. Plun was surprised by the scenery, while Wang Meng noted that the area looked like the ruins of a modern city. Plun speculated that it could be the remains of the city of Jianghai and pointed to a tall tower as proof. Little Hay agreed, saying that the tower's structure was identical. Plun started looking for Shadow, as other players had said they saw him teleport there. Little Shrek commented that it would be useless, as he was probably in stealth mode. Suddenly, 2 Earth Trembler monsters attacked them. Wang Meng moved forward with his shield to block the attack, alerting the group to stay alert. Little Snowy used her spiritual protection to reinforce Wang Meng's defense. The spell, combined with the shield, allowed him to resist the attack and even cause ricochet damage to the monsters. She healed him afterward, reminding everyone that the monsters there were much stronger than those in the starting city. The group's archer used his binding arrow, which turned into a magic rope and immobilized the 2 monsters. The archer celebrated the success. Meanwhile, Plun channeled her power into a huge fireball and launched it at the immobilized monsters. The attack defeated both of them instantly, turning them into items. Plun and the archer celebrated the victory. Wang Meng asked Little Snowy to use her owl to scout the area. She flew over the ruins and reported that there were monsters everywhere, and that the recent fight had attracted a horde in their direction. To make matters worse, she didn't find any safe zones nearby. The group became tense. The archer complained that the continent seemed like a survival game. Plun suggested that little Snowy try to locate Shadow with the owl, since he shouldn't be far. However, the search did not find any other players. When they seemed out of options, she noticed something unusual in the northwest, a cluster of loot items glowing in the distance. She realized they could only be from Shadow. With the monsters approaching, Yu told everyone to follow the trail of items. Since the monsters in that direction had already been eliminated, it would be the safest route to reach him. Wang Meng gathered the group, reminding them to maintain formation, as they would have to fight while retreating. In another part of the ruins, Feng was surrounded by earth-shaking monsters. He activated his instantaneous dark slash and annihilated them all with a single blow, even without the effect of the graceful blessing. Feng saw that his ability alone caused 20 to 30,000 damage, more than enough for those monsters. For him, the place was a paradise for getting lifetime. He finally arrived at his destination, the hideout. Feng knew that beneath those ruins there was a gigantic underground palace, which was only discovered much later in his past life. He remembered that the palace had more than 1,000 resting rooms and dozens of huge halls. It was the largest hideout in Zhangai City and had become the base of his old guild, God's Lair. The place was an underground fortress full of mechanical monsters and strong guardian bosses. The larger the hideout, the stronger the protectors. Upon entering there, Feng thought about his past life. After founding God's Lair, he gathered 3 elite squads with 18 well-armed members, all at level 15. Even with all that power, they barely managed to take the place. But this time, it would be different. Feng descended even deeper through the ruins, and the system confirmed that he had arrived at the hideout. The corridors were filled with strange monsters. The system warned him that he had entered the land of pure souls, and Feng became serious. He was going to conquer that place alone. The system informed that if he defeated the area's guardian, the territory would be his. Suddenly, the monsters noticed his presence. Each monster had a different aura and ran in his direction. Without a second thought, Feng drew his plague blade. They were level 12 golden tears, small elemental spirits, but they should not be underestimated. He soon activated his unique skill, Darkest Moment, and left the entire area in darkness. With the monsters blind, Feng used instantaneous dark slash, attacking the enemy ranks quickly and brutally. One blow after another, the monsters turned into rewards. Since they could not see him, the stealth attack bonus was activated. Even his normal attacks were enough to eliminate these low-level enemies with a single blow. In a short time, the hall was full of loot. He had killed 15 monsters, but that was just one hall. The land of pure souls had dozens of others, in addition to more than 1,000 small rooms. It would be a huge task. Analyzing the situation, Feng calculated that, with so many monsters and loot, when he cleared everything, he would have points to evolve his daily hand skill again. He also realized that the Earth Guardian would only appear after he defeated all the smaller monsters from all areas. Meanwhile, somewhere else, 2 players used a teleport and were sent to the abandoned continent of the gods. Upon arriving, they were shocked. The boy looked around in disbelief and asked if that was really the legendary continent. The girl answered that the place looked familiar. In front of them were the ruins of New York, with the pieces of the Statue of Liberty, and they were not the only ones. Other players began to notice the same thing. The ruins where they arrived were of real-world cities. The destroyed landscape of Mountain City, the ruins of London, everything was identical. The boy wondered if each group was being sent to the ruins of its own city. The girl went further, questioning if the map of the ruins was the same as the real worlds. While they were thinking about this, a huge shadow appeared over them. They turned around and froze. Giant monsters stared at them. The panic was immediate. The boy shouted to run, but it was already too late. The monsters attacked without mercy, and the 2 were killed instantly. Back in Zhangai City, the place was full of loot after a great battle. Wang Meng and his team were hidden nearby, resting. He said to take advantage of the fact that there were no monsters around there. Yu, still in shock, did not hide her admiration for Shadow. She confessed that before, she thought their team was strong enough to survive on the abandoned continent of the gods. In reality, they could only hide from the monsters, trembling in fear. Wang Meng warned her to be careful with what she said, and she apologized, embarrassed. Plan, on the other hand, only thought about the items scattered on the ground. She pointed out that they were very lucky. If Shadow hadn't cleared the area and killed all the monsters, they would surely be dead. Even so, she still had a doubt. What would happen if they died there, with no safe zone on the continent? Where would they respawn? While Guishi observed the area with her owl, Wang Meng suggested they postpone the exploration for now. The group had only 6 members, and he thought it smarter to wait for everyone to reach level 10 to face the place together. Yu nodded. Guichi continued following the trail of items left by Shadow, but she noticed something strange. The trail simply ended, as if Shadow had vanished into thin air. She also saw that many of the items were extremely valuable, some even gold level, and she wanted to take them. Curious, Wang Meng decided to send a message to Shadow, asking if he wanted the items. To him, it made more sense for the group to collect everything and pay him in lifetime points based on the equipment's value. At that moment, Feng was still at the back of the hideout, killing elemental spirits with ease and surrounded by many items. He noticed he had just cleared another small room. There alone, he defeated more than 400 monsters, including 4 bronze bosses and 2 silver ones. This earned him over 80,000 experience points, and his evolution points reached 205. He was only 5 points away from being able to evolve his S-hand skill again. That's when Wang Meng's message arrived. He explained that they had found many items and asked if they could take them in exchange for lifetime points. Feng was a little surprised that Wang Meng's team was already on the abandoned continent of the gods. He replied for them to wait a bit, as he would contact them later. He also said he had a batch of equipment he intended to sell. Wang Meng agreed and replied that they would wait in a ruined bunker nearby at coordinates 89, 5, 5, 4. Back in the room, as Feng had already eliminated all the monsters, the area's guardian began to appear. A blue energy gathered in the center of the hall, forming an imposing figure covered in lightning. The system identified the creature as Solidary Purifier, a level 15 platinum-grade monster. The system also warned that if Feng defeated it, he would become the master of that place, the land of pure souls. Feng remembered something important about the monster. It was the strongest in the entire city, both in level and grade. In his past life, the Solidary Purifier had 750,000 health points, divided into 3 phases. Back then, even the best warriors with full gold equipment could barely withstand a single bolt from it. But now things were different. With his current strength, Feng knew he wouldn't even need to defend himself. He would simply dominate the monster. He started the fight using the instant dark strike, landing several attacks. The Solidary Purifier's life decreased a little. Next, Feng used a lethal strike directly to the monster's neck, lowering its life even more. When its HP entered the second phase, the Solidary Purifier charged an attack, a lightning arrow that released a storm of lightning from the ceiling. Using his speed, Feng dodged the attacks with precision. He knew that, with his current electrical resistance, being hit by a single bolt would mean instant death. There could be no mistakes. Against platinum or higher bosses, all attacks came with hit correction. This meant that the boss's accuracy was automatically adjusted, overcoming a normal 75% dodge rate. While most monsters had only a 25% chance to hit Feng, the hit rate of a boss like the Purifier rose to a minimum of 50%. Even so, with his 182 agility points and a speed of over 40 meters per second, he could dodge most attacks if he stayed alert. In his past life, he led an entire guild in this battle, and they barely survived with priest shields and luck. But this time, everything was under his control. Feng delivered a powerful blow, determined not to give the Purifier of Souls a single second to fight back. The combination of his gift of liberation, dark strike, and the plague-bearing blade tore off 250,000 hit points from the monster. With that, the Guardian entered the second phase and, as expected, activated its invincibility state, glowing with uncontrolled energy. 3 large lightning spheres formed around its body. Feng knew this phase well and knew it was crucial to destroy the spheres as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the Guardian would enter a rage mode, and not even he would be able to handle the chaos. Feng remembered the pain of his past life when his team was decimated by the Purifier in rage mode. The worst part was seeing his sister after the defeat, saying with tears in her eyes that she didn't want to fight anymore. That's why the next time he challenged the boss, he didn't take her, and managed to defeat it on the first try. Back in the present, he focused on the lightning spheres and cast a poison dart. He aimed at one of them, explaining that all damage dealt to the spheres was transferred directly to the boss. He cast another dart, destroying the second one, and aimed at the last one. When the third sphere exploded, the Purifier of Soul's life turned red. The Guardian roared with rage and began to release a massive explosion of lightning in all directions. This was the third and final phase, in which bolts constantly fell across the battlefield. Feng remained calm and focused. In his past life, it took an entire team with electrical resistance, 4 priests and several healers, just to survive this phase. This time, he didn't need any of that. The bolts only hit the ground, so Feng simply launched himself to the ceiling, avoiding the entire damage area. He activated the Dark Light Shield and the Gift of Liberation. If the storm was on the ground, he would fight in the sky. Using Shadow Cut, Feng attacked quickly and decapitated the boss. After defeating it, he landed on the ground. A system window notified him that he had killed the platinum-level Soul Purifier. As a reward, he reached level 11, gained 4 points in his main attributes and 10 free points. In addition, he received 20 evolution points and 15 20 days of tradable lifespan. Feng was satisfied. He achieved the world's first kill of a platinum-level boss, earning 10 reputation points and becoming the master of the hallowed grounds. He knew that the hideout he had just conquered had an importance that went beyond the game. A hideout was not just a shelter, but it could be extracted into the real world. This was vital, because when the game descended into reality, real-world weapons began to corrode. Powerful weapons, like nuclear bombs, became useless, and tanks and airplanes would soon become scrap metal. Future battles would depend entirely on game skills. A hideout brought into the real world would create a magical defensive barrier, becoming a safe haven. Feng reflected on this for a moment, and then moved away from the area. He remembered that his old guild, Godslayer, had used that same place as a base to grow. Despite the good memories, he also witnessed a lot of intrigue and betrayal. With that in mind, his determination strengthened. This time, he would not follow the same path. He would grow stronger alone until he reached the top. Elsewhere, the situation was very different. During a battle, Xiao Yu's friend threw himself on the ground to dodge an attack and shouted for her to get out of the way. She, however, did not react in time, and the monster's axe split her in half. Xiao Yu reappeared in the city with a system notification. She had died, losing 14 years of non-tradable life and 2 days of tradable life. In shock from having died again, she heard her friend yell at her. Furious, he called her an idiot, questioning how she failed to dodge such an obvious blow. Annoyed, Xiao Yu retorted that he was the tank, and if he didn't hold the boss's attention properly, how was she supposed to dodge the skills? The argument worsened, and he cursed at her again before leaving the party. Xiao Yu's other friend panicked upon seeing that the tank had left, screaming for help as the boss now attacked them. A short time later, this friend also reappeared in the city. Worried, she suggested to Xiao Yu that they focus on smaller monsters to level up, explaining that she was uneasy about not having much lifespan left. Xiao Yu began to think in silence. At that moment, the system announced that the player Shadow from the city of Zhanghe had achieved the world's first kill of a platinum-level boss, earning 10 reputation points. Everyone's attention turned to the system window. No one could believe it. It It seemed crazy that someone had killed a platinum boss alone, while most had barely reached the continent. The name Shadow echoed again, and everyone wondered who he was. The feat was incredible, as many players had never even seen a gold-level monster. Xiaoyu was confused, not understanding why the others were so weak. She herself could barely kill a silver-level boss, and wondered how Shadow had defeated a platinum one. Back at the hideout, Feng began to collect the lifespan orbs. After killing the soul purifier, he reached level 11. Knowing that each level after 10 granted 4 points to all attributes and 10 free points, he continued to put everything into agility. With high agility and his infinite invisibility, he could kill powerful bosses without taking damage. In addition, he gained an extra 100 storage slots. Feng spent 210 evolution points, with 15 remaining, to evolve his greedy hand skill from epic to legendary. With this, the chance to get an extra drop increased to 500%, and this extra drop had a 100% chance of having its level increased. The skill also granted a passive effect, 100 greedy storage slots. He then used Greedy Hand to collect the spoils, obtaining 5 extra loot rewards and 100 more evolution points, totaling 115. Feng noticed that 2 pieces of equipment and an assassin's skill book had dropped. Since his level was still low, he stored them in the hideout storage and ordered a devout believer to collect and stack all the rest of the loot. Happy with the 115 remaining evolution points, Feng began to improve his other skills. He used 42 points to evolve Dark Stealth to the epic level, increasing its duration to 60 seconds, the damage of the attack that breaks stealth to 300 to 500, and reducing the cooldown to 15 seconds. Next, he spent 34 points to take Backstab Enhancement to the epic level, increasing the damage bonus to 75%. Finally, he used 6 points to evolve Darkest Moment to the epic level. The skill now blinded all enemies within a 50-meter radius. The base duration of the effect increased to 16 seconds, although it was shorter against targets with high spirit. Finally, he spent 33 evolution points to take Curse of Flourishing to the legendary level. Now, the skill could be used on players' bodies up to 60 seconds after death, gaining new effects. It absorbed 50% of the non-tradable life expectancy remaining in the target, and also what was spread around. Any body drained by the curse ceased to exist. He was surprised to realize he could absorb non-tradable life expectancy. He remembered that in high-level areas and boss zones, life expectancy was consumed much faster, and this consumption always affected the non-tradable type first. Snowy contacted Feng and congratulated him for being the first to kill a platinum-level boss. She also said she had good news. The Sage of the East had just logged out of the game. She mentioned hearing that his clan was gathered at the Jinman Hotel, and that they had bought a lot of life expectancy to convert into combat power in the game. While the girl organized the items, Feng praised her. She replied that there was no need to thank her, as it was her obligation. She also said that he needed to defeat the Sage of the East anyway, or she would be doomed. Feng told her not to worry and began to store the items. He saw that everything fit, and there was still half the space left. The 100-slot backpack was very useful, so he decided to look for Wenmeng to sell everything. When Plun saw Feng return, she became excited and ran toward him. Before she hugged him, Feng stopped her with his hand and got straight to the point. He made it clear that, as always, he would set the price, and they could refuse if they didn't want to. He explained that more than 30 items were of common or bronze level, and therefore he would give a discount. The final price would be 950 days of life expectancy. Yu smiled and said he agreed. They had already calculated the value of the previous items at around 1,000 days, so, to simplify, they would give 2,000 days for the whole lot. Feng was confused. That batch had silver, gold, and platinum level items, with a total value of 18,000 days of tradable lifespan. She opened the system window and was surprised by the content. She could not believe there was platinum level equipment in there. She herself only had one gold level item and thought that only a very strong player would sell items of that level. Excited, she realized this would greatly accelerate the development of Shanghai City and thanked Feng. He said it was nothing, as they were helping each other. Nervous, Plun asked Feng how he had so many inventory spaces and if he was Don Man King. Feng explained that their backpacks must be full and advised that there was a staircase under the statue in the center of the ruins, which led to a portal to the starting city. Feng started to walk away and made it clear that the first time they used the portal would cost 500 days of lifespan. He warned that subsequent returns would have no cost, but that they should think carefully. After that, he left. Yu smiled and pointed at him. She said she had warned that Feng was a reborn player, as it was the only way he could have such secret information. Seeing her attitude, Wang Meng became confused and asked the captain not to act that way, as she was scaring him. She turned red and asked what they would think if she tried something with Feng. As soon as Feng left the area, the system asked if he wanted to use tradable lifespan to extract a skill for the real world. He decided to activate the level synchronization and the class advancement synchronization. The system informed him that he consumed 27,000 days of lifespan and that both synchronizations were complete. Feng was excited, as now was the time to extract the skills. He already had Dark Stealth at level 1, but he wanted to increase the level and get other skills. For that, he consumed 1,246 days and brought Dark Stealth to level 10. Afterward, he extracted a series of skills. Rear Guard Improvement for 900 days, Greedy Hand for 1,000, Dark Lightning Strike for 3,200, Ghost Blur for 5,366, Bloom Curse for 16,099, and Black Light Shield for 11,313. With the synchronization complete, he was left with 7,480 days of lifespan. Then it was the equipment's turn. He spent 3,600 days to extract the concealment boots, and another 3,394 for the devotee's pendant, both gold level. Feng realized that the pendant not only reduced cooldown time, but also summoned a follower that would be practically invincible in the real world. After spending almost everything, Only 486 days were left. But now his strength in the real world was almost at the same level as in the game. He knew he still needed to gain more lifespan to ensure full synchronization on the next logout. Several minutes later, Feng woke up in the real world. He thought that since his enemies knew his address, the safest thing would be to leave there for a while. He knew that to extract the Sanctuary of Soul Purification, he would need more than 300 years of lifespan, so for now, he would have to find a temporary place. Feng decided to use Greedy Hand and absorbed everything that was in his room. The skill storage space was very useful and stored all his things without any problems. He jumped out the window, picked up his phone, and saw that Dongfeng Xian was at the Jianan Hotel, about 15 kilometers away. After becoming invisible, he descended from the apartment to the ground. Feng calculated that with his speed, he would get there in 10 minutes and began to move quickly through the night. Several minutes later, he arrived at the hotel. Inside, several men were having dinner. One of them was commenting that the game's skills and life expectancy could affect the real world, which was a great opportunity for the Dongfeng family. He praised Xian for creating a faction in the game, and Xian replied that it was just his duty. The grandfather, excited, said he was satisfied with Xian's progress. He explained that they bought a lot of life expectancy to get equipment and skills. The plan was to have the main family members reach level 10 as quickly as possible to gain an advantage and expand their influence in the real world. With that, the Dongfeng family would become a power, and the dream of creating a dynasty would no longer be impossible. Xian stared at his grandfather in silence. In his mind, he despised the old man, who even near death still clung to power and dreamed of immortality. Xian's plan was to capture Shadow, force him to reveal his secrets, and use him to gain life expectancy. As soon as he became number 1 in the rankings, he would ensure that everyone else died. The grandfather then asked how the plan to deal with Shadow was going. Xian assured him there was nothing to worry about, as he already had a reliable woman to find out his identity. The grandfather insisted they capture him alive so he would work for the family, which would bring enormous benefits. Outside, Feng had already killed the guards watching the hotel entrance. He heard when they toasted together, "Long live the Dongfeng family." Feng did not expect these noble families to be acting so quickly. He knew his skills would not guarantee 100% protection. Besides, he had not extracted any armor to the real world. If a bullet hit him in the heart or head, it would be instant death. To be more cautious, Feng used his pendant and summoned a follower, a faithful devotee, with claws for close combat and green flames for ranged attacks. He gave the creature the order to enter and leave no one alive. Feng knew that being a silver-level boss, the faithful devotee was resilient and could withstand a lot of damage, even from firearms. Taking advantage of the distraction, the creature opened the door with a roar. Everyone panicked, not understanding where that monster had come from. The monster advanced on them with its eyes glowing. Xian stood up serious and pointed at the creature, ordering the guards to shoot. He did not believe that was a monster from the game and ordered them to open fire immediately. The bullets hit the devotee's head, but they had almost no effect. With a swing of its arm, it killed one of the guards and thrust its claw into another's chest. While the monster attacked the guests, Xian was sweating from fear. The creature then went for his grandfather, who screamed for help. Instead of doing something, Xian ran to escape without looking back. He just needed to escape and get into the game to be safe. Xian thought that if he could reach level 10 and extract his abilities, he would be safe from any threat. But upon arriving at the hotel entrance, he saw Feng standing there. Before he could react, Feng attacked him, and Xian's head flew through the air. While the blood gushed, Feng turned his back and walked away. Xian's eyes showed pure confusion as flowers sprouted from his body. Feng began to absorb them, and the system reported the gain: 27,000 days of exchangeable life expectancy and 482 years of non-exchangeable. It was a great haul. As Xian's body transformed completely into flowers, Feng confirmed that the blooming curse ability had been extremely useful. The ability not only erased all the bodies and traces of blood, but also extracted all of Xian's life expectancy. With that, his non-exchangeable life accumulated 2,127 years, which would relieve the pressure when entering the rage zones in the future. Soon after, someone from the hotel heard the gunshots and screams and called the police. Several police officers rushed to the Dongfeng family's meeting room, expecting to find a shootout scene. When they arrived, they were shocked. The place was a complete mess, indicating a violent fight, but there wasn't a single body. It was as if the entire Dongfeng family had disappeared, so the investigation unit was called in. Meanwhile, Feng was already far from the hotel. His next target was the Chen Corporation. The main headquarters had moved to North America, but the CEO's daughter, Chen Shishi, was still in Demon City. Feng needed to eliminate her before she left the country. The distance of almost 300 kilometers was too great to travel on foot. Realizing it would be a waste of time, he returned to the game. He remembered that there were still some silver and gold level bosses to farm in the ruins. As soon as he entered, Captain Yu contacted him, excited. She said that Xiaohei had found the tomb's entrance, but a gold level vengeful spirit was guarding the place, and her team couldn't defeat it. Surprised, Feng asked how they had found the entrance. Yu explained that on the way back, they took a detour to avoid some monsters and realized someone had gone missing. After searching, they discovered that Xiaohei had fallen into a hole. That was a special place where the team chat didn't work. When they went in to help, a level 12, gold-class boss chased them, but they managed to escape. She said they were already back in Xiao City and gave the coordinates to Feng. He thought that Xiaohei was a true lucky charm. Finding a tomb just by falling into a hole was an incredible coincidence. Feng knew that these tombs were random and very rare events. He asked for the coordinates and she sent them, saying that the tomb was near the ruins of Xiao City. Feng thanked her, and Yu added that if he found something he couldn't use, she would buy it without hesitation. He thought she was quite smart. Upon arriving at the location, Feng's attention was drawn to a well. He was confused, wondering if that was really the entrance. The well was so large that it seemed seemed impossible for someone to fall in by accident. Feng concluded that Xiaohei was indeed a unique person. Without hesitation, he jumped into the well. A system window appeared, announcing his arrival at the Tomb of Resentment and informing him that long-distance communication would be blocked. Feng landed at the bottom and followed a corridor. Soon, a giant monster appeared, the Wailing Spirit, a level 12 gold-class creature. Feng observed it in silence. He had never seen this boss in his previous life, but from its appearance, he deduced that its physical attack was very high and hit a large area. This explained why the others had fled. The equipment Feng sold them did not offer much defense. Feng calculated that even Wang Meng, with his shield and 5,000 health, would lose half his life in a single blow. He knew that if he were hit by the boss's axe, he would die instantly. Using the combination of the Blessed Release and instant shadow cut skills, Feng attacked and cut the monster's arms. He knew the boss's defense was high, and the initial damage would be low, but it didn't matter, because the creature would not resist the continuous damage from Blessed Release. Suddenly, the monster's severed arm exploded. Feng reacted in time and jumped away. He was surprised it was a corpse explosion, and recognized that he had been careless. Luckily, his ghostly dodge skill activated automatically, saving him from certain death. Feng remembered that in his past life, a team member had died trying to loot a boss that exploded. Entire teams had been eliminated like this, but this usually happened with platinum class or higher bosses. He did not expect a gold class boss to do this. Feng used greedy hand to pick up the items. The system notifications appeared. For killing the resentful ghost, he gained 10 days of life and 20 evolution points. As a reward, he also received the platinum class skill book, Night Ring Blade. Thanks to the effective greedy hand, he also obtained another 63 days of life and the leather armor of resentment, another platinum class item. He was surprised. The equipment and the skill book were exactly what he needed. The Night Ring Blade was a platinum level assassin skill. It imbued the blade with dark power, causing elemental damage to all enemies within a 5-meter radius and adding 500 attack points. The cooldown was 5.7 seconds, and the required level to use it was 11. Feng was happy, as it was the elemental damage skill he needed. Since his shadow class had more spirit than strength, his magical attack was stronger than his physical one. This explained why an elemental skill suited him so well. Feng understood that he should focus on increasing his spirit to maximize this type of damage. His attributes were 9 strength, 9 constitution, 24 agility, and 15 spirit. Feng decided to use his evolution points to advance the skill to the epic level. He spent 6 points, leaving 36. The Night Ring Blade evolved from platinum to emerald, diamond, and finally, epic. The damage radius increased from 5 to 12 meters, and the additional elemental attack rose from 500 to 1,300 points. The additional attack power was not that strong, and the total damage did not compare to Shadow Cut, but it was a great skill for eliminating groups of enemies. Shadow Cut had a range of 5 meters, but it was a straight line skill. The Night Ring Blade, on the other hand, was an area of effect skill, much more effective when he was surrounded. The platinum level resentment leather armor granted 55 physical defense, 45 elemental resistance, 42 damage block, and 777 health points. The level requirement was 11. It also had the resentment effect, which granted 30 attack points after being hit. Feng knew this effect was not a big deal, but the armor's defense and resistances were very high. He decided to replace his old Ghost Fire leather armor. He advanced towards a giant door. If he sold the roughly 20 items he no longer used, he would get more than 10,000 life days. Now that he could enter the tomb, he hoped to find good materials, and with luck, a mount. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a goblin cut Xiao Yu and her friend in half. Their group reappeared in the city. One of the boys in the group became furious, grabbed Xiao Yu by the collar, and started shouting. He called her useless, saying she only grew in height, but not in intelligence. He blamed Xiao Yu for the team being eliminated again, and said that because of her, he now only had 2 years of non-negotiable life. He pushed her to the ground and threatened her not to look for him at school, or else he would deal with her. The boy disconnected. The friend approached to help Xiao Yu and invited her to go to her parents' city. She explained that she heard about a support group there that helped people who didn't know how to play. Angrily, Xiao Yu clenched her fists, refused the offer, and disconnected from the game. She told her friend, Yan Yan, to go alone. Back in her room, still furious, she picked up her cell phone and asked a boy named Hanan if he could help her level up. Hanan accepted, but with one condition: she would have to spend a night with him. He said he wanted to see how the popular girl from school behaved in bed. Xiao Yu became furious, cursed at him, and told him to leave, but suddenly she changed her attitude. With a smile, she told Hanan that she had actually always liked him, but couldn't accept his confession before because her brother, Feng, was very controlling. Now that she had cut ties with him, they could finally be together. But he didn't fall for the trap, calling her an idiot and asking if she was trying to kill him from laughing. He pointed out that if she had betrayed her own brother, what wouldn't she do to him later? Finally, he ordered her to leave. She then began to reach out to other people. First, she contacted the young master Hu Xiao, inviting him to her house for company and to help her level up. However, he recognized her and mocked her, boasting that he was now a platinum-level talent with many women before telling her to get lost. Next, she tried her luck with Sister Ma, saying she was bored and waiting for her in the city. The response was just as harsh. He reminded her that everyone knew how she had deceived Zhang Wei and threatened her with his new ability. Sad and desperate, she cursed those men, thinking that none of them could be trusted. She lamented having only 2.5 years of non-negotiable life left, not knowing what to do. With her eyes full of tears, monsters, she felt alone. She thought of Qin Feng, remembering that he certainly wouldn't ignore her. He must have a solution, and she needed to find him to confirm it. It was already night when she arrived at Qin Feng's apartment. For a moment, she imagined that upon entering, she would find Qin Feng, apologize with a few kind words, and he would forgive her. Almost immediately, however, she rebelled against the idea. She hadn't done anything wrong. Why should she apologize? She hesitated before knocking, convincing herself that bowing her head was a temporary measure. First, she would feign submission so he would help her. She was sure he would accept, as he was the person who had cared for her the most since childhood. A smile appeared on her face. As soon as she leveled up and solved her life expectancy crisis, she would cut ties with him for good. Satisfied with the plan, she knocked on the door and called for Qin Feng. With no answer, she insisted, asking aloud if he was asleep and announcing that she had returned. Her tone became pleading, begging for him to open the door. Furious, she kicked and broke down the door but was shocked. The apartment was empty. The bed, table, clothes, everything was gone. She tried to call Qin Feng but got no answer. She didn't know where the boy had gone. At that very moment, in the depths of the Tomb of Rancor, Qin Feng was gathering and eliminating all the monsters. Soon after, he reached the end of the tomb. He summoned a devout follower, recalling that he had annihilated over 200 lesser monsters and several bronze and silver level bosses along the way, which brought him close to reaching level 12. Before him stood the final coffin. He knew that upon opening it, the tomb's ultimate boss would appear, and he hoped it would be platinum level. He began to push the coffin. His attention was fixed on it when something strange happened. A malevolent energy began to enter his body through his eyes and mouth. The system informed him that his devout follower had been annihilated. Qin Feng realized it was the Death Miasma, a gold-level boss. He cursed his luck, knowing that this boss had no physical form, making it immune to physical attacks. He remembered that in his past life, someone had released this boss, and it had ended up spreading and causing enormous losses in a nearby base. Being possessed by it was a death sentence, unless a companion helped to dispel it, or if the person belonged to one of the few classes with invincibility skills. The boy's eyes shone with seriousness, and he decided to use the blade of the Dark Night Ring skill. Shadows swirled around his body, allowing him to see the creature's true body hidden within the toxic fog. Using his dagger, Feng attacked the body, and a system window appeared, informing him that he had killed the Golden Tear, the hidden boss of the toxic fog. Feng knew this boss's strength was clearly above platinum level, even though it was classified as gold grade with only gold level rewards. Fortunately, the blade of the Dark Night Ring, which he had recently learned, dealt magic damage. The corpse turned into lifetime, and Feng used the greedy hand to get the orb. After all the effort, he expected a Golden Tear equipment, but instead, he got a rare item called the Mount Bell, which left him surprised. Feng was happy to have gotten a mount. This proved that the famous luck of the Linny Spiral was not just a rumor. The system described that the Mount Bell, Ghost Knight Wolf, summoned a level 11 creature. It could fight and be ridden, but it required the user to also be level 11. Upon using the item, Feng remembered that the Ghost Knight Wolf was one of the fastest mounts in the early game. The wolf was gold grade level 11, with 148 strength, 155 constitution, 135 spirit, and 191 agility. The mount gained experience with its owner, getting stronger over time. If the bell was traded, the creature's level would return to the initial one. Its skills were great. Charge. When mounted, it increased movement speed by 245%. Night path. At night, the mount entered stealth mode. Attacking would break the stealth, but it added 120 damage and took 60 seconds to reactivate. Triple charge. It leaped on a target 3 times, with each hit dealing 267 extra physical damage and a 12-second cooldown. Wolf's Howl. It granted allies attack, defense, and elemental resistance bonuses for 18 seconds, with a 60-second cooldown. Feng realized it wasn't just a mount, but a battle companion. The stealth ability, in particular, was a huge gain. It was already night when Feng, mounted on the wolf, left the ruins towards his next destination. His plan was to reach level 15 and accumulate lifetime to extract the mount. After disconnecting, he would go to the Magic City to eliminate Qiangxi and end this threat once and for all. Feng passed by the Jiangnan Coliseum, a huge area with 2 underground levels full of monsters, a perfect place to level up. The Ghost Knight Wolf agilely climbed the Coliseum's wall, which was crowded with powerful creatures. The monsters soon stared at him. The wolf leaped, and Feng dived with it towards the group. With focused eyes, Feng used the instant shadow cut and began to eliminate the monsters. Meanwhile, in another part of the ruins, Yu used her sword to kill a monster. The creature's body turned into lifetime, and she sighed in relief. Her companion, Yan, the son of a department head, started to applaud. He praised her damage, saying the Dragon Swordsman class was incredible, and that Yu was the woman he wanted. She commented that the golden boss was only level 8, and it took them over 10 minutes to defeat it. Because of that, she didn't understand how Shadow had managed to kill a platinum boss alone. Mo Nian praised her, but downplayed Shadow's achievement, saying he was just an assassin who used stealth to beat the boss little by little. According to Mo Nian, that playstyle would never get someone to the top. He was pleased, thinking it would be easy to subjugate Yu, since she had no influential contacts. In response, Yu asked if a mediocre archer like him wouldn't be the ideal person to wear down a boss slowly. Mo Nian defended himself, saying he was honest and wouldn't stoop to wearing down a boss slowly. He claimed to have heard that Feng had a terrible character and was a real-world killer. Mo Nian said he knew a police hunter with level 3 anti-stealth skills and suggested a trap to discover Feng's identity and control him. He argued that someone like Feng would only be trustworthy if he worked for their organization. Otherwise, incidents like the ones with Song Fei and Zhongli would keep happening, and he was tired of cleaning up Feng's messes. Yu and Wang Meng looked at each other and laughed at Mo Nian. They explained that he hadn't understood the situation. It wasn't Feng who asked them to clean up his messes, but the other way around. They needed to clean up what Feng left behind to ensure their interests were aligned and they could cooperate. They recalled Feng's achievements, the global first kill of a golden boss and a platinum boss, both solo. Annoyed, Monian insisted that Feng was nothing more than a fragile assassin. He asked how they couldn't control him with an equivalent anti-stealth level and called them useless. Monian was offended for being contradicted. He turned to Yu and said she should pay attention, as he was going to ruin Feng's reputation and capture him. He stated that when he succeeded, she would kneel begging for forgiveness. Wang Meng asked Yu about the boss's loot. She listed a gold equipment for a priest, a silver one, and a silver skill book. Then, she remembered that Feng used to sell various gold and platinum equipment and wondered how many bosses he had already killed, or if his talent was to find treasures in chests. Wang Meng confessed that he was worried about the Zhonen restaurant case, where the Dongfang family was murdered. He hypothesized that Feng was responsible and questioned if they should still help him in this case. Wang Meng admitted not understanding Feng's personality and feared that he could be a murderer in real life. Yu knew about the case and knew that the superiors took it seriously, speculating about the connection with Feng. Even so, she guaranteed that she would cooperate with him anyway. She said that even if the superiors refused to clean up this mess, she would support him personally. Confused, Wang Meng asked the reason, and Yu replied with another question. Who wouldn't support Feng? At that moment, a subordinate appeared. He reported that they had found an arena further ahead with all the monsters killed, bodies everywhere, and he did not know what group would have been strong enough to do that. Yu seemed excited and decided to go to the arena, leaving Wang Meng even more confused. Upon arriving at the Shanghai Coliseum, they saw the ground covered with lifetime units. They were shocked by the amount of dead Isaacs. There must have been hundreds. This made them think what kind of group would have been strong enough for such a feat. Yu was confident that Feng had been there and suggested that they look for him. Monian questioned her certainty. Yu replied that it was simple. Feng was in first place on the scoreboard, and their group was right behind. Since they could not do something like that, it could only have been Feng. Furious, Monian stated that he also had invisibility and could do the same. It would just take more time. Ignoring him, Yu contacted Feng. Thinking that he would have many equipment and skill books left over after killing so many monsters, she proposed to buy them. Monian was shocked. Feng appeared behind Monian, riding his wolf. Monian fell into a sitting position on the ground from fright, while Captain Yu got excited and asked where Feng had gotten the mount. He explained that it was thanks to the coordinates Plun gave him. Hearing this, Plun was embarrassed and said that he did not need to mention him. Feng then proposed a deal to Captain Yu. She could take all the items from the ground as a package with the usual conditions. She agreed, as she already knew his prices were always fair, and that cooperation was optional if she was not satisfied. While they talked, Monian became furious. Feeling humiliated by Feng, he swore that he would make everyone pay. Riding the wolf, Feng advanced through the ruins. The system showed that he had already reached level 13. Below him, at level 10, were Justicia Implacable, Wan Meng, Goblin Negro, and Grandes Mentiras. Feng had 245 years of tradable lifespan and 255 evolution points. He was happy because, after clearing the arena, he got a gold-grade skill book. The book was called Silent Camouflage. It allowed the user to become permanently invisible when standing still, without moving or attacking. An attack coming from this state added 300 points of penetration damage. The skill had a 120-second cooldown and required level 13. Feng realized that it did not only strengthen his stealth, its true power was in the possibility of using it in real life. Combined with the game's invincibility, he could disappear completely. He decided to evolve the book to the epic level, spending 11 evolution points. The skill went from gold to platinum, emerald, diamond, and finally, epic. With the evolution, the additional damage from the stealth attack increased to 800, and the cooldown time decreased to 60 seconds. Afterward, he decided to evolve other skills. First, he spent 34 points to take Poison Dart to the epic level. The skill evolved from emerald to diamond and then epic. Its maximum range increased to 20 meters, and the damage per hit rose to 400, in addition to applying a poison that caused 100% damage per second for 5 seconds, without stacking. Next, he spent 200 points to evolve Graceful Release to the mythic level. Going from legendary to mythic, the attack bonus on weak points rose to 300%, and the damage multiplier on weakness doubled. Its active use now applied the throat cut effect, causing 200% damage per second for 3 seconds, with the cooldown reduced to 15 seconds. Feng was satisfied, as mythic level skills were very powerful. Now, almost all of his attacks would hit a weak point. He took his necklace, the Pendant of Deceit, and decided it was also time to evolve it. The accessory, of platinum grade, gave 45 physical attack, 20 strength, and 20 constitution. It required level 13, and its unique effect added 1 point to the stealth level. Adding up his skills and equipment, Feng realized that he now had stealth level 4, and that no one in the current stage of the game would be able to detect him. In addition, he had the Golden Tears Veil of Shadows, an item that granted 5 constitution, 5 spirit, and 32% evasion. With this, his total evasion rate reached 83%. Suddenly, there was a small explosion nearby, and Feng stopped to investigate what was happening. Upon turning around, ground. Feng saw a giant boss emerge. Its arms were chains that ended in sharp blades, made of steel. He wondered who would have been crazy enough to release that boss. Feng remembered that in his past life, this boss appeared in the ruins of Shanghai. The hunt led to the death of 4,000 people. The monster was the guardian of the sanctuary, the second largest refuge in the ruins. His original plan was to deal with another target first, before facing this boss. But since the boss was already there, he decided to face her. Feng jumped with his wolf to the top of a building. Down below, the boss began to spin her arms and slaughter the nearby players. She killed a player, and the others realized her strength too late. She swung her bladed arms and continued killing the rest of the group. Feng watched the players trying to face the Steel Saint and saw that they greatly underestimated the danger. A player on a tiger began to fight, and Feng recognized him. It was Xiang Yang, a paladin. In his past life, they were rivals for 9 years, without ever having a clear winner. Xiang Yang was astute and treacherous, always escaping defeat with some trick. Feng also remembered that, in his past life, it was Xiang Yang's guild that defeated the Steel Saint. The guild was called Knight's Sanctuary, and controlled the eastern part of the Shanghai ruins, giving rise to the saying, God of the West, Sanctuary of the East. To recruit members, they used a strict contract that promised security, but charged up to 50% of their life expectancy. Most became basically slaves, forced to work for the guild leaders. For Feng, the situation was perfect. He promised himself that this time, Xiang Yang would not escape. The boss began to spin her arms, creating a distraction. Feng took advantage, used his invisibility, and landed near her. Without wasting time, he activated his blade, and in an instant, killed the surrounding players. Engulfed by a red aura, Feng spun quickly, eliminating everyone. Xiang Yang was in shock upon recognizing him as Shadow. He asked why he was being attacked, saying there was no problem between them. Feng appeared behind him and replied with a cold gaze, "It's because you don't eat meat." Xiang Yang's eyes widened in fear. With an arrogant expression, Feng used Shadow's Cut and killed him. Next, he activated the skill curse of the blooming flower. Shortly after, the players reappeared in the city. Xiang Yang was furious, not understanding the reason for the attack. One of his subordinates panicked upon seeing that his life expectancy had dropped to 0. Xiang Yang realized it was the work of one of Shadow's skills, and decided they would go elsewhere to level up and recover what they lost before counterattacking. Xiao Yu was also among them. She was crying, not understanding the reason for the attack, as her life expectancy was almost gone. The system informed Feng that his skill had absorbed 4 days of tradable life and 1 year of non-tradable life from Xiao Yu. Feng was pleased to see that she was part of Xiang Yang's group. The small amount of life he absorbed was a sign of her desperation. This meant that she had accepted the guild's slavery contract. For Feng, it was exactly what she deserved. At that moment, the boss attacked Feng, creating a smokescreen. When the smoke cleared, he had already dodged the attack with Phantom Blur. Feng knew that the boss's first phase was not that difficult. She seemed confused by what had happened. The chains on the boss's arms stretched and began to spin, but she seemed confused. Feng watched intently. He knew that her attacks were just repetitive swings with the chain swords. He appeared over the boss and combined the Blessed Blade with the Plague Blade. After the impact, the first skill activated Throat Cut, which caused an explosion of damage. The second created an explosion of toxic damage 3 seconds later. With a quick attack, Feng applied Throat Cut and a deep cut appeared on her neck. The boss's health bar dropped to less than half in an instant, and her eyes shone with anger. Feng remained calm, as he knew her danger was in the second phase. Upon losing half of her health, the demon sealed within her would awaken and reflect all damage received back to the attacker. There was also a legend about a portal in the demon's belly that transported anyone who was swallowed to a volcano, but Feng thought this was just a confusion with mechanics from other games. A group of players watched the fight from a distance. They commented on how merciless Shadow was. The Knight's Sanctuary Guild had summoned the Platinum Tier boss, but Shadow appeared and eliminated everyone. Soon after, he used a skill that took half the boss's health at once, forcing her second phase. While they were talking, Feng, still invisible, turned his attention to the group. He knew that the boss's second phase had a weakness. The damage reflection effect disappeared for an instant when she attacked. If he attacked at that exact moment, he would avoid the reflected damage. The problem was his skills like Shadow Cut, Throat Cut, and the Plague Blade, which caused continuous damage. Even if the initial attack went through, the extra damage would be reflected and kill him instantly. Thinking about this, he looked at the players spying on him and decided to use them. One of the players, Quan, asked the others to move away to get a better view. Upon seeing him, the others became excited, and Quan's subordinate explained that they had already memorized the boss's skills. A girl from the group added that after the boss's health dropped below half, she stopped and her body changed, indicating that she was gaining new skills. And just as the second phase began, Shadow disappeared, and Quan didn't believe he was facing the boss alone. He ordered his subordinate Cho to use the red eye to search for Shadow. She agreed and used her power. A small rabbit appeared and ran near the boss without being noticed. Then Cho said she couldn't find Shadow. She concluded that he must have left, since not even her level 3 anti-stealth skill could detect him, and Quan agreed, thinking it was impossible for someone to have level 4 invisibility, and jumped off the cliff, leaving Cho confused. He asked her to stay alert and let him know if Shadow returned. As Cho nodded, Quan went to the ground and drew his swords. A confident smile appeared on his face. The other players thought he was looking for death by trying to fight a platinum-level boss alone. One of them, however, recognized him. He was the famous player known as Safety First. The player said that he saw him defeat a gold-level boss in the starting city without getting a scratch. It was revealed that his class was Soul Warrior, which gave him 100% dodge when rolling. Additionally, there were rumors that he had been a famous streamer known for his ultra-fast reflexes in Souls-like games. With his arrival, the boss's attention turned to Anquan. The boss attacked with her sharp arms. Anquan reacted instantly and slid across the ground, narrowly escaping the blow. Next, the boss created energy arms to crush him, but he rolled again and dodged once more. When the boss tried to reach him, he rolled again to move away. His subordinates began to praise him, impressed with his skill and calmness in dodging. They noted his discipline for not greedily trying to land an extra hit. One of them commented that Anquan's performance was incredible, as he perfectly dodged every attack. They also saw multiple cutting effects on the boss's body, which made them question the power of the Soul Warrior class. The black-haired woman explained that by rolling, Anquan activated his class's passive counterattack. Each perfect dodge also dealt damage, slowly diminishing the boss's health. With a smile, Cho added that the dodge was just the basics. Anquan's true strength was in his offense. His attacks turned defense into a continuous attack that ended fights quickly. While the boss desperately tried to catch him, it was revealed that a successful dodge allowed Anquan's next attack to ignore 50% of the boss's defense. Anquan then turned to face her, and a blue energy began to emanate from his body. Seeing this, his subordinates realized that the strike would cause 4-digit damage. Before the boss could react, Anquan delivered the attack he had prepared. His single strike split into 3 shadows, which hit the boss with precision between her openings and caused deep cuts. In an instant, her health bar dropped to less than half. His subordinates celebrated upon seeing that the boss already had only a third of her health. Anquan turned his back on the enemy, but at that moment he took over 34,000 points of damage and died instantly. His subordinates panicked, not understanding how he could have died if he had dodged everything. They were even more confused because, although Anquan hit the boss, his health did not decrease that much with a single blow. Not far from there, Feng silently watched Anquan's health bar and thanked him. Anquan's display forced the boss to use many of her moves. Feng saw that, while the other player was showing off, he himself was attacking the boss non-stop, which finally reduced her health to a third. The Soul Warrior's moves caused good damage, but in the end, they led to his own death. Because of his class's characteristic, it was impossible for him to defeat the Iron Maiden. When he rolled, he could not attack, and when he attacked, he received reflected damage. The boss started to turn, and Feng's attention turned to her. He knew this was bad. With her health so low, the boss was trying to return to the church's sanctuary to heal completely, which would make all the effort useless. He looked at Anquan's subordinates and realized that the Soul Warrior's death had frightened them. Feng doubted that they would attack the boss again. However, if the boss was not attacked, the reflected damage effect would not disappear. It was time to act. Feng used his invisibility skill and appeared in front of her, blocking her path back to the sanctuary. Upon seeing Feng, the other players were surprised. To them, Anquan had been just a distraction. The real danger was Shadow. It was scary to think that all the cuts on the boss had been made by Feng. Cho did not believe what he saw. His level 3 anti-invisibility skill did not detect him, which meant that Feng's was level 4 or higher. Feng looked at the item Anquan dropped and decided he needed to retrieve it. He activated the black light shield, and a golden protection appeared around him. The skill created a 10-layer shield, each capable of blocking one attack. The boss's attention turned to him, and her arms turned into blades again. She attacked, and Feng knew this was his chance. Using the instantaneous shadow cut, Feng delivered a series of quick strikes. He noticed that the last 3 attacks out of a total of 9 hit the boss during the counterattack. If it weren't for the black light shield to block the reflected damage, he would already be dead. The shield now only had 7 layers. Next, the boss concentrated energy in her abdomen, jumped, and released purple flames. Feng retreated, but the flamethrower attack was so fast that it destroyed the 7 remaining layers of his shield at once. He barely escaped. If he had been half a second slower, he would have died. At that moment, another player tried to take Anquan's item, but Feng noticed and threw a poisoned dart at his forehead, eliminating him on the spot. He made it clear to everyone that no one should touch his loot. The system informed that Feng obtained 612 days of tradable life and 67 years of non-tradable life. His skill also absorbed another 355 days and 20 years. Feng was surprised by the amount of life the eliminated player possessed, which meant he had probably never died before. He found this interesting and decided not to use the skill on him for now. The boss roared, but Feng remained calm. He knew he needed to use the shield and normal attacks to defeat her bit by bit. He attacked and dodged in a slow but safe method. From a distance, Shu watched the fight, impressed by Feng's speed. Before, she didn't understand how he had gotten the first eliminations, but now, seeing him fight, she no longer had any doubts about his power. Feng decided it was time to end it. He advanced and cut the boss with impressive speed. The system confirmed the death of the Steel Maiden, giving him 48,000 experience points, 120 evolution points, and the Sanctuary Key. The other players could not believe it. Feng had defeated the boss alone, which explained why he was first in the ranking. Using the greedy hand, he took the loot, an emerald-level leather armor called Gift of the Black Flames. It gave 95 physical defense, 120 elemental resistance, 77 damage reduction, and 77 constitution. Its special effect applied black flame to targets, reducing their defense and resistance, although with a lesser effect on bosses. Feng was satisfied. That piece alone was already better than a full set from other players. In addition, he also obtained the emerald-level Assassin's Instinct skill. It allowed for the partial perception of the silhouette of invisible units, and granted 2 points of anti-invisibility. Feng decided to evolve the skill, spending 33 evolution points. The skill jumped through the emerald, diamond, and epic levels until it reached legendary. With this, the anti-invisibility bonus increased to 5 points. The legendary effect also added the ability to detect the target's weak points, increasing critical hit damage by 50%. Added to his Lethal Grace passive, the total bonus reached reached 350%. Now he could hit enemies' weak points even with his eyes closed. Feng still had 97 evolution points and decided to use 80 of them to evolve the Blur and Ghostly skill. It went from the epic to the legendary level, which increased his passive evasion from 75% to 85% and granted total immunity to damage whenever the evasion was activated. At that moment, Captain Yu and the others appeared. She greeted Feng and asked if he had gotten any good items. Surprised, she commented that she hadn't seen the ranking and didn't expect him to have reached level 13 in a single night, saying it was crazy. Wang Ming added that they had spent the whole night hunting and had barely reached the middle of level 11, pointing out that Feng's speed was unreal. Captain Yu slapped Wang Meng on the head to get him to stop talking nonsense. Feng, a little confused, explained that he had gotten some items to sell, valued at 45,000 days of life expectancy. With a serious expression, she transferred the amount to him. Feng then said he had another good item for sale and asked if she knew about the hideouts. Captain Yu smiled and confirmed. She explained that since the ruins of Shanghai City had no safe zones, players used hideouts as bases to store supplies and activate defense barriers. Feng knew she was probably referring to the small hideout left by the Golden Boss. She confirmed, saying that the officials from Shanghai City had not yet found any. Since she already understood the value of a hideout, Feng took a golden key from his inventory. He revealed that it was the key to the sanctuary, left by the boss he had just defeated. He informed them that the hideout covered more than $800 mu, and proposed that they go back to discuss the price they could offer. Captain Yu and Wang Meng were in shock. They knew that a larger hideout meant stronger defenses and better infrastructure. One of 800 mu was enough for each official from Shanghai City to have their own room. Curious, she asked how much he planned to sell such a large hideout for. Feng said he preferred to discuss the price later, to see what they could offer. He knew that, in his previous life, that hideout could be sold to the government for 2,000 years of life expectancy. With the sale of the hideout and the life he already had, Feng would have enough to take all his equipment, skills, and levels to the real world. Nervous, Captain Yu accepted the proposal and assured him she would speak with her superiors immediately. Then she said she needed help with something else. She explained that 7 gold-level bosses had appeared together in Black Moon Village and had already killed many people. Because of that, they were offering 10 years of life if he helped eliminate them. Upon hearing this, Feng commented that 7 gold bosses didn't seem to be a big problem. He thought that, even in a group, the official forces would manage to eliminate them over time. So, if they were asking for his help, it was because there was something wrong with the bosses. Impressed with his deduction, she agreed. She confirmed he was right and explained that they had managed to isolate and kill one of the 7 bosses, but it resurrected. Even worse, the attributes of all 7 suddenly skyrocketed, annihilating the entire team. Feng was surprised. He remembered that there were group bosses capable of resurrecting, and suspected they might be puppets of the cursed slate, one of the slates of the ancient gods. If that was the case, he couldn't let the opportunity pass. Feng decided to go right away and asked Captain Yu for the coordinates, who wished him good luck. He thought the captain was quite honest. The loot from the 7 gold bosses would be worth about 40 or 50 years of life, and she still offered another 10 years as a reward. It was a very generous offer. Riding the Ghost Knight Wolf King, Feng was crossing the ruins. As he passed by a statue, he saw something surprising: a group of players assaulting a girl nearby. It was Maggie, Feng's sister. One of the women slapped her face hard, accusing her of being a bitch and of trying to seduce the guild leader. With her face full of bruises, Maggie was crying with rage. The woman warned her to stay away from the leader, or she would have her face destroyed, and they continued assaulting her. Feng, watching from the top of a building, realized that his sister had gotten into an internal guild fight. After having entered the Sanctuary of the Knights, he already knew these little power games. In his past life, it was always him who solved these things for her. This time, he came down and decided to let her fend for herself. Maggie was crying, begging them to stop, saying she was going to die of pain. The attackers did not listen and continued, calling her a bitch and saying they were going to kill her. Meanwhile, Feng entered the statue. He remembered that, under the statue in the center of the ruins of Shanghai City, there was a secret chamber to return to the starting city. It was information that few people knew. A magic circle appeared before him. The teleportation was not free. The first trip cost 500 days of life, the second 1,000, the third 2,000, and so on, always doubling the price. He knew that, over time, the starting city would become a higher level area, where common monsters would turn into bosses and hidden treasures would appear. The ancient god's slate was one of those treasures, an item he could not lose. The system asked if he wanted to teleport back to the abandoned land of the gods, to the Black Moon Village. Feng remembered that this village was only supposed to appear much later in the game. He had never heard of it in his past life. Without hesitating, he accepted. The system consumed 500 days of Feng's life, and he was teleported to the Black Moon Village. The place was full of elders talking. Feng was surprised, as he did not expect the village to be so busy, and wondered why most of the people there were elderly. Nearby, there were also several players. A player was helping an old lady stand up, relieved to be back in the safe zone. They reminded her that, as agreed, they had taken her to level 3. In the process, she gained 72 days of life, and now she needed to hand over their share. The old woman got irritated and refused to pay, saying they were a charity organization. One of the players explained that he didn't want money, but rather the share of life that the monsters dropped, which was only shared because she was in their group. Another player reinforced that she just needed to return that share, as agreed from the beginning. The old woman became even more furious, denied any agreement, and accused the young people of trying to extort an old woman. They tried to calm her down, but she started shouting for help, accusing members of the Menschreiber Guild of harassment. At that moment, someone grabbed her from behind and threw her to the ground, leaving everyone confused. It was Feng. He held her by the neck and with a cold look, drew his dagger. Without hesitating, he killed her. The two players were in shock while orbs of life appeared on the ground. Feng said that her life was there and that they could take it. The players celebrated, took the 72 days of life and thanked him, wanting to know who the expert that helped them was. Feng replied that it was just a small favor, turned his back and left. He found it inconvenient that fights were not allowed in the city. Then, he started to think about the Manhua Guild, realizing that its origin was in the Black Moon village. He remembered that the guild was founded as a charity organization, helping the elderly survive for free. Later, it gained official recognition and became the largest guild in Ruya by number of members. Feng's eyes shone. He thought that, in this apocalypse, the world needed more people like that. At night, in a forest, a group was fighting a mud monster. One of the mages asked her friend, called Mother, to use a lightning bolt. She obeyed, and a bolt of lightning struck the monster. The group's swordsman seized the chance and cut it in half, turning it into an orb of life. As they walked, the young man in the group asked Yan if her friend Wanmeg had really joined the Night Sanctuary Guild, since the membership fee was very high. Yan nodded and said that she had invited her to Manhua, explaining that it was a charity guild where players helped each other, but Wanmeg refused. The other player commented that Zoyu was already at level 10, as she was helped by the Night Sanctuary. He added that this guild's membership contract bound the members for 3 years, turning them into slaves. The young man agreed, saying that they just treated her like a tool. To him, those who had no skill should just kill small monsters and accumulate experience slowly, like they did. Yan sighed, commenting that Wanmeg thought she was special for having a hidden class, which made her stronger than them. At that instant, a shower of invisible arrows began to fall on the group. With no time to react, the arrows pierced the player's body, taking 200 HP and turning him into an orb of life. Yan panicked, as that man was her father, and her mother began to cry. The archer who fired smiled, satisfied to have eliminated him with a single skill. The masked men told him to stop bragging, stating that the Mansion River Guild had no experts, only weak players. They wondered why a skilled player would be protecting that group, which they considered trash. With a smile, they approached Yan and her mother. The archer demanded they hand over all the life they possessed. Yan felt scared, remembering that the authorities forbade killing other players, and that they were risking becoming wanted criminals. The archer just pointed at her, making it clear that he didn't care about the rules. He gave them 3 seconds to hand over the life. Yan's mother complied, but the girl stood firm, telling her mother not to do it. She asked her mother to call for help on the guild channel while she tried to buy time. Seeing this, the archer ordered the attack, saying to kill the older one and keep the young one alive to have fun with. The masked men advanced, but a wolf suddenly appeared and attacked them. Yan was confused, not understanding what was happening. Before the archer could react, someone appeared quickly and cut off his head. It was Feng. While the wolf devoured the subordinates, Feng watched the archer's head in silence, recognizing him as Shadow. In the city, the archer and his men reappeared, furious. They did not understand how all their life had been drained at once. Shocked, they began to run to the forest, needing to kill monsters to recover a little life before they died. At that moment, a strange energy appeared, and a sword made of it descended upon them, immobilizing them. 2 priests approached. One of them, holding a book, informed that they were official bounty hunters, and that, according to the law, they were under arrest. The other priest stared at them seriously, warning that if they resisted, their lives would be ended right there. Back in the forest, Yan thanked Feng, saying that without him, she and her mother would have been lost. Feng looked at the ground, thinking about how good Yan was. Besides being kind and brave, she was completely different from Xiaoyu, and he did not understand how the two had become best friends. After that, Feng disappeared without a trace. Yan and her mother were confused. Yan picked up the life orb, not knowing if it was her father's. Her mother asked where their savior had gone, and Yan answered that she did not know. The only thing she knew was about the attacker. He was Shadow, the #1 boss of the world's Shadow. In another part of the forest, a group of players was waiting for Shadow. They commented that it had already been half an hour since he should have arrived and wondered what he was doing. One of them doubted that Shadow could defeat the bosses of the area, since they could revive infinitely. Invisible, Feng passed by them and continued on his way. Feng knew how the ancient god's slate worked. It added a positive and a negative effect to the equipment, and could even alter the class traits. The 7th player in the world ranking had already used 7 of them to destroy a legendary boss. He observed the stationary monsters. The bosses created by the slate had unique mechanics. Some were invisible and very stealthy, eliminating players before they could react. Others were controlled by a hidden summoner. According to the information, if one of them died, they all revived with a stackable fury bonus. The question was whether they would still revive if they were eliminated at the same time. It was worth testing. Feng decided to do a test. He equipped the follower's pendant and summoned one of them. The creature ran to attack the bosses and suffered more than 1,400 points of damage. One of the bosses looked in the direction of the attack, and an instant later the follower exploded, completely ignored by the monsters. Feng analyzed the situation. The bosses were level 10, with no damage reflection and with attributes only twice as high as those of normal bosses of the golden tier category. He then used the Shadow Ring Blade, a red energy spread, and Feng used the gift of the poisonous. The bosses' bodies disappeared without leaving any items, which left him confused. Soon after, they began to merge into a single giant and much more powerful monster. The boss advanced against Feng. He was on alert, confirming that the simultaneous elimination was the right way for the next phase. It was then that he noticed that the giant monster's body was covered in symbols. Feng dodged the attack and recognized the symbols as the writing of the ancient gods. He deciphered loose words like disaster, sky, god, and ancient. second and managed to reorganize them to discover the boss's name, Waz, the Calamity, ancient god. As the monster approached, Feng still did not know how he should proceed. He then thought if he should attack the parts of the boss's body in the order of the characters of its name. All his investment in studying the writing of the ancient gods had been for moments like that. Feng slid and attacked the symbol on the monster's leg, then the one on the arm, and lastly, the one on the chest. Poison dripped from the boss's body, which roared in pain as it fell apart and fell into the water. Feng remained alert, watching what would happen next. Coffins emerged from the water, and what was left of the boss began to float and transform. Soon, several smaller monsters came out of its body, roaring. Feng noticed that the inscriptions on the coffins corresponded to each of the monsters. He understood the mechanic. He needed to defeat them near their respective coffins. The ancient god's slate was already visible, indicating that that was the final phase. The monsters advanced on him, and he prepared for combat.